Chapter 281. Lu Changsheng secluded himself for 140 years, advancing from the second level of the Unity Realm to the very peak of the fifth layer, a rate of cultivation that was simply astounding. It took Situkong 2,000 years after leaving Mount Shu to cultivate from the ninth layer of the Void Refinement Realm to the second layer of the Unity Realm. Lu Changsheng had merely secluded himself for 140 years, without even descending the mountain for experiential growth, yet there were no signs of him becoming possessed by his energies, and his cultivation did not stagnate midway. In fact, thanks to the functionality of the Disciple Apprenticeship Simulator that allowed for simulated battles, Lu Changsheng could simulate fights against various unparalleled geniuses whenever he encountered a bottleneck. The opponents simulated by the Disciple Apprenticeship Simulator included past sect leaders and supreme elders of Mount Shu. Among the past supreme elders of Mount Shu, there were no lack of Unity Realm powerhouses. The simulated opponents also included past sect leaders and supreme elders from the Martial Alliance, Immeasurable Temple, Hidden Dragon Temple, and even past sect leaders from the Penglay Sword Sect and Wind Thunder Pavilion. With the help of the simulation battle function of the system, Lu Changsheng fought against various strong figures, gaining insights even deeper than those he would have gained during normal experiential growth off the mountain. Thus, Lu Changsheng could attain experiential growth and enlightenment, as well as witness various cultivation techniques and secret techniques, without leaving King Yun Peak. Lu truly is no ordinary person. I secluded myself for 100 years, only managing to cultivate from the third layer of the Void Refinement Realm to the fourth layer, said Lu. Li Changjai was already an unparalleled genius, yet even he could not keep up with Lu Changsheng's rate of cultivation, and had even been surpassed by disciples of King Yun Peak, leaving Li Changjai with no choice but to smile wryly. The master and disciples of King Yun Peak were frankly monstrous. Taiyuan Zhenren spoke, now that Changsheng has reached the fifth layer of the Unity Realm, he should be able to contend for a place for our Mount Shu. The Grand Zhongzhou Conference is a rare event that occurs only once every 50,000 years, with numerous powerful individuals, a conference of martial debates. Even a Unity Realm powerhouse, with 10 to 20,000 years of longevity, might not get to experience the Grand Zhongzhou Conference. The prominent young generation of our Mount Shu should all go to Zhongzhou to broaden their horizons. As the previous sect leader of Mount Shu, I should prioritize the sect and will stay behind to guard Mount Shu. For this trip, Elder Martial Uncle and Changsheng will lead the team. Xia State is far from Zhongzhou, and we might encounter demon sects from other regions along the way. Hence, our Mount Shu will travel to Zhongzhou together with the Martial Alliance, Immeasurable Temple, Hidden Dragon Temple, and Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, the four great sects. In this way, we can ensure absolute safety. Yes. Li Changjai, Song Wuchuan, Zhao Wian, Mirongxi, and other elders of Mount Shu all appeared slightly excited. The Grand Zhongzhou Conference, only occurring once every 50,000 years, might not even be experienced once by a Unity Realm powerhouse, yet this generation of elders had precisely encountered it. The Grand Zhongzhou Conference gathered strong figures from sects across various regions, some of which had been established earlier than Mount Shu and boasted even more profound heritage. The strongest among them, the Star Pavilion, with a history of 1 million years, had hundreds of unparalleled geniuses that had ascended to the immortal realm. A rough estimate indicated that every 10,000 years, several unparalleled geniuses from Star Pavilion ascended to the immortal realm. Thus, it wouldn't be surprising if a few geniuses qualified to ascend to the immortal realm emerged from Star Pavilion during this conference. The Mount Shu elders of the Void Refinement and Dao Palace realms might not be of much help on this trip, but just witnessing the competition of strong figures from across the major regions would yield tremendous gains. Situkong said, this time, our Mount Shu's main force in the conference will be Changsheng, while Elder Martial Ancestor I will merely provide protection along the way, leaving all matters to be decided by Changsheng. Once the teams from the other four sects arrive, we will set off for Zhongzhou. Suddenly, Lu Changsheng looked towards the exterior of Mount Shu, only to see streaks of light rapidly approaching. The teams from the four great sects have arrived. Chapter 282. Streams of light descended, and the attendants of the Hidden Dragon Temple revealed themselves. Yu Suanji, the temple master of the Hidden Dragon Temple, personally led the team and also represented the Hidden Dragon Temple. The Martial Alliance, Immeasurable Temple, and Inquiry Immortal Pavilion teams arrived successively at Mount Shu to convene. Ha ha ha, Taiyuan, it has been 100 years since we last met. How have you been lately? Grandmaster Chen's voice was hearty as he patted real person Taiyuan on the shoulder. Amitabha. Master Wuxiang arrived with a group of venerable monks, exuding a solemn and dignified air. Lu Changsheng scanned the supreme elders of the Martial Alliance, Immeasurable Temple, and others, recognizing most of them. In the group from the Immeasurable Temple, Lu Changsheng spotted an old monk who looked as withered as a dried-up tree. This old monk's aura was around the void refinement realm, but Lu Changsheng always felt this person was no ordinary individual. As the second-ranking sect in Xia State, the Immeasurable Temple indeed had some deep foundations. The team from Inquiry Immortal Pavilion arrived, led by Xianingsu, who was dressed in white as snow and carrying the immortal slaying sword, accompanied by Zheng Yeqiu, Xiao Meng'er, and other senior sisters who had stepped into the void refinement realm. Xianingsu nodded to Lu Changsheng in greeting. The two had not seen each other for a long time. Lu Changsheng could approximately sense that Xianingsu's cultivation had reached around the fourth layer of the Unity realm. This trip to Zhongzhou may encounter demon sects along the way, but with our 5 great sects joining forces, I believe there won't be many demon sects who dare to provoke us on the journey. Lu Changsheng had limited knowledge about Zhongzhou, but according to the records of Mount Shu, traveling to Zhongzhou required crossing over a dozen Xia states, and even practitioners above the Dao Palace realm using sword flight would need half a year to reach Zhongzhou successfully. Taiyuan, are you really not going? Grandmaster Chen noticed that real person Taiyuan was not among the members heading to Zhongzhou. I will stay behind to guard Mount Shu and keep watch over our sects as well. Then we entrust our sects to you. Let us depart. Grandmaster Chen nodded, set out with Lu Changsheng and others, and headed for Zhongzhou. Only Daoist Earthhound was left to guard the gates of Qingyun Peak, as Lu Changsheng brought along several senior disciples to give them a chance to gain experience. Should Lu Changsheng ascend to the immortal realm in the future, he would not be able to continue the power-infusing initiation for these disciples, they would have to rely on their own efforts to ascend, making these experiences essential. Among Lu Changshen's group, there were 6 Unity Realm powerhouses including Lu Changsheng, Xianingsu, Situ Kong, Grandmaster Chen, Yu Suanji, and Master Wuxiang. The powerhouses of the Void Refinement Realm numbered in the dozens. With such combat power, ordinary powerful sects were not to be provoked easily. 3 months later, in the Wu domain, 6 states away from Xia State, the Dao Palace Realm Lord of a city suddenly turned pale. Over 100 powerful presences appeared within the city. These powerhouses are most likely attending the great conference in Zhongzhou. Fortunately, His Majesty has issued an edict, informing us city lords about the event. Otherwise, if we offended them, my city would be destroyed. The Dao Palace Realm Lord broke into a cold sweat. Being several realms away from those at the Unity and Void Refinement realms, it would be as easy to kill him as crushing an ant. Someone. My lord, what are your orders? Pass down my command. The city's garrison and constables are not to provoke cultivators lightly during this period. Why is this? The subordinate of the city lord, a nascent soul realm body tempering powerhouse, knew how formidable the city lord was. Any cultivator who dared cause trouble in the city would be dealt with by the law. Yet the city lord had actually ordered the garrison and constables not to provoke cultivators during this time. A group of Unity Realm powerhouses from other states has come to the city. If we anger them, our entire city could sink into the ground. Hiss. I will immediately notify everyone in the city that they must not provoke them during this time. All the soldiers and constables within the city were panic-stricken. However, Lu Changsheng and his group stayed only for 1 day before they hurried on their way. The Wu domain was even more vast than Lu Changsheng and the others had imagined. After 7 days and nights of sword flight, they still couldn't leave the Wu domain. The Wu domain is several times the size of our Xia state and is ruled by the Great Martial Dynasty. The Great Martial Dynasty has rallied most of the powerful loose cultivators within the Wu domain. There is no powerful sect, and all the smaller sects must act according to the court's wishes. This is sharply different from our Xia state. During the 2000 years I left Mount Shu, I didn't just travel around Xia state but also visited other states, including the Wu domain. The strength of the Great Martial Dynasty is no less than that of a powerful sect, and it is said that the Empress of the Great Martial Dynasty has reached great accomplishment in the Unity realm. You must not cause unnecessary trouble, said Situ Kong who, after leaving Mount Shu, had travelled far and wide, which was why Mount Shu had chosen him to lead the group with Lu Changsheng this time. The Empress of the Great Martial Dynasty. Lu Changsheng, standing on his flying sword, saw a majestic city appear on the horizon. This city had a population of over 100 million, even more astounding than the largest city in Xia State, the Xia Kingdom's imperial city. The city walls were imposing, reaching 12 zhang high, guarded by formation divine pillars. The city gate officials, responsible for watching the gates, were strong practitioners of the void refinement realm. The great martial dynasty was akin to a powerful and prosperous sect, with the imperial city as the sect's base. Entrusting the city gates to void refinement realm cultivators was a bold move, and at the same time, it deterred anyone intending to stir up trouble within the city. This is the imperial city, flying over it on swords is forbidden. As Lu Changsheng and the group approached the great martial imperial city, the cultivator guarding the gate communicated to them. With the great martial dynasty having an empress at the great accomplishment stage of the unity realm, it was best for Lu Changsheng and the others to avoid provoking them and just use the imperial city as a resting stop. Chapter 283. From where do you hail? Xia State. Xia State? Xia State is extremely far from our Wu domain. How did you get here? Could it be that you have come to attend the Zhongzhou convention and just happened to pass through our imperial city? Precisely. Honored Taoists, please follow me. Our sovereign has decreed that if powerful cultivators from other states pass through our great martial imperial city, we have a special mansion to accommodate them. The cultivator from the great martial dynasty guarding the city gates led Lu Changsheng and his companions to the residence specially set up to entertain strong sect members within the city. The Empress of the Great Martial truly lives up to her reputation as the supreme sovereign, proficient in winning people's hearts by setting up a place to welcome powerful sects. Now, we owe her a small favor. Grand Master Chen unceremoniously occupied the mansion in the Great Martial Imperial City. Since this arrangement was made by the Empress of Great Martial, everyone felt no need for excessive politeness. She was a formidable cultivator with great accomplishment in the Unity realm, being overly courteous might contradict her intentions. Esteemed Daoist friends, our sovereign will also attend the Zhongzhou convention, and before that, she would like to meet the Unity realm experts from Xia State, if you would do us the honor. Just after Lu Changsheng and his party had settled in, a palace attendant came to invite them. The several Unity realm experts exchanged glances, and sure enough, the Empress of Great Martial had some tactics. She invited the Unity realm experts from Xia State to the palace soon after arranging their accommodation. For the Empress of Great Martial, who had achieved great accomplishment in the Unity realm, only experts of the same level were truly worth winning over. She also wanted to see which powerful figures from Xia State had come to attend the Zhongzhou convention. Since the Empress has extended such a gracious invitation, let us not decline. Sidu Kong, who had travelled far and wide for a long time and had spent some time in the Wu domain, had inquired about the Empress of Great Martial and knew she was not a heretic cultivator, so there was no need to worry that she might harm them. Lu Changsheng, Sidu Kong, Yu Suanji, Xianing Xiu, Grand Master Chen, and Master Wu Xiang, 6 Unity Realm experts, followed the attendant into the Imperial Palace. In the Imperial Palace's Imperial Guards, even the most ordinary soldiers possessed the cultivation of the Qi Transformation Realm, the slightly more elite soldiers had the cultivation of the Golden Core Realm, and among the higher-ranking officers, there were no lack of Nascent Soul Realm and Dao Palace Realm, even Void Refinement Realm experts. Inside the Great Martial Imperial Palace, civil and military officials stood to the left and right, each with a powerful aura. Within the palace alone, there were several Unity Realm experts. The foundation of the Great Martial dynasty was indeed comparable to a powerful sect. Lu Changsheng was inwardly surprised. Sitting atop the dragon throne was a dignified and graceful figure, her eyebrows like verdant feathers, her skin like mutton fat jade, her cheeks framed by peach blossoms, her hair coiled with golden phoenix threads, yet within her bones, there was a domineering pride that screamed I alone am supreme, her cultivation unfathomable. The Empress of Great Martial imperiously used her divine sense to scan the realms of Lu Changsheng and the other 5, wanting to understand their potentials and limitations. 3 at the first level of the Unity realm, 1 at the second level, 1 at the 4th level, and 1 whose realm is not clear. Strange, with my realm, I can't see through his cultivation. Could it be that he practices a special cultivation technique that conceals his cultivation level or possesses a unique treasure? The Empress of Great Martial could discern the cultivation levels of the others, a hint of disappointment crossing her eyes. To her, the cultivation levels of the others were mediocre. Only the realm of Lu Changsheng was completely unclear to her. The Empress of Great Martial's gaze towards Lu Changsheng revealed her curiosity. Xianing Xiu's heart skipped a beat. Lu Changsheng seemed to be popular wherever he went. The Empress of Great Martial's realm was extremely high, and Xiaoningsu did not have the confidence to defeat her at the fourth level of the Unity Realm. If the Empress of Great Marshal decided to take Lu Changsheng by force, even he might be unable to resist. While the Empress of Great Marshal was assessing the cultivation levels of Lu Changsheng and company, Lu Changsheng was also probing the realm of the Empress of Great Marshal. The Empress of Great Marshal was like an enormous black hole, her realm imperceptible, presumably shielded by a treasure. Situ Kong had said that the Empress of Great Marshal had achieved great accomplishment in the Unity Realm, which meant she could possibly be at the 8th or even the 9th level of the Unity Realm. No wonder the Empress of Great Marshal was as stable as Mount Tai in the Wu domain, ruling over billions as a female sovereign. She was the favored daughter of the heavens in the Wu domain. Only Xia Ningxiu from Xia State could match her. The Empress of Great Marshal spoke, her voice delightful to the ear yet thunderous. May I ask the origin of this Taoist priest? I am Lu Changsheng, the sect leader of Mount Shu from Xia State. So, you are the sect leader of Mount Shu. Although this young man's aura is not weak, it still falls far short of our Empress. The strongest sect leader of Xia State from Mount Shu, his aura isn't that impressive, and perhaps not even as strong as mine. Their Majesty is being too polite to them. Even if the major sects of Xia State joined forces, they may not be a match for our great martial dynasty. The civil and military officials inside the palace exchanged scornful secret messages. Although the exact level of Lu Changsheng's cultivation could not be determined, he did not completely hide his aura, revealing fluctuating levels between the second and fourth layers of the Unity Realm, which made it difficult for the others to assess accurately. The great general of the Great Martial Dynasty was a sixth-layer Unity Realm practitioner specialized in body tempering, and the state preceptor of the Great Martial Dynasty was even more formidable, a seventh-layer Unity Realm sword cultivator. One in civil office and one in military, their status in the Wu domain was second only to the Empress of Great Martial. As the major sects of Xia State were going through a generational gap, the power they showcased was even less than that of these two individuals, let alone compared to the Empress, hence their disdain for the people of Xia State. Not only the great general and the state preceptor, but also other Unity Realm practitioners, and even those in the Void Refinement Realm, appeared somewhat arrogant. Only the Empress of Great Martial continually regarded Lu Changsheng with great importance, as he was a person whose cultivation level she could not see clearly. Among the cultivators who came to participate in the Grand Assembly in Zhongzhou, even those with lower realms did not necessarily lack talent, it was simply that they had not encountered the Grand Assembly during their peak period. But this was also a test of a sect's foundation. The most up-to-date novellas are published on Fruit-Noelo. A truly powerful sect could cultivate a peerless genius to dominate an era in any age, generally avoiding a situation of generational decline. Take Star Pavilion, for instance. Each era witnessed the rise of a Unity Realm peak practitioner to lead the sect, which is why no one dared to provoke Star Pavilion. Mount Shu was somewhat inferior, only occasionally producing Unity Realm peak practitioners. Once such an expert ascended or fell, it might take thousands of years before another emerged, potentially leading to the embarrassing situation of having no Unity Realm practitioners at all. The sixth sense of the Empress of Great Martial told her that Lu Changsheng's talent was not lacking. Not only Lu Changsheng but also Xia Ningxiu had extremely high potential. Yu Suanji possessed the body of the literary sage, and as for Grandmaster Chen, Master Wuxiang, Situ Kong, and others who had entered the Unity Realm, their potential limits could not be easily estimated. This Grand Assembly in Zhongzhou is filled with powerful individuals. I intend to vie for first place, which is why I wish to gauge the strength of the powerhouses from various major sects passing through our imperial city in advance. It seems that you all haven't been cultivating for long, which is rather unfortunate. The Empress of Great Martial discerned that the group from Xia State had not yet reached their limits. Her gaze settled on Lu Changsheng. You might achieve a mid-ranking result, which would be quite good. Compete for first place. Yu Suanji, Grandmaster Chen, Master Wuxiang, Situ Kong, and others were taken aback by this revelation. The Empress of Great Martial actually planned to compete for the first place in the Grand Assembly of Zhongzhou? In that case, her realm might have reached the peak of the Unity Realm. Your Majesty is an unrivaled genius rarely seen in a million years in the Wu domain. You will surely accomplish this feat effortlessly. Your Majesty possesses both civil and martial virtues. As you unify the Wu domain, we can do nothing but look up in admiration. The civil and military officials of the Great Martial Dynasty praised her profusely, displaying fervent adoration for the Empress. The Empress of Great Martial suppressed almighty opponents in the Wu domain. No formidable cultivator failed to serve as a stepping stone for her rise. The Empress muttered to herself, it's a pity that after the Grand Assembly in Zhongzhou concludes, I plan to try crossing the ninefold heavenly tribulation and ascend to the immortal realm. Otherwise, given time, I would have intended to fully conquer the other states. It seems my long-cherished wish will have to wait until I reach the immortal realm to see if it can be realized. This was the epitome of a strong woman. Lu Changsheng wiped away a bead of sweat. The Empress apparently had ambitions to conquer the neighboring states as well. Truly, she was worthy of being an empress. After a brief conversation, the Empress let Lu Changsheng and the others go to rest. After Lu Changsheng and the others had left, the great general commented, aside from the sect-riddled Zhongzhou, it seems that the strengths of the sects from the other states in this Zhongzhou Grand Assembly are not very impressive. It seems the Empress only needs to be wary of a few powerful sects from Zhongzhou. As for the people from Xia State, I alone could defeat them all, not a concern at all. Chapter 284. Lu Changsheng and his companions took a brief rest in the Great Martial Dynasty before continuing their journey to Zhongzhou. Another 3 months passed, and finally, Lu Changsheng and his group entered the territory of Zhongzhou. Located at the center of this realm and spanning 1,000,000 miles, Zhongzhou is home to countless sects and powerful cultivators. In comparison, Xia State is just a remote corner located in the southwestern part of this realm. According to the records, Star Pavilion occupies the central position of this realm in all 4 cardinal directions, which is also the place with the richest concentration of nature's spiritual energy. Hence, the disciples of Star Pavilion cultivate faster than those of other sects and produce the highest number of powerful cultivators. During the previous Zhongzhou conferences, the first place has been monopolized by Star Pavilion multiple times. Other states can only hope to compete with Star Pavilion if they birth unparalleled geniuses. Mount Shu's most glorious period was no doubt decades of thousands of years ago, with Ancestor Daoist taking at the helm, who at that time overwhelmed powerful cultivators from all major sects, including the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion. Situ Kong thought of the times when Daoist taking led Mount Shu to its peak strength and the subsequent decline of the sect, which filled him with endless emotions. 500,000 years ago, Daoist taking defeated powerful cultivators from all sects. With a shocking debut, Mount Shu rose to fame in a single battle, attracting a massive number of exceptional talents and then giving birth to other strong cultivators who ascended to the immortal realm. However, after 500,000 years, Mount Shu gradually declined, unable to gain renown in the Zhongzhou conference, making it difficult to recruit geniuses from other states. There lies the vital area of Star Pavilion. After more than 10 days, an enormous pavilion reaching into the clouds appeared dozens of miles away. Surrounding the colossal Star Pavilion were countless other pavilions built for ordinary elders and disciples to reside and cultivate. Star Pavilion alone, inhabited by just elders and disciples, numbers over 1 million. Streaks of flowing light descended on the gate of Star Pavilion. These cultivators came from all major states, each radiating an extraordinary aura. Master, there are so many strong cultivators here, much more bustling than our Mount Shu. Lu Qinglian was excited, feeling the powerful aura of those present. A disciple of Star Pavilion came over. Fellow Daoists, from whence do you hail? We come from Xia State. Xia State? So, you belong to sects such as Mount Shu, Immeasurable Temple, Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, and the like. Precisely. Please, fellow Daoists, follow me to the guest lodgings. The Star Pavilion disciple led Lu Changsheng and his group to the residential area for the various sects. Located in a secluded area, Xia State was among the later arrivals, with most strong cultivators from other sects having already arrived. Lu Changsheng could feel many powerful presences in this area, where even the rare Unity Realm cultivators were not uncommon to see. After all, the Zhongzhou Conference was a gathering of strong cultivators from sects across all major states. Who are these arrivals? I just heard them say at the gate of Star Pavilion that they are cultivators from Xia State. Mount Shu of Xia State was once unrivaled at the Zhongzhou Conference 500,000 years ago, outshining even Star Pavilion at the time. However, in subsequent conferences, except for Immortal Green Lotus securing a top 8 position 30,000 years ago, they have not been able to enter the top 16, let alone win the championship. It seems that Xia State has declined. At this Zhongzhou Conference, they are most likely just making up the numbers. Indeed, their aura is quite ordinary. It seems their cultivation isn't anything special either. The strong cultivators from the various sects who had arrived earlier were naturally curious about the origins of Lu Changsheng and his group. Ever since ancestor Dai's taking of Mount Shu dominated and won the Zhongzhou Conference, Mount Shu had gained considerable fame across the states. Knowing that Lu Changsheng was the sect leader of Mount Shu, many people swept their divine sense over Lu Changsheng and his group. They found that Lu Changsheng and the others' realms were no higher than the 5th level of the Unity Realm, with most at the 1st or 2nd level, while some sect leaders from powerful sects looked disdainful. Times have changed, and Mount Shu is no longer the sect that once broke Star Pavilion's monopoly. It seems we are being underestimated. There's not much we can do about it. It's unfortunate that the decline of Xia State's cultivation world coincides with this Zhongzhou conference. If it had been postponed for a few thousand years, Xia State would have had several Unity Realm great accomplishment cultivators by then. Grandmaster Chen couldn't help but lament. Xia State has many unparalleled geniuses. The current sect leaders of various sects have not been cultivating for more than a few thousand years, which does not compare to some cultivators from sects in other states who have been practicing for 10,000 years. However, the sect leaders of Xia State's sects all have the potential to reach the great accomplishment of the Unity Realm. Yu Suanji, however, remained composed. Participating in the Zhongzhou conference isn't just for the rank. Experiencing the cultivation techniques and divine skills of other sects is also crucial for our path comprehension. Sect Master Lu. As Lu Changsheng and his group faced the disdain of other powerful sects, a graceful figure appeared, waving enthusiastically at Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng turned to see who it was, and it was none other than the sect leader of Penglai Sword Sect, Penglai Fairy. Penglai Fairy was still at the 3rd level of the Unity Realm, but after 140 years of cultivation, she had reached the peak of the 3rd level, only a step away from the 4th. Your cultivation seems to have grown stronger since our last encounter on Penglai Immortal Island. Penglai Fairy noticed that Lu Changshen's realm fluctuated between the 2nd and 4th levels of the Unity Realm, and although his true level wasn't clear, it was evidently much stronger than when he confronted Wind Thunder Pavilion on Penglai Immortal Island. Lu Changsheng, who was at the 2nd level of the Unity Realm, had previously killed Lei Tianese of the 4th level, which meant his current combat power was even stronger. For Unity Realm cultivators facing a lifespan of 10 to 20,000 years, 140 years was but a year in mortal terms. Chapter 285. Having not seen him for a mere 140 years, Lu Changshen's cultivation has improved significantly. The Penglai Fairy realized she had indeed not misjudged him. Unfortunately, Lu Changsheng had not agreed to her proposal back then, otherwise, if she had managed to keep Lu Changsheng on the Penglai Immortal Island, the story would have been different. Wait a minute, you. The Penglai Fairy's attention shifted to Xianingsu, and she was shocked to see that Xianingsu's realm had actually reached the 4th layer of the Unity Realm, causing her pupils to tremble. She couldn't understand how the cultivation of Lu Changsheng and Xianingsu could have advanced so rapidly. What also surprised the Penglai Fairy were Lu Changshen's disciples. 140 years ago, they were only at the great accomplishment of Dao Palace Realm or at the initial stage of the Void Refinement Realm, but now their cultivation was almost reaching the great accomplishment of the Void Refinement Realm. It should be known that Taiyuan Zhenren cultivated for 3,000 years and only reached the peak of the Void Refinement Realm, barely stepping into the Unity Realm. Yet Lu Changshen's disciples had made such progress over just 100 years? Unless there was a strong cultivator in the Unity Realm constantly giving them power-infusing initiation, it would be possible for their cultivation speed to be 10 times that of ordinary people. The most beautiful woman of Luzhu, the Penglai Fairy, is actually so polite to the sect leader of Mount Shu. With her qualifications, she will sooner or later reach great accomplishment in the Unity Realm. Even if sect leaders at the 5th or 6th layer of the Unity Realm chatted her up, she would usually ignore them. Yet, surprisingly, she is so courteous to the average strength sect leader of Mount Shu. The cultivation of Mount Shu's sect leader is far inferior to mine. The Penglai Fairy ignores me but pays attention to a pretty boy. Could it be that even a fairy of the Unity Realm is swayed by looks? A sect powerhouse carrying a precious saber crossed his arms before his chest, his face full of disdain. If it were not for the fact that this place was the Star Pavilion, a critical location of the sect that did not allow disturbances, he would probably have taught Lu Changsheng, whom he saw as a pretty boy of Mount Shu's sect leader, a lesson. The sect master Quangdao from the Profound Saber sect is a powerful peak 6th layer Unity Realm cultivator, and even he was refused by the Penglai Fairy. If Mount Shu's sect leader offends this person and unluckily encounters him at the upcoming Zhongzhou conference, he might not be lenient. As the saying goes, beauty is a curse, and the ancients truly do not deceive me. The other sect powerhouses were just watching the excitement. In their view, Mount Shu's strength was inferior to the Profound Saber sect, and if Mount Shu were to offend the Profound Saber sect because of the Penglai Fairy, disaster might befall them. Hold on, look at the people from Xia State. The Pavilion Master of the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion and the Temple Master of the Hidden Dragon Temple are both rare beauties, especially the Pavilion Master of the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion. Indeed, her beauty is no less than the Penglai Fairy's, perhaps even more ethereal. People suddenly noticed Xia Ningxiu among the group from Xia State. Xia Ningxiu was pure and jade-like a Guanggan fairy, her icy temperament keeping others at bay, yet so ethereal and moving that people longed to possess her. This fairy, I am the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley. The great conference of Zhongzhou is upon us. I wonder if you would do me the honor of discussing and exchanging our understanding of cultivation techniques with me in advance. A Unity Realm strong cultivator with a scar on his face stepped forward and struck up a conversation with Xia Ningxiu. He unabashedly emitted a powerful aura, also at the 6th layer of the Unity Realm. The Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley had absolute confidence in his own talents and cultivation. Having cultivated for only 8,000 years, he had reached the 6th layer of the Unity Realm and had the prospect of ascending to the Immortal Realm in the future. In his opinion, no one from Xia State was his match, and surely his dominant aura and air of supremacy would attract her. Like flowers blooming, butterflies come on their own. Unexpectedly, Xia Ningxiu coldly stated, not interested. Although she was only at the 4th layer of the Unity Realm, she had comprehended the profound swordsmanship within the Qingxia ancient cave, which was out of the ordinary. With the Lingwei holy body, she could battle across realms, not intimidated by the strength of the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley at the 6th layer of the Unity Realm. Moreover, if she wanted to discuss cultivation, she might as well find Lu Changsheng, the two could practice the yin-yang dual cultivation skills and the Holy Spirit sword art together. Don't be like that. The Great Conference of Zhongzhou is originally a platform for powerhouses from the major states and sects to compare their martial skills. Fairy, please reconsider. The supreme heaven-burning truth of our Raging Flame Valley is a top-notch cultivation method in this realm. If we two can discuss and compete, perhaps it could help you improve your realm even further. The Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley, having lived for 8,000 years, was not discouraged by Xia Ningxiu's initial rejection and shamelessly persisted in striking up a conversation. Xia Ningxiu's brows furrowed slightly. Seeing that the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley wanted to reach out and pull Xia Ningxiu away, Lu Changsheng clamped down on the Valley Master's wrist with one hand and simply barked a single word, "Scram." What are you? A blaze of nameless anger surged up in the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley's heart. Lu Changsheng, seemingly at most a cultivator at the 4th layer of the Unity Realm, dared to offend him, a powerful 6th layer Unity Realm cultivator. Mount Shu, although it had its heyday 500,000 years ago, has long since ceased to be the same Mount Shu after 500,000 years have passed, not even comparable to our Raging Flame Valley. And yet the people of Mount Shu think they can stop him from hitting on the Pavilion Master of the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion? The Valley Master of the Raging Flame Valley wanted to erupt in anger, but he suddenly realized his wrist was gripped by Lu Changsheng, making it difficult to break free. Lu Changsheng had achieved great accomplishment in practicing the 9 Revolutions Divine Demon Body refining skills, cultivating the 9 Revolutions Divine Body, and practicing the Immortal Divine Art. His physique was tempered by various elixir pills and heavenly materials and earthly treasures, comparable to a superior grade immortal artifact. With his strength, not even the Valley Master of the Raging Flame Valley at the Unity Realm 6th layer could struggle. The Valley Master's face changed colors. Are you a martial cultivator? The Valley Master of the Raging Flame Valley quickly circulated his true chi, attempting to retract his wrist. Suddenly, Lu Changsheng released his grip, and the Valley Master, caught off guard, stumbled backward, actually landing on the ground with his rear. A crowd of onlooking cultivators fell silent. The Valley Master of the Raging Flame Valley, at the 6th layer of the Unity Realm, had suffered a setback at the hands of the young sect leader of Mount Shu. Damn it! The temperamental Valley Master of the Raging Flame Valley could not contain his fury after being humiliated in front of the watchful eyes of many sect strongholds and the elders of the Raging Flame Valley. Adding fuel to his anger was the look Xia Ningxiu cast at Lu Changsheng, one that held a hint of tenderness. The Valley Master channeled his unique cultivation technique, the surrounding temperature rose rapidly, and heat waves swept in all directions. That's the Raging Flame Valley's mid-grade immortal level technique, supreme heaven-burning truth. It looks like the Valley Master is thoroughly provoked. With the sect leader of Mount Shu's cultivation level, angering the Valley Master of the Raging Flame Valley at the Unity Realm 6th layer is not a wise move. The sect leader of Mount Shu is in for a tough time now. Strong cultivators from other sects couldn't wait to see a good show and casually assess the strength of Mount Shu's sect leader. How audacious, daring to cause trouble on the territory of our Star Pavilion. Has the Raging Flame Valley grown tired of living? A woman dressed in green, her face veiled, carrying an immortal sword on her back, appeared. Although her cultivation was only at the Void Refinement Realm, she dared to scold the Valley Master of the Raging Flame Valley at the Unity Realm 6th layer with a stern voice. On the chest of her green dress was a pattern of the sun and moon shining together. This was the symbol of the Star Pavilion, the number one great sect in Zhongzhou. Seeing the Elder of Star Pavilion step forward, the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley quickly dispersed his power and glared viciously at Lu Changsheng. You brat, don't let me draw you as my opponent in the Zhongzhou Grand Meet, otherwise, I will show no mercy. The Valley Master returned to the lodgings the Raging Flame Valley had arranged. The appearance of the woman in green directly turned back the Valley Master of the Raging Flame Valley, and the other observing strong cultivators from various sects didn't dare say much else. After all, this was Star Pavilion's territory. With an Elder of the Star Pavilion stepping in, no one dared to object. Although the Raging Flame Valley was a powerful sect itself, if it were to offend Star Pavilion, the sect could be wiped from the map. The two sects were not on the same level. The woman in green turned around and looked at Lu Changsheng, her bright eyes flashing with surprise. Lu Changsheng's aura had grown much stronger than it had been 145 years ago when she went to Mount Shu to deliver the invitations for the Zhongzhou Grand Meet. Even the unrivaled geniuses of the Star Pavilion couldn't hope to advance at such an astonishing pace. The woman in green's intuition told her that this might not be Lu Changsheng's true level of cultivation. Sister, we meet again. Shen Xiaoao emerged from behind Lu Changsheng. If it weren't for the woman in green back in the immortal ruins of Huang State, he would have died at the hands of a demon general. You? I hadn't imagined you'd have reached the 5th layer of the Void Refinement Realm already. The woman in green was surprised to discover that Shen Xiaoao, who had been at the nascent soul realm, was quickly catching up to her realm. Chapter 286. Other sects that had no contact with Mount Shu might not be aware of the astonishing potential of Lu Changsheng and his disciple, but the woman in green knew just how rapidly their cultivation was advancing. A disciple from the nascent soul realm who had cultivated for less than 200 years, climbing from the nascent soul realm to the 5th level of the Void Refinement Realm and acquiring a pure yang body in the Star Tower, possessed a talent that was simply earth-shattering. It was a foregone conclusion that eventually stepping into the Unity Realm and even ascending to the Immortal Realm was within reach. If you encounter any trouble on our Star Pavilion's territory, feel free to come to me. The woman in green knew of the shocking potential Lu Changsheng and his disciple held and was exceptionally polite to the group from Mount Shu. Noticing that a high-ranking elder from the Star Pavilion was so courteous to Lu Changsheng and his disciple, the attitudes of the strong practitioners from other states also began to change. Is this fairy from the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion of Xia State? 10,000 years ago at the Great Assembly in Zhongzhou, Fairy Kingxia from the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion was one of the top 8 powerhouses, nearly making it into the top 4. Unexpectedly, after 10,000 years, the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion would still produce a personage like you, Fairy. With your talent, soaring to the Immortal Realm will come sooner or later. Our Thousand Swords Manor has deep accumulations in Sword Dao, and the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion should also be cultivating Sword Dao. As long as you are willing, we could exchange insights in Sword Dao. What do you think? A handsome young man with a folding fan appeared, accompanied by a group of powerful sect practitioners with imposing auras, including peerless masters from the Unity Realm. His identity was certainly extraordinary. And his target was the focus of everyone's attention, Xianing Xiu. This is Sun Jian, the Valley Master of the 3rd largest sect in Zhongzhou, Thousand Swords Manor. Don't be fooled by his youthful appearance, in reality, he has cultivated for 12,000 years. Add the sect defending treasure and cultivation techniques of Thousand Swords Manor, and his combat power is extremely fearsome. He is one of the popular candidates to win the Grand Assembly in Zhongzhou. Do your best to avoid provoking them, or even our Star Pavilion will have trouble dealing with it, the woman in green said, cautiously warning Lu Changsheng and his group. That man was a sect leader of the 3rd largest sect in Zhongzhou, with profound cultivation, comparable to the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion. And the woman in green was, after all, just an elder of the Star Pavilion, not in a position to be compared with the Valley Master of Thousand Swords manner. Lu Changsheng frowned. Xianingsu had managed to cause a stir in the third largest sect in Zhongzhou. Xianingsu's Lingwei holy body and innate Taoist body were on the same level and extremely rare in this world. Sun Jian of Thousand Swords manner noticed Xianingsu's unique physique, and hence had initiated the conversation. The counterpart, a master who had achieved great accomplishment in the Unity realm, ignored him. Unexpectedly, Fairy Xia from the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion of Xia State has managed to attract the attention of Thousand Swords manner, the third-ranked sect in Zhongzhou. Sun Jian is no small figure, as a fully realized spirit sword physique, even the pavilion master of the Star Pavilion has to show him some courtesy. The Valley Master of Thousand Swords manner is not like the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley. The difference between the two sects is like heaven and earth. Thousand Swords manner, for many years, consistently makes it to the top 8 in the Grand Assembly of Zhongzhou. I wonder if the sect leader of Mount Shu would dare to offend Thousand Swords manner. Thousand Swords manner is incredibly formidable. Once, they wiped out a powerful demon sect with merely a third of their strength. Thousand Swords manner venerates Sword Dao and has deep comprehension in swordsmanship, unrivaled by anyone except Star Pavilion. There is no sect in Xia State that could compare with Thousand Swords manner. The strong practitioners from the surrounding sects who were onlooking were shocked to see the appearance of the Valley Master of Thousand Swords manner, especially initiating conversation with Xianingsu. The Valley Master of Thousand Swords manner, one of the strongest in Zhongzhou, what a figure! As long as you are willing, I can even share parts of our Thousand Swords manner's supreme ancestral sword technique with you, he offered while patiently awaiting Xianingsu's response. He believed no one would reject the offer from the Valley Master of Thousand Swords manner. With his guidance, Xianingsu's understanding of Sword Dao could skyrocket. Countless fairies dreamed of receiving such guidance from Sun Jian. Sun Jian, who himself was a fully realized spirit sword physique, was not interested in Penglai Fairy or Yu Suanji who possessed the body of the literary sage, but only in Xianingsu. The supreme ancestral sword technique of Thousand Swords manner. Master Sun is really splurging this time. If only I could witness the supreme sword skills of Thousand Swords manner. It's said that not even the Star Pavilion can surpass the swordsmanship of Thousand Swords manner. If only I were a girl, maybe then I would have the chance to witness the supreme sword skills of Thousand Swords manner. Dream on, even if you were, the Valley Master of Thousand Swords manner wouldn't take any notice of you, someone retorted. The surrounding strong practitioners from the other sects were chattering. To win over Xianingsu's favor, Sun Jian from Thousand Swords manner was prepared to offer up fragments of such a high-caliber cultivation technique as bait. Fully realized spirit sword physique. The heritage of Thousand Swords manner is even deeper than Mount Shu's. It's able to compete side by side with other sects in Zhongzhou under the pressure of Star Pavilion and still manage to recruit some Sword Dao geniuses, which is enough to demonstrate its power. This is troublesome. People like Situ Kong, Grand Master Chen, Yu Suanji, and Master Wuxiang felt it was a bad omen. If they offended Sun Jian, Thousand Swords manner might look for an excuse to target the many sects of Xia State. Perhaps without mobilizing all their forces, Thousand Swords manner could extinguish every major sect in Xia State. Many eyes fell on Xianingsu, wondering how she would respond. Xianingsu remained as cool as ice, no need. The slight smile on Sun Jian's face gradually solidified. He, Sun Jian, was the Valley Master of Thousand Swords manner, the third largest sect in Zhongzhou. He had comprehended the supreme sword skills passed down in Thousand Swords manner, and countless people longed to catch a glimpse of the mysteries of Thousand Swords manner's sect defending sword technique. Yet Xianingsu, who was at the fourth layer of the Unity realm, showed absolutely no interest in the sect defending sword technique of Thousand Swords manner. Chapter 287. The second set of swordsmanship she discovered in the Qingxia ancient cave might not be inferior to the supreme ancestral sword technique of Thousand Swords manner. Xianingsu and Lu Changsheng also mastered a set of marvelous swordsmanship, the Holy Spirit Sword Art. The Holy Spirit Sword Art is extremely profound, and is no weaker than the sect defending sword skills of Thousand Swords manner. What? She actually refused the opportunity to comprehend the sect defending sword skills of Thousand Swords manner. Has this woman's taste gone too high? To ignore even the master of Thousand Swords manner, ranked among the top powers in Zhongzhou. Other sect powerhouses, especially those from Zhongzhou, were all astonished. Xianingsu did not accept Sun Jian's request, which was a slight to the sect defending sword skills of Thousand Swords manner. Really? Sun Jian asked for confirmation again. Xia Ningxiu's defiance of his will annoyed him somewhat. The sect defending sword skills of Thousand Swords manner may not necessarily be so impressive. Lu Changsheng normally kept out of conflicts, but this time, with Sun Jian using the sect defending sword skills of Thousand Swords manner to tempt Xia Ningxiu, Lu Changsheng couldn't remain indifferent. In Lu Changsheng's hands were 4 superior fairy-grade sword techniques: Divine Sword Commanding Wind Art, Divine Sword Thunder Commanding Art, Divine Sword Fire Commanding Art, and Divine Sword Commanding Water Art. Lu Changsheng was also creating his own supreme sword skills. Once he merged the essence of these 4 techniques, he would be able to create a sword technique that surpassed the fairy grade, hence it was unlikely that he would have any high regard for the sect defending sword skills of Thousand Swords manner. Boy, don't spout mad talk. Are you aware that our Thousand Swords manner is acknowledged as the #1 sword cultivator sect in this realm? Your Mount Shu might have been strong during its founding period, but at other times, how could it compare to our Thousand Swords manner? Our Thousand Swords manner could casually produce a fairy-grade swordsmanship that would take your Mount Shu a long time to comprehend. Sun Jian saw that Lu Changsheng looked down on their sect defending skills and couldn't help feeling furious. Thousand Swords manner prided itself as the strongest sword cultivator sect in this realm. How could a remote place like Mount Shu compare? In the eyes of the Zhongzhou powerhouses, cultivators from Xia State were nothing more than country folks. What kind of experiences could they have had? Master, this person dares to belittle our Thousand Swords manner. Should we encounter him at the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly, we must teach him a lesson. Indeed, our Thousand Swords manner is so powerful in Zhongzhou that even the Star Pavilion would give us some face, yet this insignificant Mount Shu dares to look down upon our sect defending sword skills. They are truly frogs at the bottom of a well. If he witnessed our master personally using the supreme sword skills, just one strike would be enough to make him utterly submit. The Supreme Elders of Thousand Swords manner spoke sarcastically, providing a way out for the pride of their sect leader. The Supreme Elders of Thousand Swords manner started from the Void Refinement realm, and there were over a dozen strong individuals in the Unity realm. The power of Thousand Swords manner was extremely formidable. Just the Unity realm Supreme Elders who accompanied Sun Jian to the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly were so numerous. They were stronger than the combined Unity realm powerhouses from the various sects in Xia State. Penglai Fairy transmitted a message to Lu Changsheng. Thousand Swords manner's power is far stronger than Wind Thunder Pavilion. You cannot continue to provoke Thousand Swords manner, instead, you must be forbearing. With your talent, you have the potential to surpass Sun Jian in the future, so do not act hastily and impulsively for the sake of short-term gratification. Penglai Fairy believed that Lu Changshen's aptitude was even superior to that of the Master of Thousand Swords manner, but Lu Changshen's time spent in cultivation was too brief, otherwise, the outcome of a battle between him and Sun Jian might be indeterminate. I am confident in myself. The auras of Lu Changsheng and Sun Jian clashed invisibly, like fire and water. Lu Changshen's true cultivation level was the peak of the 5th layer of the Unity realm. Lu Changsheng tentatively judged that his combat power might not surpass that of Sun Jian, who had attained great accomplishment in the spirit sword physique. But if he stepped into the 6th layer of the Unity realm, that might not be the case. Lu Changsheng used the simulation battle system of the Disciple Apprenticeship Simulator to spar multiple times with a simulation of the 7th sect leader of Mount Shu, Grandmaster Talon, who also possessed the spirit sword physique. Thus, Lu Changsheng had a deeper understanding of this body constitution. Moreover, Lu Changsheng had cultivated other techniques and also possessed an ultimate treasure class peerless artifact, the Nirvana Flame's Red Lotus, so he might not necessarily fear Sun Jian. You've got guts, kid, to actually release your aura and confront me with such fervor. Are you not afraid of death? A ruthless glint flickered in Sun Jian's eyes. The clash of auras between Lu Changsheng and him clearly showed defiance. He, Sun Jian, was the master of Thousand Swords manner. If the leader of a remote sect dared to challenge him, how would Thousand Swords manner establish itself among the multitude of sects in Zhongzhou in the future? Master Sun, this is our Star Pavilion's territory, I kindly ask for a bit of consideration on my behalf. The lady in green stood between Lu Changsheng and Sun Jian, clearly favoring Lu Changsheng. Additionally, if Sun Jian were to go all out on the Star Pavilion's territory, it's uncertain how much damage he would cause to the thousands of pavilions there. Humph, teaching a junior a lesson with my own hands, I presume your pavilion master will not have much to say about that. For any damage caused, our Thousand Swords manner will pay double the compensation, said Sun Jian confidently. Seeing Liu Changsheng challenge him publicly, Sun Jian felt humiliated. Thus, he circulated his cultivation technique, readying himself to make a move and teach Liu Changsheng a lesson, also taking the opportunity to let Xiaoningsu witness Thousand Swords Manor's supreme sword skills. The woman in green held a high position in Star Pavilion, but after all, she was only at the Void Refinement realm, so she was not in a position to stop Sun Jian, a powerhouse on the same level as the Pavilion Master. With the Master of Thousand Swords Manor taking action personally, even Star Pavilion cannot intervene. It seems that the sect leader of Mount Shu is in big trouble now. It's truly exciting to witness the Master of Thousand Swords Manor in action before the great meeting of Zhongzhou starts. This is the Unity Realm great accomplishment with a spirit sword physique, and not to mention the immortal sword and sword art sect leader of Mount Shu has no chance of retaliation. Other powerhouses from the major sects didn't mind escalating the situation. It wasn't bad to have some entertainment before the start of the great meeting in Zhongzhou. Liu Changsheng fully activated the 12th layer of the Taking Wuji technique, standing his ground, his figure motionless, yet his aura was fully established. Even if the opponent was the Master of Thousand Swords Manor, it was unlikely he would dare to kill another sect leader on the Star Pavilion's territory. Liu Changsheng intended to use this opportunity to break through to the 6th level of the Unity Realm in one fell swoop. Can you handle it? If not, we can join forces using the Holy Spirit sword art, and there should be a chance to defeat him, said Xiaoningsu, her voice laced with a trace of urgency as she secretly communicated with Liu Changsheng. If Liu Changsheng were to be killed because of her, she would never be at peace with herself. I should not die, replied Liu Changsheng. Liu Changsheng had the immortal divine art, golden bell shield, and the heavenly earth mystical yellow exquisite pagoda. His defenses were impeccable. Unless the opponent was significantly stronger than him, it would be difficult to kill him. Just as the tension between them reached a peak, a terrifying presence arrived. The complexions of all cultivators present changed. He is under my protection. Sun Jian, if you want to make a move, you'll need to get past me first. A delightful yet domineering female voice declared, as the Empress of Great Marshal led the Great General of the Unity Realm 6th level, the State Preceptor of the 7th level, and a squad of Imperial Guards to the scene. The Empress of Great Marshal was stunningly beautiful with bright eyes and white teeth, but her expression exuded an air of domineering arrogance unique to her own. This is the #1 powerhouse of the Wu domain, the Empress Wu Yu, a great accomplishment powerhouse of the Unity Realm. The sect leader of Mount Shu's backer is actually the Empress of Great Marshal. No wonder the sect leader of Mount Shu dares to confront the Master of Thousand Swords Manor. It turns out he has the support of the Empress of Great Marshal. Now, this will be good to watch. Some of the cultivators recognized the Empress of Great Marshal and exclaimed in surprise. After her arrival, the Empress of Great Marshal gave Liu Changsheng a knowing look. For some reason, she always felt that Liu Changsheng had limitless potential and, therefore, she deliberately protected him, hoping to foster a good bond. It's you. Sun Jian clenched his teeth. The Empress Wu Yu was not a powerhouse from Zhongzhou but was born in the Wu domain. However, her cultivation and combat strength were comparable to the top-tier powerhouses of Zhongzhou. Sun Jian had clashed with the Empress of Great Marshal before and had not come out on top. With the Empress covering for Liu Changsheng, it was not easy for Sun Jian to make his move now. Sun Jian had no choice but to rein in his aura and glared at Liu Changsheng spitefully. He really didn't understand why this guy had so much appeal with women, whether it was Xiaoningsu, Penglai Fairy, the Empress of Great Marshal, or the Lady in Green. They all seemed to favor him. Liu Changsheng felt helpless. The great meeting of Zhongzhou had not even begun, and he had already made quite a few powerful enemies. Chapter 288. Humph. Sun Jian knew that Liu Changsheng was under the protection of the Empress of Great Marshal, so he couldn't do anything to him at the moment. Thus, he snorted coldly, flicked his sleeves, and led the people of Thousand Swords Manor back to their residence. Changsheng, the cultivator level of Sun Jian you've provoked is too high, and he has achieved great accomplishment in the spirit sword physique, no less than the former sect leaders Grandmaster Talon and Grandmaster Tegzu of Mount Shu. If you draw him as your opponent in the Zhongzhou tournament, immediately forfeit. We of Mount Shu do not care about rankings, what's more important is that you gain enlightenment from this tournament. Sidu Kong did not have high hopes for Liu Changsheng to defeat Sun Jian of Thousand Swords Manor, who had already reached great accomplishment in the Unity Realm. Since Liu Changsheng was still new to cultivation, there was no need for him to clash head-on with him. I know my own limits, I won't act recklessly. Since Liu Changsheng dared to offend Sun Jian, he had his own plans. Fellow deists, please wait quietly for the Zhongzhou tournament to start, and refrain from private disputes and fights. According to the established schedule, the Zhongzhou tournament will start in 30 days. The lady in blue reminded everyone of the tournament's start time after tensions had risen amongst the crowd, and then she departed. Liu Changsheng nodded towards the Empress of Great Martial, Wu Yu, to show his appreciation. She had objectively relieved him of his predicament. I am confident about both of you. Your future achievements will surely surpass those of Sun Jian. Wu Yu had a particular interest in the two younger generations, Liu Changsheng and Xiaoningsu. Whether she was looking forward to the growth of the younger generation or was fond of this particular potential couple, Wu Yu was filled with anticipation. After Wu Yu spoke, she entered the dwelling arranged for her within Star Pavilion, accompanied by the civil and military officials of the Great Martial Dynasty. At the Zhongzhou tournament, with so many skilled practitioners, it seems we can only hope to avoid coming last with our level of cultivation. Grandmaster Chen, upon seeing absolute powerhouses like Sun Jian and Wu Yu in this realm, could not help but smile wryly. As a cultivator in the first layer of the Unity realm, Grandmaster Chen was considered a strong practitioner in Xia state. However, even if he cultivated for 10,000 years, he might not be able to match with the likes of Sun Jian and Wu Yu, the strongest cultivators of this realm. The group from Xia State stayed at the accommodations arranged by Star Pavilion, and before the start of the Zhongzhou tournament, Liu Changsheng continued to mentor his disciples. If he could obtain top-quality magical treasures or items before the start of the Zhongzhou tournament, then Liu Changsheng would have even more confidence in the event. Liu Changsheng called over his disciple Shen Xiaoao and rewarded him with an 8th rank elixir pill, the Red Emperor Dragon Strength Pill. Ding! You have rewarded your disciple Shen Xiaoao with the 8th rank elixir pill Red Emperor Dragon Strength Pill and received a 100-fold return award for mentoring, the 9th rank elixir pill Dragon Blood Returning Yuan Pill. Ding! You have rewarded your disciple Shen Xiaoao with the 8th rank elixir pill Red Emperor Dragon Strength Pill and received a 100-fold return award for mentoring, the 9th rank elixir pill Dragon Blood Returning Yuan Pill. The previous 8th rank elixir pills that were rewarded, all came back as 9th rank elixir pills. An 8th rank elixir pill returning a 9th rank elixir pill is still normal. Ding! You have rewarded your disciple Shen Xiaoao with the 8th rank elixir pill Red Emperor Dragon Strength Pill and received a 50 million-fold return award for mentoring, the 11th rank elixir pill Ancestral Dragon Multiplying Pill. Ancestral Dragon Multiplying Pill, an 11th rank immortal pill, made from the blood of an ancestral dragon, that grants a massive amount of true qi, temporarily breaks through the limit, and provides strength surpassing one's own realm. It should not be used lightly by anyone below the Unity realm who has not undergone body tempering, or else there is a high risk of the body exploding and leading to death. An 11th rank immortal pill. This was the highest grade pill Liu Changsheng had obtained. Excellent, this is the 3rd ancestral dragon multiplying pill I have received since I began my secluded cultivation. I practice the immortal divine art and can just about use this particular immortal pill. It can be said that this is currently the most suitable pill for me. Even if I obtained a 12th rank immortal pill, I wouldn't be able to use it. Liu Changsheng dared to confront Sun Jian, the Manor Lord of Thousand Swords Manor, because he had items like the Ancestral Dragon Multiplying Pill to temporarily enhance his cultivation as one of his trump cards. The Ancestral Dragon Multiplying Pill might be one of the highest level pills in this realm. 12th rank elixir pills might potentially exceed the upper limits that the body of practitioners in this realm could withstand. Even if Liu Changsheng practiced high-grade immortal body refinement methods, he could currently only withstand an 11th rank immortal pill. Any higher, and it could lead to his body exploding and resulting in death. Inside Star Pavilion, on one of the floors, a woman dressed in indigo immortal robes covered with a red sacred spirit cloak was browsing through the supreme skills of Star Pavilion. Her jet black hair was tied into twin ponytails, her presence flowing like the wind. The lady in blue arrived at that floor. Miss, do you still remember those mentor and disciples we met in the Star Immortal Emperor's cave abode? Tang Linger turned around, surprised. You mean Shen Xiaoao? He's come to the Zhongzhou tournament. The lady in blue nodded, yes, and his cultivation has reached the 5th layer of the Void Refinement Realm. Wasn't he only at the Nascent Soul Realm back then? Tang Linger's already bright eyes widened, incredulous. As the young lady of Star Pavilion, backed by the power-infusing initiation of the Supreme Elders, her cultivation soared rapidly. Over a century passed, and Tang Ling'er had reached the void refinement realm. But Shen Xiaoao, whom she had not taken seriously back then, without the powerful background of Star Pavilion, had also managed to reach the void refinement realm. Tang Ling'er recalled how Shen Xiaoao once said he wanted to be a hero who slays demons and eradicates evil. She had been doubtful at the time. With Shen Xiaoao's pace of cultivation, he would sooner or later step into the Unity realm and be on par with her. The lady in blue added, he inherited the Star Immortal Emperor's pure yang body and was guided by the sect leader of Mount Shu, which is why his cultivation progress is so rapid. I suspect that the sect leader of Mount Shu knows some technique to rapidly increase cultivation level, yet it doesn't seem like it's from the demon sects. It's quite baffling. Chapter 289. Let's go meet him. Tang Ling'er beckoned with her jade finger, drawing her sword from its sheath and taking to the skies on her flying sword, heading towards the place where the people of Mount Shu resided. At this moment, Shen Xiaoao was receiving a power-infusing initiation from Lu Changsheng. Ding! You have transmitted 5,000 days of heavenly cultivation to your disciple Shen Xiaoao. Shen Xiaoao actually received 800 days of cultivation. You have received the disciple instruction reward of 100-fold return, 80,000 days of heavenly cultivation. Lu Changsheng suddenly had an additional 80,000 days of heavenly cultivation, and within his qi, a tremendous surge of spiritual energy emerged. Lu Changsheng could step into the 6th level of the Unity realm at any time. Master will be in seclusion for a while. Disciple takes his leave. Seeing that his master was preparing to enter seclusion just before the battle, Shen Xiaoao, accustomed to this, took his leave with several 8th-grade elixir pills bestowed by his master and proceeded to cultivate on his own. The 800 days of power transmitted by Lu Changsheng were enough for Shen Xiaoao to refine for some time. The 800 days of cultivation strength from a 5th-level Unity Realm expert were extraordinarily vast. Shen Xiaoao. Is it you? A familiar voice rang out, and Shen Xiaoao looked up to the diagonally above, where a woman of breathtaking beauty, with an ethereal temperament, was sitting by the wall, and beside her stood a girl in green clothes. Do you still remember me? Tang Ling'er noticed that Shen Xiaoao had undergone a transformation in temperament, his features becoming even more handsome and dashing, his clear eyes filled with a touch of appreciation. What surprised Tang Ling'er even more was that Shen Xiaoao had indeed become a void refinement realm expert and was on the path to enter the Unity realm, with hopes of ascending to the immortal realm. Of course, I remember. I, Shen Xiaoao, owe you a favor. If there's anything you need, I will definitely repay you. The condition is that it must not harm the principle of righteousness. Pfft, are you still intent on repaying the favor? Do you know who I am? If I ask you to repay the favor, I'm afraid you simply won't be able to. I know, you are the Supreme Elder of the Star Pavilion, right? I am a Supreme Elder of Mount Shu. Our cultivations are similar, so if you encounter trouble, I think I might be able to help. Over the last 100 years, Shen Xiaoao had received dozens of immortal artifacts and countless 8th-grade elixir pills from Lu Changsheng. Although Shen Xiaoao only had the cultivation of the 5th level of the void refinement realm, he possessed the capability to fight across levels. Tang Ling'er's cultivation seemed comparable to his own, so any enemy she faced, Shen Xiaoao should be able to handle as well. Tang Ling'er's lips curved into a slight smile. Do you know that I am the daughter of the Star Pavilion's Pavilion Master? There are numerous Supreme Elders within my sect willing to help me with my troubles. Why would I need your help? This. Shen Xiaoao was stunned. He had never imagined that Tang Ling'er was actually the daughter of the sect leader of the most prominent sect in Zhongzhou. The Star Pavilion had countless strong cultivators, with the number of Unity Realm experts being in the double digits. If anyone dared to bully Tang Ling'er, the mighty of the Star Pavilion would swarm out, reducing the offender to ashes, and even digging up their ancestors 18 generations back? In that light, Tang Ling'er truly did not need Shen Xiaoao to repay any favor. What do you say? Tang Ling'er smiled, her eyes curving up, curious to see Shen Xiaoao's reaction, wondering how he would respond. Shen Xiaoao scratched his head. Although I'm not able to help you now, I will cultivate diligently. As soon as I reach great accomplishment in the Unity Realm, I should be able to help you then, right? It seems you are quite confident in yourself. Seeing Shen Xiaoao's steadfast Dao heart, Tang Ling'er's admiration grew deeper. For some reason, Tang Ling'er found that when she was close to Shen Xiaoao, her pure yin body absorbed the nature's spiritual energy faster. The legacy of the Star Tower has two forms, one suited for a pure yang body and one for a pure yin body. The pure yang body and the pure yin body complement each other, with yin and yang harmoniously blending. A natural attraction exists between these two constitutions. Lu Changsheng was currently setting up a formation to shield his aura, preparing for a breakthrough in the final period before the commencement of the Grand Assembly in Zhongzhou. Suddenly, the Disciple Apprenticeship Simulator responded. Ding! The system has searched for a suitable disciple candidate. One has been found. Ding! The disciple candidate identified by the system is named Tang Linger. The system is loading the information of the other party. Name, Tang Linger. Race, human. Talent, pure yin body, water spirit root, innate spirit vein, quick-witted and clever. Cultivation, 5th layer of the void refinement realm. Identity, daughter of the Star Pavilion Pavilion Master. As Lu Changsheng's realm advanced, the Disciple Apprenticeship Simulator became increasingly stringent in its requirements for disciples' qualifications, and it had been a long time since it suggested taking any disciples. A pure yin body? This physique, it seems to be a natural match with the special physique of my 4th disciple, Shen Xiaoao. Lu Changsheng knew that his 4th disciple, Shen Xiaoao, had a pure yang body, which was a perfect match for Tang Linger's pure yin body. Tang Linger's identity as the daughter of the Star Pavilion Pavilion Master was not surprising to Lu Changsheng, as he had already speculated as much. When Tang Linger was in the Dao Palace realm, she had commanded a woman in blue who was at the 8th layer of the Void Refinement realm. Since the woman in blue also had a mid-grade immortal sword, Tang Linger's status in the Star Pavilion must certainly be very high. Disciple, you should make an effort to get on good terms with Tang Linger and ask her to show you around the Star Pavilion. This is your master's instruction. Lu Changsheng secretly transmitted his voice to Shen Xiaoao, telling him to improve Tang Linger's impression of him. Anyway, judging by Shen Xiaoao and Tang Linger's reactions toward each other, they both seemed to have a favorable impression of one another. If Mount Shu were to form a marital alliance with the Star Pavilion, it would be greatly beneficial to Mount Shu in the future. This. Upon receiving Lu Changsheng's voice transmission, Shen Xiaoao did not understand why his master wanted him to act in such a way. But a master's order is difficult to disobey. With his master being so good to him, how could he go against his master's wishes? After hesitating for a moment, Shen Xiaoao said to Tang Linger, Miss Tang, I am very interested in the number 1 great sect of Zhongzhou and would like to visit the Star Pavilion. I wonder if Miss Tang would be willing to act as my guide. Ah! Tang Linger, who had never been requested in such a manner, rolled her eyes and replied, Well, I am idle anyway, so I might as well show you some of the extraordinary aspects of our Star Pavilion. Tang Linger jumped down from the red wall and approached Shen Xiaoao, her stunningly beautiful face drawing near, causing Shen Xiaoao to involuntarily step back with a flushed face. Tang Linger stared into Shen Xiaoao's eyes, trying to discern if his next answer would be a lie. Strange, how did you cultivate? Our physiques are similar, but your cultivation speed is still a bit faster than mine. Could it be that someone in Mount Shu is also performing a power-infusing initiation for you? This, I cannot reveal. Shen Xiaoao had received power-infusing initiation from Lu Changsheng, and Lu Changsheng had warned his disciples never to reveal how their master had helped them improve their cultivation, so even if Tang Linger had shown kindness to Shen Xiaoao, he would not tell her. HMMPH, I already know. Tang Linger, being quick-witted and clever, inferred much from Shen Xiaoao's reaction. Let's go. With a swish of her skirt, Tang Linger led Shen Xiaoao on a tour of the Star Pavilion. The Star Pavilion had a profound foundation, and some of its true treasures and methods were not visible on the surface, so Tang Linger was not afraid of revealing the Star Pavilion's secrets by showing Shen Xiaoao around its layout and what was apparent. The woman in blue transmitted a message to Tang Linger, Miss, the Pavilion Master intends to choose the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, the second largest sect in Zhongzhou, to be your husband. The people from the Dragon Tiger sect will arrive shortly, and if they discover you with him. Aunt Zhu, I have grown up, you don't need to worry about my matters, replied Tang Linger, pouting and unconcerned. Her father, the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion, had only her as a daughter, and if she protested, it was likely he would not insist. Deep within the Star Pavilion, a group of formidable figures strode in with the majesty of dragons and tigers, as they were greeted personally by the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion. Ha ha ha, our Dragon Tiger sect is only second to your Star Pavilion in Zhongzhou. If our 2 great sects were to marry, there would be no rivals left in this world. The sect master of the Dragon Tiger sect exuded an aura of dominance that was similar to that of the Star Pavilion master, with their presence clashing like a dragon battling a tiger. The sect master of the Dragon Tiger sect was also one of the favorites to win at the upcoming Zhongzhou Grand Assembly. Stepping forward from the ranks of the Dragon Tiger sect's strong men, the young sect leader bowed to the Star Pavilion master. "Your future son-in-law pays respects to his father-in-law." The Star Pavilion master waved his hand. "Besides the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly, I plan to hold an additional competition to find a suitable husband for my daughter. The candidate has not yet been determined, and you are just one of the prospects I approve of. There's no need to call me father-in-law yet." Full of confidence, the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect proclaimed assertively, "Your future son-in-law will certainly defeat the young geniuses from various domains and marry Miss Tang." Chapter 290. Young sect leader, with your talent to reach the 7th layer of the Void Refinement Realm in less than 300 years and defeat all kinds of geniuses, it's virtually a sure thing that you'll marry the daughter of Star Pavilion. Hehe, the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion only has one daughter. Once he ascends to the Immortal Realm, the young sect leader may even take over the Star Pavilion. By then, our Dragon Tiger sect merging with Star Pavilion could sweep this realm. The elders of the Dragon Tiger sect surrounded the young sect leader like stars around the moon, flattering him as much as possible. Once the Dragon Tiger sect and Star Pavilion were united in marriage, the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect might become the most powerful figure in this realm. When the young sect leader heard the group of elders, even those from the Unity realm who were supreme elders, flattering him, he couldn't help but feel elated. Some people are born in Rome, and he was indeed such a person. Suddenly, an elder of the Dragon Tiger sect said, "Young sect leader, look, isn't that Tang Linger from Star Pavilion? Why is she with a strange man?" The young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect looked in the direction the elder was pointing and saw a fair-faced girl with a pert nose, dressed in an indigo immortal gown, introducing the architecture of Star Pavilion to a man. The young sect leader's face slowly turned ashen. What was Tang Linger's status that she would act as a tour guide for someone else? If it were not Tang Linger's wish. Moreover, Shen Xiaoao seemed young and was laughing and talking with Tang Linger. "Miss Tang, may I know who this young and promising man is?" The young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, with a group of Dragon Tiger sect elders, blocked Tang Linger, Shen Xiaoao and the lady in green, speaking in a displeased tone. He had already regarded Tang Linger as his future partner. If she were to be snatched away by a random pretty face, where would he, the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, put his face? "Humph, that's none of your business." Tang Linger ignored the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect. The lady in green transmitted her voice to Shen Xiaoao, "This person is Changsheng, the young sect leader of Zhongzhou's second largest sect, the Dragon Tiger sect, also a standout among Zhongzhou's younger generation. Try not to provoke him." The lady in green noticed Tang Linger's fondness for Shen Xiaoao but didn't want Shen Xiaoao to offend the young sect leader Changsheng because of it. The Dragon Tiger sect was also an ancient sect in Zhongzhou, second only to the Star Pavilion in heritage. Although the overall strength of Star Pavilion was stronger than that of Dragon Tiger sect, under normal circumstances, they would not engage in a fight to the death. Star Pavilion, Dragon Tiger sect, and Thousand Swords Manor, these three major sects of Zhongzhou, maintained a delicate balance. In the eyes of the lady in green, Mount Shu's strength was far inferior to that of the Dragon Tiger sect. If Dragon Tiger sect took action against Mount Shu in secret, Mount Shu could be faced with great disaster. Changsheng, seeing Tang Linger ignoring him, vented his anger on Shen Xiaoao sarcastically, "With friends coming from afar, it's only right for me, the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect from Zhongzhou, to entertain them. Young brother, which sect are you from?" "I am a disciple of Mount Shu." Shen Xiaoao knew the Zhongzhou conference was about to start and couldn't hide his origin, so he straightforwardly admitted it. Changsheng spoke with a malicious undertone, "Mount Shu? I have some impression. It has produced only 2 or 3 peerless geniuses. In the past few Zhongzhou conferences, Mount Shu hardly made an impression. I heard that they don't even have many Unity Realm cultivators left. You from Mount Shu came to participate in the Zhongzhou conference mostly to broaden your horizons. It's true, people from Mount Shu like you should indeed broaden your horizons in our Zhongzhou, considering that the sect leader of Mount Shu is doomed to a quick defeat." Shen Xiaoao clenched his fist. The other party could mock him, but not his master, my master will certainly achieve a ranking. Not even the supreme elder of our Dragon Tiger sect is an opponent for the sect leader of Mount Shu, let alone my father. Changsheng saw Shen Xiaoao defending his master and took the opportunity to actively mock Lu Changsheng. Shen Xiaoao's anger was fully ignited. Even if the other party was the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, Shen Xiaoao was not afraid of trouble. Tang Linger, seeing Shen Xiaoao annoyed at Changsheng mocking his master, took hold of Shen Xiaoao's arm. Let me take you to visit the Star Pavilion itself, ignore him. Tang Linger's words calmed Shen Xiaoao slightly. The Zhongzhou conference would start soon, it was better not to cause any trouble for his master at this time. Linger. Changsheng, with his jealousy flaring at witnessing Tang Linger's closeness to Shen Xiaoao, and with the Dragon Tiger sect's people in tow, was about to follow them but was stopped by the lady in green. That area ahead is an important place of our Star Pavilion. Even if you are the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, you can't enter. Damn it! Changsheng ground his teeth. Tang Linger was so nice to a person she'd barely met, even taking him to see the main pavilion of Star Pavilion. Young sect leader, what should we do now? I will crush him completely in the Zhongzhou conference, rendering him a cripple. Let's see if Linger will still fancy him then. Changsheng's eyes were filled with murderous intent. One couldn't kill easily in the Zhongzhou conference, as it could lead to enmity, but as long as Changsheng controlled the situation, he could completely cripple Shen Xiaoao's cultivation, turning Shen Xiaoao into a mortal. Compared to the lengthy lives of those in the Unity realm, a mortal's existence is like an ant's, quickly turning into a handful of yellow soil. With his status as the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, even if he crippled Shen Xiaoao, Mount Shu would hardly dare offend the Dragon Tiger sect. From above the Star Pavilion, a couple with middle-aged features looked down sharply, their gaze piercing through the clouds surrounding the pavilion, witnessing the scene unfolding below. Strange? Since when did Linger know that youngster? Chapter 291. The Star Pavilion Master was puzzled. He never knew his daughter had gotten to know a young man from abroad. In Zhongzhou, where sects were numerous like clouds in the sky, to be honest, he didn't think much of cultivators from other states. The exceedingly beautiful woman beside the Star Pavilion Master scolded, "You are only focused on cultivating and solidifying your realm, hardly ever caring about your daughter's affairs." Last time Linger went to the Star Immortal Emperor's cave dwelling, she inherited the pure yin body at the Star Tower. There was also another person who received the inheritance, likely to have obtained the pure yang body. That person is probably the young man down there playing with Linger. Pure yang body. The Star Pavilion Master's eyes lit up. Originally, the son-in-law he had approved of was Changsheng, the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect. Changsheng ranked first among the gifted youths of Zhongzhou, had talents similar to Tang Linger, with a very high probability of ascending to the immortal realm in the future, and as the young sect leader of the second largest sect in Zhongzhou, he held a lofty status. But now, with the appearance of Shen Xiaoao, who possessed a pure yang body, the Star Pavilion Master found himself considering another candidate for his son-in-law. A pure yang body paired with a pure yin body was said to be a match made in heaven, beneficial to both parties' cultivation. The exceedingly beautiful woman said, according to ancient records, the pure yang body and pure yin body are top-grade special physiques. Once they reach great accomplishment, complementing each other, their power is unimaginable. The fact that Linger and this boy each obtained one of the inheritances at the Star Tower must also be a kind of fate. Listening to his wife, the Star Pavilion Master asked, "What is the background of this young man?" Xiaozhu said that the boy is a mortal from Xia State who later became a disciple of the sect leader of Mount Shu. By lucky coincidence, he obtained the pure yang body and since then, his cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds. A mortal, Mount Shu, his background does seem a bit lacking. I plan to hold a martial arts competition for Linger's hand in marriage at the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly, where I'll take a closer look at what makes him extraordinary. On the day before the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly began, the place where the delegation from Mount Shu was staying saw a radical change in Lu Changsheng's aura, which soared dramatically. Lu Changsheng opened his eyes, which were like the vast stars. He had finally made a breakthrough from the peak of the 5th level of the Unity Realm to the 6th level of the Unity Realm before the start of the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly. The 5th and 6th levels of the Unity Realm were considered mid-level among the strong practitioners of the various state sects. However, Lu Changsheng possessed ultimate treasures and had cultivated various immortal realm cultivation techniques, enabling him to exhibit strength beyond that of the 6th level of the Unity Realm. Xianingsu also made a breakthrough. Lu Changsheng noticed that due to the substantial amount of cultivation he gained from returning his students' cultivation, and the dual cultivation system returning part of it to Xianingsu, she had also made an unexpected breakthrough, stepping from the 4th level into the 5th level of the Unity Realm. Xianingsu was not weak in strength either and had the ability to fight beyond her level. The Inquiry Immortal Pavilion's performance at the past Zhongzhou Grand Assemblies wasn't as good as Mount Shu's, with only Fairy King Xia making it into the top 8. The exceptional genius who had founded the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion had not participated in the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly. As it was rare for the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion to have an unrivaled genius like Xianingsu, the sect placed high hopes on her. In this realm, strong practitioners were as common as clouds, and even making it into the top 32 was enough to prove a sect's strength. Before the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly started, Lu Changsheng and Xianingsu were both desperately working on increasing their cultivation and comprehending the Sword Dao. As for Yu Suanji, Grand Master Chen, Master Wuxiang, Pen Glai Fairy, and others who knew of their cultivation compared to this Zhongzhou Grand Assembly's lineup, were just making up the numbers. They decided to throw in the towel, spending time exchanging cultivation insights with strong practitioners from other states to gain experience, not worrying about rankings. This is a 10th grade Immortal Pill 9 Dragons Empowerment Pill. Before the start of the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly, Lu Changsheng gave 2 10th grade Immortal Pills to Xianingsu. The 9 Dragons Empowerment Pill could temporarily enhance cultivation, and if Xianingsu's realm was inferior to her opponents, using this pill would allow her to fight against stronger sect practitioners. And this is an 11th grade Immortal Pill Ancestral Dragon Multiplying Pill, its effects are several times more potent than the 9 Dragons Empowerment Pill. It should only be used in dire circumstances, or else there's a high risk of one's body exploding and dying. Lu Changsheng gave Xianingsu another Immortal Pill to preserve her life. He had been in seclusion for 140 years, amassing a large number of 9th grade elixir pills, 10th grade immortal pills, and even a few 11th grade immortal pills, so this immortal pill wasn't much. As Xianingsu's cultivation improved, she could return her cultivation and understanding of the Dao to Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng figured it was a deal he couldn't lose. Why are you being so good to me? Xianingsu received 10th grade and 11th grade immortal pills, which even to Unity Realm experts were worth a fortune. Her beautiful eyes roved, and her clear gaze was lustrous. Lu Changsheng had given her countless elixir pills over the years, otherwise, her cultivation couldn't have advanced by leaps and bounds. Now Lu Changsheng was saying he would give away an 11th grade immortal pill just like that. Because I don't want anything bad to happen to you, he said. Lu Changsheng was also counting on Xianingsu's improvement in cultivation to help him ascend to the immortal realm faster. This was also considered another method of mentorship. Of course, to say there was no selfishness involved would not be entirely true. Holding the purple gold bagua containing the immortal pill, Xianingsu was deeply moved. I shall diligently cultivate and then ascend to the immortal realm together. The next day, the Great Zhongzhou Conference officially began, with Star Pavilion disciples guiding the strong cultivators from all the great states to the venue. The person responsible for leading the cultivators from Xia State to the venue was a woman in green named Xiaozu. In the history of the Zhongzhou deliberation, there have always been many powerful experts. Even our Star Pavilion's martial arts platform can hardly withstand the aftermath of the battles, so the deliberation is held in Dragon Arena. Dragon Arena is a semi-independent space opened up by an ancient power, one that will not affect this world even if it is destroyed inside. The amazing thing about Dragon Arena is that, although it's an independent space, it can draw in nature's spiritual energy from outside, so even Unity Realm experts can exert their full strength inside. Dragon Arena is also the place where our Star Pavilion's experts cultivate to comprehend the Dao before ascending to the immortal realm, to prevent the ninefold heavenly tribulation from damaging the Star Pavilion. This is a public secret. The woman in green briefly explained the venue of the Zhongzhou deliberation to the group from Xia State. With a gesture, she drew her mid-grade immortal sword and flew on it alongside Lu Changsheng, Xianingsu, Yu Suanji, and others toward the entrance to Dragon Arena behind the Star Pavilion's mountain. In the rear mountain of the Star Pavilion was a cave abode, where streaks of light from swords in flight entered. Following the woman in green, Lu Changsheng's group entered the cave abode. With a flash of white light, the scene abruptly opened up, and everyone found themselves in a vast and boundless space. This independent space named Dragon Arena by the Star Pavilion had a huge square space in the middle, which must be the martial arts platform. The martial arts platform was not flamboyant at all, because once Unity Realm experts went all out, any platform would be destroyed, so it was just a flat area where one could fight to their heart's content. Next to the martial arts platform was a spectator's stand, with a divine column shaped like a ram's head on each side. The array formed by these columns could negate the aftermath of sparring Unity Realm experts, protecting the onlookers and allowing them to observe the competing parties' techniques and divine skills, and to witness the profound techniques from all over the great states. This is the 4-ram square venerable array. Even if it takes a direct hit from a peak Unity Realm expert, it will not break immediately, so rest assured, she explained. The woman in green led the group from Xia State to the spectator stands within the 4-ram square venerable array. Groups of strong cultivators were entering the spectator stands. These experts came from all the great states, their auras mighty, each with an air of defiance toward the others. The Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley, the sect leaders of Profound Saber Sect, Penglay Fairy and others, together with the elders and disciples who accompanied them, were all on the spectator stands. Penglay Fairy even nodded to Lu Changsheng as a special gesture. Because he had suffered losses at the hands of Lu Changsheng before, the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley glowered viciously at Lu Changsheng, wishing to be the first to face him in the Great Zhongzhou Conference and humiliate him in front of experts from all the states. However, Lu Changsheng simply ignored the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley. The Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley was at the 6th level of the Unity Realm, and Lu Changsheng's cultivation had already caught up with him. Chapter 292. Empress of the Great Martial Dynasty. Master of the Thousand Swords Manor. Master of the Sky Lake Pavilion. Sect Master of the Profound Heaven Sect. One after another, powerful figures from various sects arrived. These sect leaders had profound cultivation levels. With every breath they took, nature's spiritual energy surged and roiled around them. Among them were powerhouses on the level of Wu Yu and Sun Jian, who had reached the great accomplishment of the Unity Realm. When Sun Jian arrived, he fiercely glared at Lu Changsheng. Conveniently, at this meeting in Zhongzhou, he could properly teach Lu Changsheng a harsh lesson. If he desired, he could even cripple Lu Changsheng's cultivation, turning him into a useless person. How strange! Lu Changsheng's gaze wasn't on Sun Jian. Instead, he noticed the sect master of the Profound Heaven Sect. The aura of the other party was extremely strong. With just one glance at Lu Changsheng, it made his back break out in cold sweat. Sidu Kong said, "Changsheng, what's wrong?" Lu Changsheng's expression was grave. The sect master of the Profound Heaven Sect's strength might not be inferior to Sun Jian of the Thousand Swords Manor. Are you saying his realm has also reached the great accomplishment of the Unity Realm? To my knowledge, the Profound Heaven Sect is just an obscure sect in Dan State. They've only had one person make it to the top 64 in previous meetings. They have even less presence than our Mount Shu. After all, Mount Shu once had its moment of glory. Could it be that at this meeting in Zhongzhou, the Profound Heaven Sect has produced a peerless genius? Indeed, the meeting is teeming with hidden dragons and crouching tigers, a true gathering of talents. Reminded by Lu Changsheng, Sidu Kong also noticed the hint of vastness and profundity in the breath of the sect master of the Profound Heaven Sect. It was indeed the aura of one who had reached the great accomplishment of the Unity Realm. However, the aura of the individual was chilling, sending shivers down one's spine. The meeting in Zhongzhou was a place where hidden dragons and crouching tigers lay. It was entirely possible that peerless powerhouses emerged from various domains. The sect master of the Dragon Tiger Sect has arrived. The Dragon Tiger Sect is the second largest sect in Zhongzhou, second only to the Star Pavilion. A terrifying aura accompanied a group of cultivators dressed in the same daoist robes, prompting a wave of astonishment among the crowd. The Dragon Tiger Sect, second only to the Star Pavilion, was one of the few sects that had never fallen from grace over millions of years. Sect Master Zhang Qinglong of the Dragon Tiger Sect, a peak powerhouse of the Unity Realm, is also one of the hot contenders for the championship of this meeting. The sect powerhouses of Zhongzhou are numerous and extraordinary in their cultivation. Lu Changsheng found that there were no fewer than 10 practitioners in Zhongzhou who had reached the great accomplishment of the Unity Realm, including the supreme elders of the Thousand Swords Manor and the Dragon Tiger Sect. However, each sect could only send one representative to battle, so even the powerful sects like the Thousand Swords Manor and the Dragon Tiger Sect, each with more than one powerhouse at the great accomplishment of the Unity Realm, had to choose only the strongest to fight. The number one person of each sect represented the mastery of all sorts of cultivation techniques of that sect and was a master of their generation. The young sect leader Changsheng, who stood beside the sect master of the Dragon Tiger sect, glared viciously at Shen Xiaoao, Lu Changshen's disciple, and then followed the sect master Zhang Qinglong into the viewing platform. Sects such as the Dragon Tiger sect and the Thousand Swords Manor stood above other sects and occupied the upper seats of the viewing platform, just below the Star Pavilion. Xiaoao, did you offend the Dragon Tiger sect? Seeing the hostile gaze of the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect towards his fourth disciple, Lu Changsheng knew that there must have been a falling out between them. Shen Xiaoao replied, Master, it was not I who caused trouble. This man grew jealous upon seeing me grow close to Tang Linger. He kept looking for trouble, and he repeatedly spoke disrespectfully of Master. If I had not been concerned about causing you trouble at this meeting, I would have taught him a lesson long ago. No matter. Lu Changsheng had not expected that on this trip to Zhongzhou, before gaining any insights, they had already offended the second and third ranked powerful sects of the Thousand Swords Manor and the Dragon Tiger sect. The master and disciple were both remembered with spite by the Thousand Swords Manor and Dragon Tiger sect, and for a woman at that such attention was indeed unique. However, his disciple truly was a son of fortune. A mortal from Heluo City, not only had he obtained a pure yang body in the immortal ruins, but he was also involved with the daughter of the number one sect's Star Pavilion. Indeed, it was the treatment of a son of the plain. So even in the presence of someone with the distinguished status of the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, he could only play a supporting role to the son of fortune. Master means. Shen Xiaoao was surprised, sensing from his master's tone that he might cover for him even if he harmed the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect. Our Mount Shu doesn't provoke trouble lightly, but we won't let others bully us either. The next time he seeks trouble, if you believe you can defeat him, teach him a lesson. If you can't, focus on preserving your life. Lu Changsheng had his own philosophy of mentoring disciples. If you can win, don't give in. If you can't win, survive and grow. After all, with Lu Changsheng as a personal battery, few could surpass his disciple's growth rate. Disciple understands. Shen Xiaoao was thrilled. Having a reliable master to back you up is truly empowering. What does it matter if it's the Dragon Tiger sect? If there's trouble, Master will have his back. The Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion and the elders have arrived. Finally, the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion, who was presiding over the meeting, arrived. Dressed in the zodiac star doe robe, with his hands folded behind his back, walking with the poise of a dragon and vigor of a tiger, his aura was terrifyingly immense, like a collapsing black hole. Beside the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion was a lively-eyed, twin-tailed girl in an indigo dress. Her bright gaze fell on Shen Xiaoao at Lu Changshen's side, her smile blossoming like a flower. The gaze of the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion swept over the master and disciple from the King Yun Peak of Mount Shu. Seeing that Shen Xiaoao might become his son-in-law, the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion inevitably paid him some attention. Chapter 293. And the sect leader of the Star Pavilion was quite interested in the cultivation level of Shen Xiaoao's master. After all, Mount Shu had seen the rise of a peerless genius such as Daoist taking, and no one could say for sure if there wouldn't be a second Daoist taking. The eyes of the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion lingered only for a moment, unable to perceive Lu Changshen's true level of cultivation, revealing a hint of surprise. Apart from the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion, a gathering of the Supreme Elders of the Star Pavilion arrived, and the number of masters in the Unity Realm was no less than 20. This was the foundation of Zhongzhou's number one sect. Since the mighty ones from the various states have arrived, let's begin the Dao discussion conference, said the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion as he swept his gaze across those present, his eyes sharp as knives. As the Zhongzhou conference began, a Supreme Elder from the Star Pavilion took charge of the drawing of lots, with each sect being assigned a number. In this realm, there were well over 1,000 sects. Lu Changsheng, representing Mount Shu, drew a lot, and the number on the paper was 1. Lu Changsheng, upon receiving this slip of paper, furrowed his brow and deliberately glanced at the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion. Somehow, he always felt that the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion had deliberately intervened, otherwise, the coincidence of Lu Changsheng being the first to perform was just too convenient. Xiaoningsu, representing the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, drew her lot and showed the paper to Lu Changsheng. My number is 720, so it looks like we are not in the same half. This is good news. Xiaoningsu let out a sigh of relief. If the two were in the same half, there was a chance they would have to face each other early on. Xiaoningsu was not too keen on battling Lu Changsheng. Grandmaster Chen drew the number 136, although he was not worried about facing Lu Changsheng, having prepared himself for a potential first-round defeat. Yu Suanji drew the number 1024. Master Wuxiang, it's your turn for your immeasurable temple to draw lots, Grandmaster Chen said when he noticed the abbot of the immeasurable temple was unmoving, prompting confusion. Amitabha Buddha, the representative from our immeasurable temple isn't the old monk here but one of our elders, Master Wuxiang declared, turning to an old monk beside him that seemed as withered as a dead tree. The various sects from Xia state were all astonished. No one had expected the immeasurable temple to send an unknown old monk to fight in their stead. The old monk went up to draw a lot, and the number was 452. Lu Changsheng, Grandmaster Chen and the nameless elder monk were in the upper half, whereas Xiaoningsu and Yu Suanji were in the lower half. Now that our friends have finished drawing lots, let's start the first round of the competition without delay. Could number 1 and number 2 please step up to the stage? Announced the Supreme Elder of the Star Pavilion presiding over the Zhongzhou conference. The eyes of everyone swept across the area, searching for the first pair to confront each other. Master, good luck. Lin Qingzi, Lu Qinglian, Emma Huaji, Shen Xiaoao, Ji Xian and Chen Yao, several disciples, knew that their master's number was 1 and were all cheering for Lu Changsheng. This is Lu Changsheng, sect leader of Mount Shu, the number 1 sect from Xia state. Why is his aura so elusive? His realm seems to fluctuate somewhere between the 2nd to 4th level of the Unity realm. As Lu Changsheng was the first to enter the battle, he instantly became the subject of many discussions. Mount Shu had gained some notoriety 50,000 years ago, with Daoist taking once suppressing his rivals and claiming victory at the Zhongzhou Dao discussion conference. As the new sect leader of Mount Shu, many were naturally curious about the extent of Lu Changsheng's cultivation. Lu Changshen's innate Taoist body concealed his true power, constantly emanating an aura somewhere between the 2nd and 4th levels of the Unity realm, leaving the crowd guessing. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect your first opponent to be me. You might as well prepare to roll off the stage now. Bellowed the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley as he flew out from the crowd, stepping into the air to confront Lu Changsheng on the martial arts platform. It looks like the sect leader of Mount Shu will be facing Yun Tianba, the Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley. Yun Tianba is a 6th level Unity Realm powerhouse, and Raging Flame Valley's sect defending skills are the immortal grade mid-tier Supreme Heaven Burning Art. Mount Shu's sect leader is in for some serious trouble. The sect leader of Mount Shu appears quite young yet possesses such cultivation, it is truly remarkable. However, he is still too young. I heard that not long ago, there was a dispute between the sect leader of Mount Shu and Yun Tianba over the Fairy Pavilion Master. Given Yun Tianba's domineering nature, he definitely won't pull his punches. Yun Tianba is notorious for being brutally merciless. He once wiped out a powerful sect that had offended Raging Flame Valley completely. It's very possible that this Lu Changsheng could end up crippled by Yun Tianba. The spectators on the viewing platform were not optimistic about Lu Changshen's prospects. With Yun Tianba's clearly higher realm and his experience in numerous tough battles, the odds seemed to favor his victory. The pavilion master of the Star Pavilion squinted his eyes, eager to witness the cultivation of this current sect leader of Mount Shu. It seems I won't have to make a move myself after all, which is quite regrettable. Sun Jian of Thousand Swords Manor watched Yun Tianba and Lu Changsheng facing off coldly, lamenting that he couldn't be the one to defeat Lu Changsheng himself. You brat, let me show you the supreme skills of our Raging Flame Valley. Yun Tianba channeled his cultivation technique with full force, fiery blaze reaching to the skies, and waves of heat surging tumultuously. Yun Tianba had reached great accomplishment in the supreme heaven burning art, his presence like the all-consuming fires of heaven. With the beginning of the Zhongzhou conference, Yun Tianba could unleash his full strength to teach Lu Changsheng a lesson. Lu Changshen's face was expressionless as he secretly circulated the taking Wuji technique. The opponent was at the 6th level of the Unity realm. Lu Changsheng didn't need to exert all his strength. With a flick of his left hand, a immortal sword rose to the sky behind him. A deep blue radiance flourished, and this mid-grade immortal sword summoned the 9 heavens' divine thunder, with lightning flickering. This was one of the 7 swords that formed the 7-star sword formation. Mid-grade immortal sword. Mount Shu still has some heritage, able to bring out a mid-grade immortal sword. Those present were somewhat surprised, but not shocked, to see Lu Changsheng bring out a mid-grade immortal sword. However, Lu Changsheng brought out a second mid-grade immortal sword. Once the shaking light sword appeared, its sword light soared thousands of feet, like a dazzling star. Then, Lu Changsheng brought out a third mid-grade immortal sword. This mid-grade immortal sword was the opening sun sword. The moment it appeared, yang energy crisscrossed, like a blazing sun. A third mid-grade immortal sword. The spectators were all astonished. Lu Changsheng brought out 3 mid-grade immortal swords in one breath. Immortal sword magical treasures are rare among all types of magical artifacts. Such heritage had already surpassed many sects. But Lu Changsheng was not finished. A 4th mid-grade immortal sword was unsheathed. A 5th mid-grade immortal sword was unsheathed. As the Tianshu, Tianji, Tianchuan and a 4th mid-grade immortal sword rose to the sky, they totaled 7 mid-grade immortal swords. Mount Shu's heritage is so profound, casually bringing out 7 mid-grade immortal swords. Not only that, these 7 mid-grade immortal swords seem to be a set of treasures, their combined power not inferior to a high-grade immortal artifact. Many sect powerhouses were shocked that Lu Changsheng actually had 7 mid-grade immortal swords at his disposal from the very first round. Quite interesting. The pavilion master of the Star Pavilion showed a hint of surprise upon seeing Lu Changsheng invoke the 7 mid-grade immortal swords. This Mount Shu sect leader indeed had some unusual aspects. Sun Jian initially thought that Lu Changsheng would be easy to handle, but Lu Changshen's first move was to bring out 7 mid-grade immortal swords. 7-star sword formation, rise. Lu Changsheng controlled the Big Dipper 7 swords, forming the 7-star sword formation, which enveloped Yun Tianba. Yun Tianba's face turned pale. The 7-star sword formation was a celestial grade sword formation. With the addition of the Big Dipper 7 swords invoking the power of the Big Dipper 7 stars, the 7-star sword formation's power was doubled, its sword chi crisscrossing the sky. 7 pillars of light that reached to the heavens pierced the sky, shaking the very earth. Lu Changsheng was like a sword immortal. With a change in hand seal, the Big Dipper 7 swords were activated, each immortal sword shuttling through space, carrying a sharp sound that seemed to tear apart the void, thrusting towards Yun Tianba. Yun Tianba brandished a mid-grade immortal artifact-level profound saber to counter the Big Dipper 7 swords. The clash of immortal artifacts produced earth-shattering booms. The power of the 7-star sword formation was too strong, each sword seemed unstoppable. Yun Tianba, who just now was proudly boasting, now only had the strength to barely parry. With a hiss, the Yu Hung Star Sword, amidst the fray with Yun Tianba and the other Big Dipper 7 swords, cut through Yun Tianba's mystical armor, leaving a trail of blood. Yun Tianba was startled, and the Heavenly Authority sword stabbed from behind, the mid-grade immortal artifact, with the power of the stars from the sword formation, once again broke through Yun Tianba's mystical armor and body. Pu. Yun Tianba spat out a mouthful of blood. He had actually been injured by Lu Changsheng. If not for Lu Changshen's consideration of the other participants at the Zhongzhou convention, Yun Tianba might have already been killed. Lu Changsheng deliberately spared his life, using only the 7-star sword formation, and the formation continued to speed up. I am defeated. Spare my life. Yun Tianba, fearing that Lu Changsheng might harbor killing intent, quickly showed weakness and begged for mercy. For a moment, the crowd was in an uproar. Yun Tianba, the long-established Valley Master of Raging Flame Valley, actually admitted defeat on his own initiative. Chapter 294. My respects. With a change of hand gestures, Lu Changsheng called back the Big Dipper 7 swords into his body and strode away. As the 7-star sword formation dispersed, Valley Master Yun Tianba of Raging Flame Valley's old face reddened. Before the fight, he was vowing to teach Lu Changsheng a lesson, but it was he who ended up being taught. The 6th level Unity Realm cultivation of Raging Flame Valley's Valley Master was insufficient, he was eliminated in the first round of the Zhongzhou Grand Conference, leaving him in a gloomy mood. To think that the sect leader of Mount Shu could easily defeat an opponent of the 6th level Unity Realm, truly a case of a great person does not reveal himself. It seems we all underestimated him. Perhaps he could enter the top 32. Making it to the top 32 might still be a bit forced. The further the Zhongzhou Grand Conference goes, the stronger the opponents one faces. Regardless of the final rank of Mount Shu's sect leader, his ability to surpass the strength of the 6th level Unity Realm places him above many sect leaders. Given his potential, this is definitely not his limit. In the future, he fully has the potential to ascend to the immortal realm. On the viewing platform, the powerhouses from various states whispered among themselves. In the Zhongzhou Grand Debate, those who can enter the top 32 not only possess extremely high realms, but the cultivation techniques they master are also extraordinary, and most can ascend to the immortal realm. Although it was Liu Changshen's first battle, the powerhouses of various states have already recognized his potential to ascend to the immortal realm. I didn't expect this lad to have some ability, yet he's still not my opponent. The gap between Yun Tianba and myself is like that between heaven and earth. Sun Jian of Thousand Swords Manor saw Liu Changsheng defeat Yun Tianba with some surprise, but he did not react too much. Liu Changsheng only showed the strength of a 7th or 8th level Unity Realm cultivator, whereas Sun Jian, a Unity Realm Great Accomplishment cultivator, still saw a significant gap between them. Having spent 1,000 years at the peak of Unity Realm to strengthen his foundation, Sun Jian consolidated his realm as much as possible before the tribulation, ranking at the forefront among Unity Realm Great Accomplishment cultivators. Therefore, Sun Jian still did not regard Liu Changsheng as a threat. Yun Tianba lost to Liu Changsheng simply because Yun Tianba was too weak. Empress Wu Yu of Great Martial had a look of appreciation in her eyes. Liu Changsheng was more formidable than she had imagined. When Liu Changsheng defeated Yun Tianba, it was smooth and effortless, obviously without using his full strength. After the match between Liu Changsheng and Yun Tianba, the 3rd and 4th sect powerhouses began their friendly exchange. These were two Unity Realm 3rd level cultivators, one using a sword and the other a blade. Their match was so close that it was difficult to separate the victors from the vanquished, with Gang Qi surging everywhere. In the end, the sword cultivator won by a slight advantage. Couples of powerful cultivators took to the stage one after another, representing their sects in the battle, with no lack of Unity Realm Great Accomplishment cultivators who defeated their opponents with just one move. The second fighter from Xia State's top 5 sects was Grandmaster Chen from the Martial Alliance. Grandmaster Chen faced a Unity Realm 4th level cultivator. Having entered the Unity Realm just over 100 years ago, Grandmaster Chen was completely outclassed and, predictably, defeated. Ha ha ha, it's fortunate to witness the cultivation techniques of other state sects. This trip was not in vain. Grandmaster Chen laughed heartily and did not care about the win or loss, stepping down after this. His limit is not just the first level of the Unity Realm. Given time, he has the complete potential to reach great accomplishment. It seems that only Mount Shu in Xia State has some strength, and the other sects are far behind. After all, Xia State is a remote region and cannot be compared with our Zhongzhou. After Liu Changsheng and Grandmaster Chen took action, the powerhouses of other regions judged that Xia State's overall strength was not impressive. The next two to exchange insights are Master Sun Jian from Thousand Swords Manor and Sect Master Murong Bai from Tianlan Sect. It is said that one is a peak Unity Realm cultivator, and the other is a 7th level Unity Realm cultivator. Murong Bai really has bad luck, to face the 3rd strongest in Zhongzhou right at the start. Many cast sympathetic glances towards the Sect Master of Tianlan Sect. Given the strength of the Sect Master of Tianlan Sect, if he were a bit luckier, he might have made it into the top 50, but he drew Sun Jian, a peak Unity Realm cultivator for the first round, which is simply ill-fated. Liu Changsheng furrowed his brows. It was a good opportunity to gauge the depths of Zhongzhou's strongest cultivators. Master Sun, I seek guidance. The Sect Master of Tianlan Sect secretly broke out in a cold sweat. He was facing the renowned number 1 sword cultivator of Zhongzhou, Master Sun Jian of Thousand Swords Manor. He had no confidence in defeating Sun Jian and was thinking of how to lose gracefully in order to avoid embarrassment in front of his disciples and the numerous sects. The Sect Master of Tianlan Sect took a deep breath as the immortal sword emerged from its scabbard on his back. Hum! Accompanied by a clear and loud sword cry, a gleaming light filled the sky, and the winds rose as clouds surged. The terrifying pressure caused the ground of Dragon Arena to sink, and the sword chi flowing through the air was like a raging storm. This is the pressure of a superior grade immortal sword. As the top sect of Hao State, having been established for hundreds of thousands of years and with 20 to 30 people ascending to the immortal realm, it's not surprising for Tianlan Sect to possess a superior grade immortal sword as its sect defending treasure. It seems Murong Bai plans to exert all his strength in an attempt to save some face against the Manor Master of Thousand Swords Manor, not wanting to lose too badly. Go, Master, our Tianlan Sect is after all a major sword cultivator sect. We must at least make Thousand Swords Manor use their sect defending skills. The powerhouses from various states and the elders and disciples of Tianlan sect all thought Mirong Bai did not stand much chance, but they believed that with the superior grade immortal sword and Tianlan sect's sect defending skills, there was hope to force Sun Jian to use Thousand Swords Manor's sect defending skills. If they could force Sun Jian to use the ultimate skill of Thousand Swords Manor, that would count as a success. Unexpectedly, Sun Jian showed no intention of using the sect defending treasure and merely took a twig handed to him by a disciple from Thousand Swords Manor. I will just use this twig to spar with you. Chapter 295. Whoosh! A buzz of astonishment swept through the crowd. Sun Jian was truly audacious to think that he'd use a mere twig as a treasure without even bothering about a proper magical artifact. However, Lu Changsheng didn't believe that Sun Jian, being such a proud individual, would be so recklessly confident without any certainty of success. It could only mean that Sun Jian's swordsmanship had reached an inconceivable level, which was why he dared to confront Mirong Bai, equipped with a superior immortal sword and at the 7th layer of the Unity Realm, with just a branch. Mirong Bai didn't lose his temper because Sun Jian chose to engage him with a twig. Instead, he went all out, channeling his vast true qi into the superior immortal sword. The power of the sword surged, the earth fractured, and hills crumbled. The sword technique employed by Mirong Bai was a superior immortal class technique, one of the strongest sword techniques in this world. Facing the imposing sword chi pillar unleashed by Mirong Bai, Sun Jian placed his left hand behind his back and waved the branch with his right. As Sun Jian moved, a domain of sword chi naturally formed, with countless strands of sword chi crisscrossing and boiling tumultuously, as if he were the master of 1,000 swords. Even Sun Jian's sword intent influenced Mirong Bai's sword chi. Mirong Bai's complexion drastically changed, as he realized his swordsmanship was being affected by Sun Jian's intent, and his true chi-formed sword chi pillar fell into disarray, shaking violently. To influence another's sword chi with one's own sword intent, this is a supreme sword technique that surpasses the immortal class. During his 140-year seclusion at King Yun Peak, Lu Changsheng mastered 4 sets of superior immortal class sword techniques: the Divine Sword Thunder Commanding Art, Divine Sword Fire Commanding Art, Divine Sword Commanding Water Art, and Divine Sword Commanding Wind Art. Thus he knew the limits of superior immortal class techniques. The sect defending supreme sword skills of Thousand Swords Manor clearly surpassed the immortal class. Thousand Swords Manor deservedly held the title of the foremost sword cultivator sect in Zhongzhou, surpassing even Mount Shu in its inheritance and accumulation of sword knowledge. At first, Sun Jian had offered to share part of their supreme sword skills with Xiaoningsu for mutual enlightenment. For ordinary practitioners at the Unity Realm, this was already an immense stroke of fortune. Yet, Xiaoningsu completely disregarded the supreme sword skills of Thousand Swords Manor. I never imagined that there would be sword techniques surpassing the immortal class in the world. Such a level of sword technique should not exist in this realm. Situ Kong was also deeply shocked to see the supreme sword skills used by Sun Jian. The majority of sword cultivators present watched Sun Jian's technique with rapt fascination, seizing the opportunity to improve their sword Dao comprehension. Even a glimpse of the swordsmanship that transcended the immortal class could give them unprecedented enlightenment. Sword cultivators in the void refinement realm were utterly mystified and struggled to gain insight from it. The sword technique that surpassed the immortal class was far beyond their reach. It was like a primary school student looking at an advanced mathematics textbook, with no clue whatsoever. The sect defending technique of Thousand Swords Manor selfless sword technique is a sword art that surpasses the immortal class and should not exist in this realm. Even our Star Pavilion does not possess a sword technique of such a level. The Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion watched Sun Jian exhibiting the supreme sword skills with his hands behind his back. With his own cultivation level, he likewise did not dare to casually receive the sect defending technique of Thousand Swords Manor. Sun Jian, like him, was a peak Unity Realm powerhouse. There was no difference in cultivation level between them, only in the cultivation techniques they practiced and their proficiency in those techniques. Eminent figures like the sect master of Dragon Tiger Sect, Changsheng Long, Empress Wu Yu of Great Martial, and the sect master of Profound Heaven Sect focused intently on Sun Jian's display of supreme sword skills. Sun Jian was very likely to be one of the last few opponents they would encounter. No good, my realm can't match up to those at the peak of the Unity Realm. The techniques they command are no less powerful than mine. My only advantage lies in understanding more comprehensive techniques. Witnessing Sun Jian's action, Lu Changsheng had to admit the opponent was truly a peak Unity Realm powerhouse, the third most prominent figure in Zhongzhou, and far above his own level. Under such immense suppression of realm, even if Lu Changsheng used an 11th grade immortal pill and fought desperately, he might still be unable to overcome genuine cultivation. Manor Masters of Thousand Swords Manor, the Sect Master of Dragon Tiger Sect, the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion. These grand figures who had cultivated for tens of thousands of years had authentic, hard-earned cultivation. The strength temporarily increased by immortal pill paled compared to that accumulated over years. Unless I can merge the essences of the 4 sets of superior immortal class sword techniques and create a sword technique that surpasses the immortal class, this battle is going to be tough. Lu Changsheng fell into deep thought. Some time later, the sect master of Tianlan sect was defeated, but accepted his defeat gracefully. Being defeated by the manor master of Thousand Swords Manor and the sect defending technique of the manor was not at all disgraceful. After defeating the sect master of Tianlan sect, Sun Jian turned his gaze towards Lu Changsheng, with a provoking intent. Sun Jian originally didn't need to use the supreme sword skills of Thousand Swords Manor to overpower his opponent with his superior cultivation level. But to establish his dominance, he used a sword technique that surpassed the fairy rank in the first round, defeating the sect master of Tianlan sect with a single move. Sun Jian's quite hot-headed, it seems he has some issues with Lu Changsheng, one of the spectators commented. The sect master of Dragon Tiger sect noticed that Sun Jian was evidently hostile towards Lu Changsheng and immediately found it interesting. If Sun Jian could teach Lu Changsheng a lesson on his behalf, it would save him the trouble of doing it personally. The competition continued, and when it was Empress of Great Martial Wu Yu's turn to take action, she defeated a practitioner of the 6th layer of the Unity Realm with just one palm strike. The crowd fell silent. Empress of Great Martial Wu Yu didn't use any special martial techniques, just a straightforward and unadorned palm strike. The stir she caused was no less than that of Sun Jian from Thousand Swords Manor. Unity Realm peak practitioners were obviously stronger than other cultivators. The third contender for Xia State was the nameless elder monk from Immeasurable Temple. Lu Changsheng paid close attention to this person. The nameless elder monk appeared to only have a cultivation level of the void refinement realm, but Lu Changsheng always felt there was something extraordinary about him. According to Master Wuxiang, this nameless elder monk held a seniority higher than his own, and his cultivation was certainly not that simple. Old Baldy, your opponent is me, declared a sword cultivator clad in sword attire, standing in the air with the pride of a 5th layer Unity Realm cultivator. The nameless elder monk, seemingly only of the void refinement realm, was in his view merely making up the numbers. However, what happened next was beyond belief. The nameless elder monk opened his eyes, and a 10,000-foot Buddha light shone brilliantly. When the light faded, the 5th layer Unity Realm sword cultivator was already being crushed and ground against the earth by the gigantic hand of a golden Buddha. Dead silence ensued. The people present were all stunned by the nameless elder monk's display. They thought Xia State only had one expert, Lu Changsheng, but to their astonishment, Immeasurable Temple had a second peerless expert. Even the cultivators from Xia State looked at Master Wuxiang in surprise. During the calamity of the demon race, the people of Xia State had never seen this nameless elder monk. If the nameless elder monk had appeared at that time, how could the demon lord have wrought such havoc? Yu Suanji said, it seems the divine monk from your immeasurable temple has finally finished his retreat, having discovered a new great Dao. Master Wuxiang nodded, his decay and prosperity divine skill is an ancient divine skill from the primordial times, requiring one to wander between life and death. Only the vast power of faith accumulated by our immeasurable temple could enable him to stay between the states of neither living nor dying and ultimately master the divine skill. Grand Master Chen was astonished, could it be that this divine monk is the monk Wu Le from 25,000 years ago? It was rumored that he had long passed away, but it turns out he has been in retreat all this time, cultivating the divine skill to great accomplishment. So in other words, Xia State also has a Unity Realm Great Accomplishment Expert. Unity Realm Great Accomplishment Expert. The cultivators from Xia State found it hard to believe, their eyes reflecting their shock. Who would have thought that Xia State had a Unity Realm Great Accomplishment Expert, and one who was a significant figure from over 20,000 years ago at that? With the appearance of the nameless elder monk, no one dared to underestimate Xia State any longer. Xia State already had two strong contenders entering the second round. And moreover, Xia State had a Unity Realm Peak Expert. This lineup was enough to make other states' strong contenders take Xia State seriously. Even more surprisingly, Xia Ningxiu joined the battle and with her 5th layer Unity Realm cultivation, defeated the sect master of Profound Saber Sect, a 6th layer Unity Realm practitioner. This was the third strong contender from Xia State to enter the second round. The last to compete was Yu Suanji. With the body of the literary sage, Yu Suanji defeated an opponent who was also at the first layer of the Unity Realm, becoming the fourth strong contender from Xia State to enter the second round. Of the 5 people from Xia State who fought, 4 entered the second round. Chapter 296. After the first round of the competition ended, the strong cultivators from the various major states and their sects had 7 days to rest, regulate their breathing, restore their true qi, and prepare for the second round of competition. The representatives from Xia State shone brilliantly in the first round of competition, prompting many strong cultivators from other states to seek friendships and discuss cultivation. Lu Changsheng turned away visitors, focusing solely on studying the Sword Dao. Having witnessed the strength of peak Unity Realm powerhouses like Sun Jian, Wu Yu, and the sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, Lu Changsheng knew that the cultivation techniques he currently mastered were inadequate to defeat them. After all, individuals like Sun Jian, Wu Yu, and Zhang Qinglong were among the strongest existences in this realm, possessing the most powerful cultivation techniques available, and even cultivation methods surpassing those of the sacred tier. To defeat these strong adversaries, his mere 6th level cultivation in the Unity Realm coupled with superior sacred tier cultivation techniques were far from sufficient. I also possess a priceless human treasure and have practiced the immortal divine art, golden bell shield, and drunken fairy gazing moon step, among other techniques. This diversity of methods is my advantage, Lu Changsheng reflected. Lu Changsheng sat in meditation within the Star Pavilion territory, deducing his swordsmanship. Suddenly, he experienced a significant return of Sword Dao comprehension. Could it be that Xia Ningxiu is also urgently practicing swordsmanship? Lu Changsheng, cramming at the last minute, discovered that Xia Ningxiu was doing the same. It seemed that Xia Ningxiu was practicing a set of supreme sword skills that had never been seen before. Xia State had given birth to many outstanding figures, it was not as simple as it appeared on the surface. Inquiry Immortal Pavilion possessed an ancient sword with an obscure origin named Slaughter Immortal as well as the inheritance of the Qingxia ancient cave. The swordsmanship Xia Ningxiu practiced was by no means ordinary. If Lu Changsheng wanted to create a sword technique that surpassed the sacred tier, he would need profound expertise and experience in the Sword Dao. The sect-defining sword technique of Thousand Swords Manner, selfless sword technique, was undoubtedly above the sacred tier techniques, but Sun Jian had only revealed a hint of it during the competition, making it difficult for Lu Changsheng to grasp much of it. Lu Changsheng made his way to the place where Inquiry Immortal Pavilion's group resided. Xia Ningxiu was deeply engrossed in studying a sword technique surrounded by formless sword qi. Upon seeing Lu Changsheng's arrival, Xia Ningxiu opened her bright eyes. The sword technique you are cultivating doesn't seem to be an ordinary sacred tier swordsmanship, Lu Changsheng observed at once. If he could acquire Xia Ningxiu's sword technique and by analogy develop his own, perhaps he could create a new supreme skill that would surpass the sacred tier. Indeed. This is an unnamed sword technique recorded within Qingxia ancient cave, but considering Fairy Qingxia's realm at the time, it was unlikely for her to have created such an advanced sword technique. It's very possible that this sword technique was left behind by the first pavilion master of Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, Xia Ningxiu speculated. Xia Ningxiu didn't know the exact origin of the unnamed sword technique from Qingxia ancient cave, but she had her conjectures. Inquiry Immortal Pavilion had 2 peerless geniuses ascend to the immortal realm, one of whom was Fairy Qingxia, and the other one, the prodigious founder of Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, whose talents were even higher. The unnamed sword technique left in Qingxia ancient cave seemed more likely to have been left by the latter. Of course, there's another possibility, that this technique was left by an even earlier cultivator, and later Fairy Qingxia used that place as her cultivation cave, she considered. Xia Ningxiu was not entirely sure. I wish to witness this sword technique for myself. In exchange, I am willing to offer 4 superior sacred tier swordsmanship manuals and 4 mid-tier immortal swords, Lu Changsheng proposed after a moment's thought, deciding to offer 8 treasures in exchange. The sword technique that Xia Ningxiu had fortuitously obtained could potentially be a practice that surpassed the sacred tier, compelling Lu Changsheng to suggest trading the Divine Sword Thunder Commanding Art, Divine Sword Fire Commanding Art, Divine Sword Commanding Wind Art, and Divine Sword Commanding Water Art, 4 sets of superior sacred tier swordsmanship along with 4 spare immortal swords for what Inquiry Immortal Pavilion had. Having mastered these 4 sets of superior sacred tier swordsmanship, they no longer served a great purpose to Lu Changsheng. As for mid-tier immortal swords, Lu Changsheng had plenty to spare. Besides the ancient sword Slaughter Immortal, Inquiry Immortal Pavilion only had lower-tier immortal artifact flying swords. As the pavilion master of Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, Xianingsu would likely consider the interests of her pavilion. Lu Changsheng was after a technique from Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, therefore, he needed to offer something the pavilion sought after. After pondering for a while, Xianingsu replied, "My mentor has always been distressed that our sect lacks mid-tier immortal artifacts. She would probably agree to this exchange. I accept your offer." Xianingsu, now having taken over as the Fairy Pavilion Master, was authorized to make decisions on behalf of Inquiry Immortal Pavilion. Lu Changsheng had given away many immortal pills over the years, and Xianingsu owed him a great deal of gratitude. Thus, she demonstrated the supreme sword skills and mnemonic verse she had acquired from Qingxia Ancient Cave to Lu Changsheng. Every round of the Zhongzhou Grand Tournament ended with a 7-day break, and during these days, Lu Changsheng discussed swordsmanship with Xianingsu, gaining insights from the nameless sword technique she mastered. The nameless sword technique Xianingsu wielded seemed to be no less remarkable than the selfless sword technique of Thousand Swords manner. It was undoubtedly a sword technique devised by a peerless genius. Through watching Xianingsu demonstrate the sword technique, Lu Changshen's understanding of the sword Dao deepened further. But it still wasn't enough. The nameless sword technique Xianingsu practiced was particularly compatible with her Lingwei holy body, and Lu Changsheng always felt it did not suit him well. Lu Changsheng had to forge his own path. Moreover, neither Lu Changsheng nor Xianingsu had practiced the nameless sword technique for long, so they couldn't fully comprehend its depths. After the 7 days of rest, the second round of the Zhongzhou Grand Tournament began. The first round of competition had seen over 1,000 participants, now whittled down to just hundreds. Lu Changshen's opponent in the second round was a sect leader at the 4th level of Unity Realm, whom he easily defeated with his current level of cultivation. The monk Wu Le from Immeasurable Temple, with his great accomplishment in the Unity Realm stage, effortlessly vanquished his opponent. Chapter 297. Xianingsu defeated an opponent from the 3rd layer of the Unity Realm and also advanced to the 3rd round. Only Yu Suanji from the Hidden Dragon Temple, having entered the Unity Realm not long ago and encountering the number 1 power from Zhongzhou, the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion, in the 2nd round, lost without any suspense. The Hidden Dragon Temple indeed produces bodies with the literary sage potential. In the last Zhongzhou conference, your temple's master, Sheng Guanzhouer, had the body of the literary sage and entered the top 16. At that time, she was not at her peak and met the then Pavilion Master of our Star Pavilion, hence failing to go beyond the top 16. Given time, with your talent, ascending to the immortal realm is only a matter of when, not if. Even after defeating Yu Suanji, the Star Pavilion Master did not underestimate her. Yu Suanji's body of the literary sage held tremendous potential and the possibility of ascending to the immortal realm. In time, those who ascended to the immortal realm might meet again. Since you can't avoid them forever, the Star Pavilion wouldn't easily offend the other. Yu Suanji just nodded, then returned to the midst of the people from Xia State. Her participation in the Zhongzhou conference was not to compete for rankings but to witness the powerful from various states and increase her experience. The second round ended, with 3 individuals from Xia State entering the top 300. After the second round ended, Lu Changsheng continued discussing the sword Dao with Xianingsu. He was on the verge of integrating the 4 sets of sacred tier immortal sword techniques: Divine Sword Thunder Commanding Art, Divine Sword Fire Commanding Art, Divine Sword Commanding Wind Art, and Divine Sword Commanding Water Art into one sword technique. My accumulation in the sword Dao is almost sufficient, but I still need time to create the swordsmanship. However, the Zhongzhou conference is about to enter the 3rd round, and there's not much time left for me. If nothing unexpected happens, I will meet Sun Jian from the Thousand Swords Manor in the top 32. Lu Changsheng now needed time to create a swordsmanship technique that surpassed the sacred tier, to be confident in facing Sun Jian from the Thousand Swords Manor. If he has spare time to advance his realm, that would naturally be better. However, Lu Changsheng temporarily couldn't see how to acquire this bit of time. While studying the sword Dao with Xianingsu, Lu Changsheng didn't forget to continue mentoring his disciples. If mentoring returned more advanced cultivation techniques and elixir pills, Lu Changsheng would be even more confident in this Zhongzhou conference. Wait! There's a turning point. Suddenly, Lu Changsheng sensed that his eldest disciple, Lin Qingzi's aura had risen from the 7th to the 8th layer of the Void Refinement Realm, achieving great accomplishment in the realm. Lin Qingzi had managed to break through during the Zhongzhou conference period. Lu Changsheng could now impart mid-tier immortal grade cultivation techniques to disciples with great accomplishment in the void refinement realm and reward them with 9th grade elixir pills, 9th grade talismans, and mid-tier immortal artifacts among other treasures. This also meant a higher probability of receiving higher tier treasures and techniques in return for mentoring. King Zi, come to me. Lu Changsheng called over his eldest disciple, Lin Qingzi, and imparted to him the 11th chapter of the Supreme Purity Limitless Technique. Ding! You have imparted the mid-tier immortal grade cultivation technique Supreme Purity Limitless Technique, Chapter 11, to your disciple Lin Qingzi, and received 1 million times return reward, the sacred tier cultivation technique taking heavenly scripture. The Disciple Apprenticeship Simulator had this time given back a technique that surpassed the immortal tier. His. Lu Changsheng was extremely excited. At last, he had a cultivation technique that surpassed the sacred tier. This technique was not swordsmanship but a mental cultivation technique. The taking heavenly scripture was a supreme skill not of this world. Should one master this technique, its power would be boundless, unimaginable. Suddenly, Lu Changsheng's face fell and he frowned. The taking heavenly scripture, a supreme skill surpassing the sacred tier, was not something Lu Changsheng could fully comprehend in a short time, even though he possessed an innate Taoist body. Talents like Sun Jian from Thousand Swords Manor spent thousands of years to cultivate their sect's defending skills to great perfection. Even with the faster cultivation speed of the innate Taoist body, it was impossible to cultivate the taking heavenly scripture to the great perfection state in less than a month. He could at most get started with it. The taking heavenly scripture at the beginner level might not be more powerful than the 12th layer of the Supreme Purity Limitless Technique at great perfection. Time, what Lu Changsheng lacked was the time to cultivate. What's wrong, Master? Lin Qingzi saw the changing expressions on Lu Changsheng's face, from excitement to furrowed brows. It's nothing. Go back to your training. Lu Changsheng calmed his mind. In this grand assembly at Zhongzhou, I have done my best. Even if I truly cannot match Sun Jian, as long as I make it into the top 32, then Lu Changsheng will have lived up to the ancestors of Mount Shu. After all, so long as Lu Changsheng continues to cultivate, he will ascend to the immortal realm sooner or later. This cannot be forced. Lu Changsheng continued to practice swordsmanship with Xianingsu. 7 days later, the third round of the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly began, and the 3 from Xia State successfully entered the 4th round. Only a little over 100 people remained in the 4th round. I'm in the same half of the bracket as that kid Lu Changsheng. If he makes it into the top 32, he'll encounter me. As long as he meets me, I will definitely cripple his cultivation. Seeing Lu Changsheng advance to the 4th round and frequently practicing the sword Dao with Xianingsu, Sun Jian of Thousand Swords Manor had an even colder gaze. Xianingsu, with her Lingwei holy body, looked down on their Thousand Swords Manor's supreme swordsmanship, yet she cultivated the sword Dao together with Lu Changsheng, truly showing him no respect. The 4th round ended, leaving just over 60 people. By the end of the 5th round, there were only 32 people left. Lu Changsheng, Xianingsu, and Monk Wu Li, 3 cultivators from Xia State, made their way through, incredibly all entering the top 32. Xia State had 3 individuals in the top 32, a number second only to Zhongzhou, which ranked first. Lu Changsheng and Xianingsu's realms weren't among the highest at the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly, yet they possessed the strength to fight across higher levels, each defeating 5 opponents. Even powerhouses at the 7th layer of the Unity Realm were beaten by Lu Changsheng and Xianingsu. The 2 of them were also quite lucky. Upon entering the top 32, they did not encounter any powerhouses above the 8th layer of the Unity Realm, let alone peak Unity Realm experts. Monk Wu Li was an extraordinary monk from the immeasurable temple from 25,000 years ago. Cultivating the decay and prosperity divine skill with the power of faith of billions of beings in Xia State, his cultivation was unfathomably deep. Already being on par with peak Unity Realm powerhouses such as Sun Jian, Wu Yu, and Zhang Qinglong, it was not surprising for him to make it into the top 32. The elders and disciples from the 3 great sects of Mount Shu, Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, and Immeasurable Temple were overjoyed. Making it into the top 32 of the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly was already an outstanding achievement. The people of the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion were even more surprised. The best result Inquiry Immortal Pavilion ever achieved in the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly was the top 8, by Fairy Qingxia 100,000 years ago. Xianingsu hadn't reached the realm of Fairy Qingxia and was only at the 5th layer of the Unity Realm, yet her achievement in the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly was about to match that of Fairy King Xia. If she defeats 2 more opponents, Xia Ningxiu could achieve the best result in the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly for the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion. Penglai Fairy looked at Lu Chongsheng with even more admiration in her eyes. The spirit sword physique Penglai Fairy had fallen in the 3rd round. Yet Lu Chongsheng had made it past the 5th round and successfully entered the 6th round of competition, becoming one of the top 32 sect powerhouses of this Zhongzhou Grand Assembly. She sighed softly to herself. If only Xia Ningxiu hadn't been more outstanding, perhaps she could have become Dao companions with him. Temple Uncle Master, why do you look so worried when Changsheng has made it into the top 32? Big senior brother Li Changjai noticed that the brow of Mount Shu's Temple Uncle Master, Situ Kong, was tightly furrowed, and he couldn't help but be puzzled. Situ Kong's expression was grave. Although Changsheng has made it into the top 32, his next opponent is Sun Jian from Thousand Swords Manor. Sun Jian is a peak Unity Realm powerhouse and the manor possesses a divine swordsmanship that transcends sacred tears. Sun Jian has a grudge against Changsheng, and if he decides not to show mercy and cripples Changsheng's cultivation, then Changsheng might end up immortal and forever lose his chance at the immortal path. What Temple Uncle Master says is true, Li Changjai agreed with Situ Kong's analysis, and he too was worried. He turned to speak to Lu Chongsheng, junior brother, obtaining the top 32 for our Mount Shu is already quite an achievement. Sun Jian may be harsh in his next moves against you. It might be better for you to forfeit now. Compared to ranking, Mount Shu values your safety more. I know there are dangers, but I still want to give it a try. Lu Changshen's resolve was firm. He had many life-saving measures. If he saw the situation going south, he could escape. This opportunity to compete with a peak Unity Realm powerhouse at the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly was a rare chance, and Lu Chongsheng wanted to measure the gap between himself and the strongest cultivators of this world. With 7 days remaining before the start of the 6th round, Lu Chongsheng continued to practice the sword Dao with Xia Ningxiu. Suddenly, Lu Changshen's heart began to beat vigorously and more powerfully. Ding! Your yin-yang dual cultivation skills have reached the 3rd layer, returning a reward, cultivation space, 700 years. 700 years in the cultivation space is equivalent to 7 days in the outside world. Only the awarded individual can enter the cultivation space, and they cannot leave or take disciples until their cultivation is complete. Lu Chongsheng was stunned, then quickly overjoyed. What he needed most was precious cultivation time. Chapter 298. I must enter seclusion for 7 days. During this period, you must not cause any trouble, otherwise I won't be able to protect you. Before Lu Chongsheng entered the cultivation space to practice in seclusion, he briefed several disciples in advance. Afterward, Lu Chongsheng and Xia Ningxiu entered the cultivation space. There are still 7 days until the 6th round of the competition. What cultivation technique can longevity master in 7 days? Situ Kong, Grand Master Chen, Master Wu Xiang, and even Monk Wu Le were all taken aback. To a cultivator at the Unity Realm, 7 days was but a blink of an eye. In such a short amount of time, what could they comprehend? It was doubtful they could even improve their cultivation in the slightest. Since longevity has decided to contend with Sun Jian, he must have a plan. We must have faith in longevity. Although Situ Kong also felt that Lu Changshen's 7 days of seclusion were futile, he believed that Lu Changshen's dedication to cultivation was always a good thing. The only concern Situ Kong had was that the owner of Thousand Swords Manor might, because of personal grievances, cripple Lu Changshen's cultivation during the competition, leading to the fall of a peerless genius that Mount Shu had not seen in a long time. If Lu Chongsheng did not instruct the disciples of King Yun Peak, then the cultivation speed of these disciples would also greatly decrease. At this time, inside the cultivation space, Lu Chongsheng and Xia Ningxiu were practicing in seclusion. The cultivation space was an independent space within the Disciple Apprenticeship Simulator, not much different from the outside world. The difference was that staying in the cultivation space for 100 years only amounted to a single day in the outside world, the complete opposite of the legendary a day in the cave, 1,000 years in the world. The only downside was that while practicing in the cultivation space, one could not take disciples and thus could not return cultivation, and one had to rely on one's own practice. However, Lu Chongsheng was born with an innate Taoist body, and Xia Ningxiu with the Lingwei holy body. Even without the power-infusing initiation to return cultivation, their normal rate of practice was faster than that of average peerless geniuses. The dual cultivation system could still continue to return cultivation and sword Dao comprehension, making their practice speed even faster. With 700 years, even without disciple apprenticeship return, my realm should at least be able to rise by one level, and I even have hoped to create a supreme set of sword techniques on my own. I could even allocate some time to cultivate the sacred tier cultivation technique taking heavenly scripture. With ample time for cultivation, Lu Changsheng suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Cultivating required a great deal of time, and the cultivation space, where time flowed at 36,500 times the speed of the outside world, was unquestionably a holy land for cultivation. It was regrettable that Lu Changsheng could only stay in the cultivation space for 700 years. If he could use the cultivation space indefinitely, practicing for 100,000 years there would only equate to 1,000 days in the outside world. The value of the cultivation space was no less than that of an ultimate treasure. Xiaoningsu was meditating and practicing on one side while stealing glances at Lu Changsheng with the corners of her eyes. She and Lu Changsheng were to spend 700 years together in the cultivation space. Lu Changsheng began to deduce his self-created sword techniques first. The set of sword techniques that Lu Changsheng was creating merged the principles of wind, thunder, water, and fire, possessing immense power, which also made them incredibly difficult to deduce. Lu Changsheng based it on the 4 fairy-grade superior sword techniques: Divine Sword Commanding Wind Art, Divine Sword Thunder Commanding Art, Divine Sword Commanding Water Art, and Divine Sword Fire Commanding Art, and also drew inspiration from the sword intentions left by the past sect leaders of Mount Shu, the nameless sword techniques from Qingxia Ancient Cave, and even a glimpse of the bare essentials of Thousand Swords Manner's selfless sword technique. Xiaoningsu, on the other hand, continued to practice the nameless sword technique she discovered in Qingxia Ancient Cave. The nameless sword technique from Qingxia Ancient Cave was comparable to Thousand Swords Manner's sacred tier swordsmanship selfless sword technique, but it was suitable for Xiaoningsu's Lingwei holy body. Even if Lu Changsheng forcibly practiced it, he wouldn't be able to unleash the full power of this set of sword techniques. Lu Changsheng aimed to carve out his own path. In the outside world, on the 6th day of Lu Changsheng's seclusion, several disciples from King Yun Peak were practicing in the place where the people from Mount Shu were staying. Suddenly, a group of cultivators from Zhongzhou arrived, each exuding a powerful aura, with many being cultivators of the Unity Realm, striding forth with the pride of dragons and tigers. The Daoist robes of this group from Zhongzhou were embroidered with dragon and tiger patterns, indicative of the second largest sect in Zhongzhou, Dragon Tiger Sect. The arrival of Dragon Tiger Sect startled those from Mount Shu: Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, Hidden Dragon Temple, Immeasurable Temple, and Martial Alliance. With a profound foundation, Dragon Tiger Sect was second only to Star Pavilion. The combined might of all the major sects of Xia State might not even match that of Dragon Tiger Sect. Is it you? Shen Xiaoao saw that the person leading Dragon Tiger Sect was none other than the young sect leader of Dragon Tiger Sect, Changsheng, and couldn't help furrowing his brows. The Dragon Tiger Sect's young sect leader Changsheng bringing people into the dwellings of the Xia State cultivators likely meant he was coming for him. Ever since Changsheng witnessed Shen Xiaoao and Tang Ling are becoming quite close, he has sought to make things difficult for Shen Xiaoao. With Mount Shu's sect leader Lu Changsheng in seclusion and absent from Star Pavilion, the current person in charge of the people from Mount Shu was his teaching elder, Situ Kong. On discovering Changsheng brought numerous supreme elders from Dragon Tiger Sect, all at Unity Realm, Situ Kong could not afford to offend Dragon Tiger Sect. He took a deep breath. I dare to ask the esteemed friends from Dragon Tiger Sect, what brings you here? Changsheng ignored Situ Kong's question, scanning those present without spotting Mount Shu's sect leader Lu Changsheng or Inquiry Immortal Pavilion's Pavilion Master Xiaoningsu. Where is the sect leader of Mount Shu? Could it be he's run away in fear knowing his next opponent is the owner of Thousand Swords Manor? Then he is indeed self-aware, for if he were to face Master Sun in combat, I fear his cultivation might be crippled by Master Sunday. Changsheng, I'm afraid I have to disappoint you. My master does not intend to forfeit. Chapter 299. Shen Xiaoao was seething with anger, but during his master's seclusion, Shen Xiaoao didn't want to cause trouble and add to his master's worries, so Shen Xiaoao held back. Oh? Then he is truly courting death. Although the sect leader of Mount Shu has some skill, he is nothing more than average in front of the true powerhouses of Zhongzhou. He should just wait to be trampled underfoot by Sun Jian, and become a stepping stone for Sun Jian's ascent to the immortal realm. Changsheng remained disdainful. The master of Thousand Swords Manor, Sun Jian, was a figure on the same level as the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion and the Sect Master of Dragon Tiger Sect. His understanding of the Sword Dao even surpassed the latter two. In Zhang Sheng's view, Lu Changsheng going against Sun Jian was undoubtedly a death wish. I'm here mainly to warn you. After the 6th round of the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly ends, there might be an additional competition, primarily for the young geniuses who have been cultivating for less than 300 years to spar with each other. If you participate and happen to face me, I will show no mercy. If you don't want to end up with your cultivation destroyed like your master, you better watch yourself. Zhang Sheng's mouth curled up slightly, his words laced with scorn. As the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, he could obtain plenty of information in advance and knew that after the completion of the 6th round, the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion was planning to hold a martial contest for his daughter, Tang Linger's hand in marriage. Zhang Sheng had come early to intimidate Shen Xiaoao, hoping that he would know better and back off. Shen Xiaoao clenched his fists tight. If it wasn't for the Dragon Tiger sect behind Zhang Sheng, Shen Xiaoao, faced with the others' repeated provocations, would have already made a move. Suddenly, a figure flashed by, a fist formed with 5 fingers, smashing towards Zhang Sheng. Beiji Fist. Lu Qinglian, with the Martial King Divine Physique, utilized the lower-grade immortal martial technique, Beiji Fist, of the Martial Alliance. Inch force erupted, and she punched Zhang Sheng's face. Everyone from Xia State, as well as the elders of the Dragon Tiger sect, all changed their expressions. No one had expected that Lu Qinglian would dare to make a move on the young sect leader of Dragon Tiger sect. Even Zhang Sheng himself did not expect that Mount Shu, with only 2 or 3 Unity Realm powerhouses, would actually dare to lay a hand on him. Boom! Zhang Sheng couldn't dodge in time, and was struck by Lu Qinglian's fist in the face, sending him flying hundreds of feet. Zhang Sheng crashed through several houses and eventually hit a hill inside Star Pavilion. The hill collapsed, and tons of giant rocks rolled down. Humph! How dare you disrespect my master! Lu Qinglian stood with one hand on her hip, looking down on the people of Dragon Tiger sect with disdain. Since childhood, Lu Changsheng had protected Lu Qinglian, imparted cultivation techniques, and assisted her in body tempering. Lu Qinglian was truly unafraid of trouble. Even if the other party was the young sect leader of Dragon Tiger sect, Lu Qinglian still dared to strike. You brat! How dare you injure our young sect leader? You're seeking death. If our young sect leader is harmed, do you really think your Mount Shu can escape annihilation? If Mount Shu doesn't come forward to admit guilt and bow in apology, then there will be irreconcilable enmity between our Dragon Tiger sect and Mount Shu. This brat must be handed over to us for punishment by our Dragon Tiger sect. When the elders of Dragon Tiger sect recovered from the shock, with their young sect leader, Zhang Sheng, already having been punched violently, they changed their expressions and scolded the people of Mount Shu. The Dragon Tiger sect was the 2nd largest sect in Zhongzhou. Yet their young sect leader had been publicly humiliated by the direct disciple of the sect leader of Mount Shu. If they didn't show some backbone, how would the Dragon Tiger sect continue to exist in Zhongzhou? We, Mount Shu, live peacefully and have always stayed in Xia State. We originally did not wish to clash with Dragon Tiger sect, but it was your Dragon Tiger sect who provoked us first, which led to our disciple taking action. If your Dragon Tiger sect continues to be aggressive, we, Mount Shu, will not continue to endure. Sidu Kong, along with Peak Master of Chao Yuan Peak, the eldest brother Li Changjai, and senior sister Murong Shi, among other high-ranking members of Mount Shu, stepped forward to support Lu Qinglian. Mount Shu did not start trouble lightly, but since Lu Qinglian had acted and hit the young sect leader of Dragon Tiger sect, they had no reason to plead for Dragon Tiger sect and naturally supported their own. Besides, it was the Dragon Tiger sect who was unreasonable and had come forth to provoke, which left the people of Mount Shu with no other choice but to stand up for themselves. You Mount Shu are seeking death, wait for your extinction. The young sect leader of Dragon Tiger sect crawled out from the pile of rubble, spitting out a tooth, his cheek bruised and purple, fury abounding. His cultivation was at the 7th layer of the Void Refinement Realm, and so was Lu Qinglian's. But Lu Qinglian, with the Martial King Divine Physique and having cultivated the 9 Revolutions Divine Demon Body refining skills, had a formidable body, comparable to an immortal artifact. Lu Qinglian's Beiji Fist had injured Zhang Sheng with a single punch. It was only because Zhang Sheng was the young sect leader of Dragon Tiger sect, with emphasis placed on his training, and would also temper his body with high-grade elixir pills, that he was not killed by Lu Qinglian's punch. Even so, Changsheng, after taking the punch from Lu Qinglian, felt extremely uncomfortable, with his blood churning within. Changsheng's eyes burned with wrathful fire, seeking to retaliate in full measure and completely eradicate Mount Shu, the thorn in his side. The elders of Dragon Tiger sect backed Changsheng, each of them bursting with momentum, ready to cleanse Mount Shu with blood. With Changsheng's talent, he would undoubtedly take control of the Dragon Tiger sect in the future. Once the sect master, Zhang Qinglong, ascended to the immortal realm, Changsheng would be the next sect master. It was the perfect opportunity for them to curry favor with him. Hidden Dragon Temple, Immeasurable Temple, Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, and the members of Martial Alliance exchanged glances. In this conflict between Mount Shu and Dragon Tiger sect, they had unanimously sided with Mount Shu. If it weren't for Mount Shu's intervention during the demonic catastrophe in Huang State, Hidden Dragon Temple, Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, Martial Alliance, and Immeasurable Temple would all have been annihilated by the Demon Lord. Moreover, the sects of Xia State had deep connections with each other. Now that Mount Shu was embroiled in a conflict with Dragon Tiger sect, they chose to reciprocate Mount Shu's past aid and aligned themselves with the sect's stance. Amitabha, since Zhang of the Dragon Tiger sect initiated the provocation without endangering one's life, it is better to resolve than to escalate matters. Let us consider the matter settled as is, said Monk Wu Le from Immeasurable Temple, attempting to mediate the grievance between Mount Shu and Dragon Tiger sect. Monk Wu Le, who had been squinting, opened his eyes, releasing a terrifying aura that pressured everyone from Dragon Tiger sect. Even a holy monk from Immeasurable Temple knew that only sufficient strength could convince others with reason. At the crucial final stages of his cultivation of the Decay and Prosperity divine skill, it was Mount Shu that suppressed the Demon Lord, allowing Immeasurable Temple to escape calamity. Now that Mount Shu was in trouble, Immeasurable Temple could not stand idly by. This is not good. The momentum of this person is similar to our sect masters, definitely not easy to contend with. Young sect leader, do not be impulsive, counseled the elders of Dragon Tiger sect after Monk Wu Le spoke, treating the situation with extreme caution. They had initially assumed that other sects from Xia State would refrain from supporting Mount Shu due to the fear of Dragon Tiger sect's strength. But they were wrong. Immeasurable Temple, with a practitioner of great accomplishment in the Unity realm, chose to support Mount Shu. Monk Wu Le was one of the strongest cultivators at this great meeting in Zhongzhou, and if conflict broke out with him, Dragon Tiger sect would suffer many casualties among their elites. Changsheng's expression clouded with uncertainty. If it were not for the intervention from Hidden Dragon Temple, Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, Martial Alliance, and Immeasurable Temple, Dragon Tiger sect could have easily handled Mount Shu alone. Since when did Dragon Tiger sect dare to stir up trouble on Star Pavilion's territory? A crisp and pleasant voice rang out, reproaching the people of Dragon Tiger sect. Tang Linger, Star Pavilion's young miss, along with a lady in green and a group of Star Pavilion elders, appeared on the scene. The commotion caused by Lu Qinglian's punch on Changsheng had alerted Star Pavilion and cultivators from various states. Seeing the arrival of Star Pavilion's people and that the young Miss Tang Linger took the side of Mount Shu, the members of Dragon Tiger sect were even more hesitant to make a move. Although Dragon Tiger sect was strong, Star Pavilion remained the #1 sect in Zhongzhou, having produced hundreds of outstanding powerhouses who ascended to the immortal realm and held a place even there. I didn't expect that Mount Shu would dare to offend Dragon Tiger sect, and the disciples of the sect leader truly are as fearless as newborn calves. What surprises me even more is that Star Pavilion seems to be on Mount Shu's side. Could it be that Star Pavilion intends to use this incident to strike at Dragon Tiger sect? Whispers spread among the cultivators from the various states. Dragon Tiger sect found themselves in a difficult situation. Let's go, said Changsheng through gritted teeth. With Tang Linger and Monk Wu Le protecting Mount Shu, he dared not act against Mount Shu at this moment and could only wait for another opportunity. Thank you, Linger, for coming to our aid. Now I owe you another favor, how shall I repay it? Shen Xiaoao thanked Tang Linger. He knew the situation was exceedingly dangerous just a moment ago. With his master in closed-door cultivation, should Dragon Tiger sect suddenly strike, they could very well have slaughtered everyone in Mount Shu. No need. If you really wish to repay me, then perform well in the upcoming competition, Tang Linger said softly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Competition? Shen Xiaoao was puzzled. Wasn't the grand meeting in Zhongzhou meant for competitions among sect leaders? As a disciple in the Void Refinement realm, why would he need to fight? That's right, he recalled Changsheng mentioning that there seemed to be an additional competition later, for the younger generation to exchange moves. But this competition's sudden appearance was mysterious. Even Tang Linger, the young miss of the Star Pavilion, took it seriously. He wondered what the reward would be. Chapter 300. On the 7th day of Lu Changshen's retreat, which was also the last 100 years in the cultivation space, Lu Changsheng wielded the demon-suppressing sword, continually transforming and fusing the four elements of water, fire, wind, and thunder into the mysterious yellow qi. With the emergence of the mysterious yellow sword qi, a terrifying oppressive force spread, causing the entire cultivation space to tremble. From the origin to the beginning, vast and boundless Taishi, where turbid flows with the clear, mysterious yellow intertwines. Lu Changsheng launched the final strike, a sword thrust reaching 10,000 zhang, cracking the earth, turning stones into nothingness as it extended forwards. As the mountain came into contact with the mysterious yellow sword qi, the entire mountain crumbled, returning to chaos. What an astonishing swordsmanship! Xia Ningxiu, in her white dress and carrying the immortal slaying sword on her back, stood aloft in the air, her long hair dancing in the high-altitude wind, with admiration gleaming in her luminous eyes. Xia Ningxiu had cultivated in seclusion for over 600 years, advancing her realm once again, her demeanor growing even more extraordinary. Xia only emitted the cold aura of the supreme forgetting emotion art when facing others, whereas she unconsciously repressed it after spending over 600 years with Lu Changsheng. Even with her knowledge, she considered the supreme sword skills created by Lu Changsheng to be overpoweringly astonishing. Huff! Lu Changsheng took a long breath. He had amalgamated the four high-level immortal grade sword techniques, Divine Sword Commanding Wind Art, Divine Sword Thunder Commanding Art, Divine Sword Commanding Water Art, and Divine Sword Fire Commanding Art, and after 600 years of deducing swordsmanship, had finally created a set of sword skills that surpassed the immortal grade. This set of swordsmanship also integrated the sword intents of all past sect leaders of Mount Shu and referenced the nameless swordsmanship from Qingxia ancient cave. Next, it's time to cultivate the taking heavenly scripture. Although there wasn't much time left, roughly 50 years, understanding even a little was better than none. Outside, in the dragon arena of the Star Pavilion, countless powerhouses gathered. The 6th round of the Zhongzhou Grand Meeting was about to commence. What should we do? Master hasn't arrived yet. Ji Xian was somewhat anxious. As Lu Changshen's number was 1, he would be the first to take the stage. If Lu Changsheng failed to show up in time, it would be considered a forfeit. Xia and the sect leader of Mount Shu are nowhere to be found. If Xia also doesn't appear, our Inquiry Immortal Pavilion will forfeit. Anyway, for our Inquiry Immortal Pavilion to have made it to the top 32 this time is already quite an achievement. It's a pity though, given more time for cultivation, Xia's prowess would definitely reach the peak of the Unity Realm, and maybe breaking into the top 8, or even the top 4, would have been possible. Zheng Yeqiu and Xiao Menger, several of Xia Ningxiu's senior sisters, noticed that Xia Ningxiu's aura had disappeared for 7 days. If Xia Ningxiu had not informed them ahead of time, they would have thought something had happened to her. The mentality of the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion members was quite good, deeming Xia Ningxiu's reaching the top 32 a worthy achievement for all the previous pavilion masters. There were thousands of sects qualified to participate in the Zhongzhou Grand Meeting, and for the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion to rank among the top 32 was a significant feat. How strange, why hasn't Lu Changsheng come? Could it be that he's afraid of facing me? When Sun Jian of Thousand Swords Manor noticed his opponent Lu Changsheng was missing in the 6th round, he couldn't help but sneer. Being one of the strongest cultivators in this realm, it was within reason that Lu Changsheng would forfeit rather than face defeat against him. However, this also meant Sun Jian would miss his chance to cripple Lu Changsheng's cultivation. Wait, Xia Ningxiu is also missing. Damn! Noticing both Xia Ningxiu and Lu Changsheng absent, Sun Jian's gaze turned dark. Lu Changsheng might lose the competition, but he had won at life. Master Sun's swordsmanship is unmatched in this world, surely Lu Changsheng from Mount Shu fears Master Sun's reputation, hence his apprehension to fight. Master Sun is unparalleled, ascending to the immortal realm will happen sooner rather than later. The sword cultivators of Thousand Swords Manor were unabashed in their compliments towards Master Sunday. Sun Jian had mastered the sect defending skills of Thousand Swords Manor and had the deepest insight into swordsmanship in all of Zhongzhou, to the point where not even the pavilion master of Star Pavilion or the sect master of the Dragon Tiger sect could compare when it came to swordsmanship alone. Sun Jian basked in the praise of his disciples. His achievements in swordsmanship were indeed worthy of such accolades. Where has the sect leader of Mount Shu gone? The pavilion master of Star Pavilion noted that the 6th round of the competition was due to start, and yet, of the first pair to spar, Lu Changsheng and Sun Jian, only Sun Jian had arrived. What is Shen Xiaoao's master up to? Tang Linger walked beside the pavilion master of Star Pavilion, realizing that Shen Xiaoao's master, Lu Changsheng, was nowhere to be found. Although the relationship between Tang Linger and Shen Xiaoao didn't have much to do with Lu Changsheng, Shen Xiaoao's master was, after all, Lu Changsheng. If he were to fear Sun Jian of Thousand Swords Manor, the pavilion master of Star Pavilion might look down on him, which might not bode well for the sect, indirectly affecting the future between Tang Linger and Shen Xiaoao. Tang Linger couldn't help but feel anxious internally. The debate of Zhongzhou, the 6th round of the competition, is about to begin. We invite Master Sun and sect leader Lu to the stage to begin their match. The Supreme Elder hosting the Zhongzhou Grand Meeting, commanding and thunderous, could be heard by the powerful of all the major states. A sword came from the west, fleeting as a flash. By the time the crowd gathered their wits, Sun Jian of Thousand Swords Manor had already arrived at the martial arts platform. Dressed in white sword attire and carrying 2 long swords on his back, Sun Jian stood with pride, hands behind his back. As an invisible sword she roamed freely about the martial arts platform. The swords at the waists of spectators in the watching stands trembled violently as if affected by a sovereign of swords, seemingly celebrating uncontrollably. The spectators hurriedly circulated their true chi to suppress their own flying sword treasures. Where is sect leader Lu from Mount Shu? The Supreme Elder of Star Pavilion and the powerful sect leaders from various states on the viewing platform eventually realized that the sect leader of Mount Shu, Lu Changsheng, was still not present. Chapter 301. Everyone's gaze naturally turned toward the Mount Shu group, yet Lu Changsheng's figure was nowhere to be seen. Why hasn't the sect leader of Mount Shu come? Could it be that the sect leader of Mount Shu is afraid of Thousand Swords Manor and has chosen not to fight? If he doesn't dare to confront Thousand Swords Manor, it wouldn't be necessary to slip away, would it? That would be even more embarrassing. I thought that with the cultivation of Mount Shu's sect leader, he at least had the power to fight Sun Jian and force him to use the manor's town protecting sword technique. I didn't expect the sect leader of Mount Shu to be a coward, lacking even the courage to show his face. Many strong practitioners from the sects of various regions sneered. As Lu Changsheng delayed his appearance, people began to believe that he was cowardly and dared not show himself. Sitting in a high place, Empress Wu Yu of Great Martial blinked her beautiful eyes. She could hardly believe that Lu Changsheng was avoiding battle due to cowardice. The impression he gave her was anything but weak. Hey, Shen Xiaoao's master is indeed useless, much inferior to our 3 major sects of Zhongzhou. His disciple dared to offend me, and after the Zhongzhou Grand Conference is over, I will definitely find trouble with Mount Shu. Young sect leader Changsheng of the Dragon Tiger sect had a fierce light in his eyes. He had been beaten severely by Lu Changsheng's second disciple, Lu Qinglian, in front of many Dragon Tiger sect elders, completely losing face and holding a grudge in his heart. In front of a sect as powerful as the Dragon Tiger sect, Mount Shu was nothing more than mediocre. If the sect leader of Mount Shu didn't even dare to fight the manor head of Thousand Swords Manor, let alone the sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect. Zhang Qinglong, the sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, already knew about his son being injured by Lu Qinglian. Our Dragon Tiger sect has been a distinguished and powerful sect when we founded our school in Zhongzhou a million years ago. For a junior from Mount Shu to bully you, after the conference of Zhongzhou is over, I shall seek justice from Mount Shu. With a high status in Zhongzhou, even the pavilion master of the Star Pavilion would show him respect. Having attained a son in his later years, and with Changsheng possessing a special constitution and high talent, second only to Tang Linger among the younger generation of Zhongzhou, Zhang Qinglong considered this son his precious jewel. Changsheng nearly got killed by Lu Qinglian. How could Zhang Qinglong swallow this insult? The Supreme Elder of the Star Pavilion, who was presiding over the Grand Conference of Zhongzhou, was stunned to see only one person taking the stage while the sect leader of Mount Shu had suddenly vanished. Sun Jian said coldly, the sect leader of Mount Shu must be frightened by my supreme sword technique, hence his avoidance to confront me. You can treat it as him forfeiting. Yes. The Supreme Elder of the Star Pavilion still needed to give face to the manor head of Thousand Swords Manor, so he turned toward the Mount Shu group. If your sect leader of Mount Shu doesn't appear within the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, it will be considered a forfeit. The people of Mount Shu looked at each other in dismay. Lu Changsheng had informed the people of Mount Shu in advance that he would be in seclusion for 7 days. Now he was nowhere to be found, and even the people of Mount Shu didn't know where he had gone. Zhao Huiyan said, Lu isn't really running away, is he? Li Changjai rolled his eyes, Lu isn't that kind of person. Zhao, it sounds more like your style, doesn't it? Zhao Huiyan's old face turned red, and he coughed twice. Honestly, if it were Zhao Huiyan facing the manor head of Thousand Swords Manor, running away wasn't impossible. After all, not everyone has the courage to face a peak expert of the Unity Realm. If Sun Jian harbors a killing intent and makes even one mistake, the other party would turn to ash under the supreme sword technique of Thousand Swords Manor. Sidu Kong sighed, maybe Changjai had a sudden enlightenment while in seclusion, not wanting to miss the opportunity of this epiphany, which is why he hasn't yet ended his seclusion. If Changjai doesn't appear, then we, Mount Shu, will forfeit. Sidu Kong believed that at a time when Mount Shu was declining, being able to enter the top 32 was already honorable enough for the ancestors of Mount Shu. As time ticked by, neither Lu Changsheng nor Xianingsue showed up. Hurry it up! Sun Jian was becoming impatient. Although he could proceed to the 7th round without lifting a finger, he was keener on crippling Lu Changshen's cultivation during the match and winning Xianingsue's affection. The Supreme Elder of the Star Pavilion took a deep breath, the time for brewing a cup of tea is almost up. Since the sect leader of Mount Shu is still absent, then we shall consider it a. Hold on. Just as the Supreme Elder of the Star Pavilion was about to declare Lu Changshen's forfeiture, a sonorous voice rang out. 2 figures descended from sword flight, a man and a woman, looking like a pair of celestial couple. Master! Lu! Sect leader! The disciples of King Yunpeak and the people of Mount Shu were ecstatic. Lu Changsheng finally arrived at the last moment. The strong figures from the various major territories stirred on the viewing platform. The sect leader of Mount Shu did not forfeit, and actually had the courage to challenge the owner of Thousand Swords Manor. It looks like Xia is fine, that's really great. The people from Inquiry Immortal Pavilion also secretly broke out in a cold sweat. Xianingsue had disappeared without a trace for 7 days, and the people from Inquiry Immortal Pavilion thought something had happened to her. Xianingsue was a peerless genius cultivated by the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion at the expense of the sect's entire resources. If Xianingsue were to fall, the Inquiry Immortal Pavilion didn't know when it could regain its current splendor. Strange, how have the temperaments of these two changed so drastically? Sidu Kong, Grand Master Chen, Yu Suanji, and Master Wuxiang, the elders familiar with Lu Changsheng and Xianingsue, keenly realized that the temperaments of Lu Changsheng and Xianingsue had become more steady. Previously, Lu Changsheng and Xianingsue's cultivation was not long, and their temperaments were somewhat immature, but now, after 700 years of accumulation, their temperaments had undergone a complete transformation. It's not just that, their cultivation is even more unfathomable. It's hard to imagine just how this change occurred after merely 7 days of seclusion. What exactly were they doing during these 7 days? Yu Suanji couldn't believe it. It has only been 7 days. For those in the Unity Realm, 7 days' time was but a flick of a finger. How could there be such a big change? I will fight Sun Jian, you go back first. Xianingsue returned to the midst of the people from Inquiry Immortal Pavilion. She and Lu Changsheng had spent 700 years in the cultivation space and knew his true strength, so she had full confidence in Lu Changsheng and was not worried. Lu Changsheng, dressed in black attire, carrying only a long sword, stepped onto the martial arts platform and faced the owner of Thousand Swords Manor. Invisible sword chi collided with each other. Before the two moved, their sword chi was already contending. You've got quite some nerve to show up. Are you not afraid that I'll cripple your cultivation? If you kneel and beg for mercy after I defeat you, I might spare your life. Otherwise, a peerless genius with the potential to ascend to the immortal realm will suddenly become immortal. Such a downfall will drive you to end your own life. Sun Jian coldly scrutinized Lu Changsheng, whose aura remained at the early stage of the Unity Realm. Sun Jian knew that Lu Changshen's real realm should be around the 6th layer of the Unity Realm, but he possessed the battle power of the 8th layer. Such strength was astonishing and terrifying. Unfortunately, Sun Jian was a peak Unity Realm expert, the #1 sword cultivator in Zhongzhou. Is that so? Then should I thank you for that? However, the person begging for mercy later might not necessarily be me. Since the other party looked down upon him, Liu Changsheng responded with the same sarcastic tone. The observant crowd on the platform erupted in surprise. Liu Changsheng dared to provoke Sun Jian verbally before the match. Sun Jian was one of the strongest in Zhongzhou. Even the masters of Star Pavilion and Dragon Tiger sect had to exhaust all efforts against Sun Jian. Doesn't the sect leader of Mount Shu fear provoking Sun Jian and having his cultivation crippled by him? Such a NAVE calf is not afraid of tigers. It's a pity for a peerless genius. It would be better for the sect leader of Mount Shu to forfeit instead of angering the opponent, it's better than losing one's life. The observant crowd whispered among themselves. These people, when Master doesn't fight, they call Master cowardly, now that Master fights, they say Master is irrational. If I attain great achievement in the Unity Realm, I will definitely beat them up. Liu Qinglian clenched her fists tightly, annoyed by these whispering people. Xia, do you think the sect leader of Mount Shu has a chance of defeating Sun Jian? Sun Jian's supreme swordsmanship has reached inconceivable levels. Xiao Meng'er from Inquiry Immortal Pavilion frowned slightly. After advancing to the Void Refinement Realm, she could better perceive the horror of the supreme swordsmanship of Thousand Swords manner. Xia Ningxiu's gaze was firm, he definitely can. Chapter 302. The kid from Mount Shu actually plans to cross swords with Sun Jian from Thousand Swords manner? He truly doesn't know his limitations, he has no idea about the huge gap between a peak Unity Realm expert and an ordinary Unity Realm cultivator. Sect leader Zhang Qinglong of Dragon Tiger sect crossed his arms in front of his chest and watched indifferently as Liu Changsheng and Sun Jian were about to clash. Even he wasn't absolutely confident he could defeat Sun Jian, let alone Liu Changsheng, who he perceived to be of a lower realm. Kid, to deal with you, this sword will suffice. Sun Jian reached out, and a long sword behind his back was unsheathed, surprisingly an immortal sword of medium quality. To the master of Thousand Swords manner, a medium-quality immortal sword was nothing special. Liu Changsheng raised his right hand, and the jade balance sword was unsheathed amid flashes of lightning and peals of thunder. The jade balance sword was likewise a medium-quality immortal artifact. Oh? Are you planning to use the 7-star sword formation against me? A sword array composed of 7 medium-quality immortal swords could rival the power of a higher-quality immortal sword. That must be your strongest attack. Sun Jian knew that the strongest attack Liu Changsheng had used in the previous 5 rounds of the competition was the 7-star sword formation, and thought that Liu Changsheng was planning to repeat the tactic. However, Liu Changsheng indifferently said, I will only use this one sword. Wow! There was a stir among the spectators on the viewing platform. Liu Changsheng was too arrogant. Sun Jian had intended to underestimate him, but he didn't expect to be immediately countered, with Liu Changsheng likewise showing disdain for Sun Jian. Doesn't he fear death? Sun Jian is only using a medium-quality immortal sword because he possesses the peak Unity Realm cultivation. Yet, Mount Shu's sect leader dares to use just one medium-quality immortal sword despite being inferior to Sun Jian in terms of cultivation. If Sun Jian were to suddenly harbor a killing intent, Liu Changsheng could end up dead without a complete corpse. The sect leader of Mount Shu is too arrogant for his own good, he's going to suffer a heavy loss. Strong cultivators from various states whispered among themselves, none of them optimistic about Liu Changsheng's chances. Sun Jian had the peak Unity Realm cultivation and even mastered the supreme sword skills of Thousand Swords manner. Using the same medium-quality immortal sword, their power was worlds apart. The opponent is of a higher cultivation, Changsheng is being too presumptuous. Even the people from Mount Shu were secretly worried for Liu Changsheng. The abilities that Liu Changsheng had previously demonstrated fell far short of Sun Jian's. In a fair fight, Liu Changsheng was at a significant disadvantage. The master will definitely be able to do it. Disciples such as Lin Qingzi and Liu Qinglian had unwavering confidence in Liu Changsheng. Seeking death. Sun Jian's figure blurred, and in half a breath, he was before Liu Changsheng, thrusting his immortal sword. Liu Changsheng blocked Sun Jian's attack with the jade balance sword. The collision of the two immortal swords echoed deafeningly. Liu Changsheng used the sacred tier swordsmanship Divine Sword Thunder commanding art, summoning 9 heavens Divine Thunder to annihilate formidable enemies. Divine Sword Thunder commanding art was one of the top cultivation techniques in this realm, second only to sacred tier techniques. Liu Changsheng and Sun Jian, united with their swords, clashed continuously in the sky, their black and white figures intertwined, their fierce sword chi sweeping in all directions. 9 heavens Divine Thunder descended from above, pulverizing mountains. The 4-ram square venerable array of the viewing platform was activated to protect the disciples from the various state sects. Incredible, Mount Shu's sect leader seems to be on par with the Master of Thousand Swords manner. How is this possible? What exactly is the strength of Mount Shu's sect leader? It must be that Sun Jian hasn't gone all out yet, he's just probing. That's right, he hasn't used the supreme swordsmanship of Thousand Swords manner yet. As soon as he does, Mount Shu's sect leader will undoubtedly be defeated. However, the sect leader of Mount Shu's insight into the sword Dao is truly astonishing. Aside from the 7-star sword formation, he has mastered a sacred tier sword technique. Mount Shu's heritage is indeed unfathomable, second only to the likes of Star Pavilion, Dragon Tiger Sect, and Thousand Swords Manor. The strong cultivators from various states were greatly shocked and dared not underestimate Lu Changsheng anymore. Lu Changsheng, displaying the sacred tier swordsmanship Divine Sword Thunder commanding art, summoned 9 heavens Divine Thunder, causing the ground to shake and mountains to tremble. With such strength, he had every right to be proud. Even many sword cultivators were engrossed in observing Lu Changsheng's use of Divine Sword Thunder commanding art, seeking to comprehend the essence of swordsmanship. This is a sacred tier sword technique. Mount Shu, Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, Hidden Dragon Temple, and others were deeply astonished. They had never seen Lu Changsheng use a sacred tier sword technique before. Changsheng's understanding of the sword Dao has far surpassed mine. It's unbelievable. His growth rate is so fast, I'm afraid even the ancestral master of Mount Shu wasn't like this. In fact, Changsheng's talent might even surpass that of the ancestral master. Situ Kong had never seen such an exceptional genius whose cultivation and sword Dao improved so rapidly. After clashing with Lu Changsheng for the time it takes to drink 3 cups of tea, Sun Jian disengaged and once again faced off against Lu Changsheng. Sun Jian had originally planned to casually strike, defeat Lu Changsheng, and then cripple his cultivation. But for some reason, Lu Changsheng saw through his swordsmanship. He countered every move, thwarting every sword stroke Sun Jian sent his way. It seems you are worth me employing our Thousand Swords Manor sect defending skills. Sun Jian still looked at ease, he had only been probing until now. With a flick of 2 fingers, Sun Jian's medium-quality immortal sword returned to its sheath, and it was replaced by a high-quality immortal sword that soared into the sky. The moment the high-quality immortal sword left its sheath, a brilliant cold light burst forth, and a domineering aura of unrivaled supremacy spread out. The flying swords and magical treasures of all the sword cultivators trembled and seethed once more, and even the jade balanced sword in Lu Changsheng's hand uncontrollably swayed as if this high-quality immortal sword were the Emperor of Swords. Could it be that this is the sect defending immortal sword of Thousand Swords Manor Imperial Shadow? It is said to be a supreme immortal sword born within the sword tomb, having absorbed the spirits of countless flying swords, ranking as a top-tier treasure even among high-quality immortal artifacts. Chapter 303. Thousand Swords Manor hasn't employed its sect-defining immortal sword in several thousand years, right? That sect leader of Mount Shu could compel Sun Jian to unleash the demon-suppressing sword of Thousand Swords Manor. His strength already surpasses that of most formidable fighters. Sect leader of Mount Shu isn't wise enough. With Sun Jian wielding the superior immortal sword Imperial Shadow, its power is hard to control, and there's a chance that the sect leader of Mount Shu could perish by this sword. A fraction of the powerhouses from Zhongzhou gasped in astonishment when they saw Sun Jian invoke the sect-defining immortal sword of Thousand Swords Manor. No one initially thought that Lu Changsheng could push Sun Jian to exhaust all his methods. With thy blood, I shall nourish my sword. Sun Jian activated the cultivation technique of Thousand Swords Manor, creating an enormous sword domain spanning 100 miles, affecting even the sword chi formed from Lu Changsheng's true chi, assimilating it within Sun Jian's sword domain. The supreme sword skills of Thousand Swords Manor, selfless sword technique, could even influence the sword Dao of others. As Sun Jian achieved unity of person and sword, his aura continued to soar, his sword intent becoming more and more terrifying. Sun Jian himself appeared as a peerless divine sword standing between heaven and earth. This one sword seemed capable of cleaving heaven and earth apart. This was indeed the strongest swordsmanship in this realm. It seems Sun Jian plans to defeat Lu Changsheng with an invincible stance. Mount Shu is about to be eliminated. The pavilion master of Star Pavilion, with his hands clasped behind his back, sensed Sun Jian's momentum like that of a dazzling divine sword and did not hold much hope for Lu Changsheng. The Divine Sword Thunder commanding art used by Lu Changsheng was a superior cultivation technique of the immortal tier, considered quite good among the strong ones across various states. However, the sect-defining supreme sword skill's selfless sword technique of Thousand Swords Manner was a sacred tier cultivation technique left by the ancestor of Thousand Swords Manner, surpassing the techniques of the immortal tier. It was precisely because of this set of supreme sword skills that Thousand Swords Manor secured its position as the #1 sword cultivator sect in Zhongzhou. Even the pavilion master of Star Pavilion would have to exert considerable effort to withstand Sun Jian's selfless sword technique. Such terrifying sword chi, even from tens of miles away, we can feel its horror. Sun Jian is getting serious, there are few in the world who can withstand this sword strike of his. The sect leader of Mount Shu has sheathed his immortal sword. What is he doing? Could it be that he's giving up his right to fight? The spectators suddenly noticed Liu Changsheng sheathing the jade balanced sword, thinking he might be giving up his right to fight out of fear of Thousand Swords Manor's sect-defining immortal sword and selfless sword technique. Even if Liu Changshen's journey were to end at the top 32, having forced Sun Jian to deploy the two significant methods of Thousand Swords Manor placed his strength above that of many strong ones from various sects across the states. No, that's not it. He has brought out another immortal sword. He plans to continue the fight with Sun Jian. How is that possible? Just when everyone thought Liu Changsheng was bowing out, the demon-suppressing sword soared into the sky, its light fierce as divine radiance, its sword chi piercing through heaven and earth, stirring the winds and clouds. The demon-suppressing sword was also a superior immortal sword, on par with the imperial shadow sword. A superior immortal sword. Many sect powerhouses were greatly startled. The immortal sword brandished by Liu Changsheng was not inferior to the sect-defining immortal sword Imperial Shadow of Thousand Swords Manor. In front of the Imperial Shadow sword, the demon-suppressing sword did not submit, rather, it stood as its equal. Liu Changsheng took out an 11th grade immortal pill, the ancestral dragon multiplying pill, and swallowed it whole, forcibly elevating his cultivation. Liu Changsheng, after secluding himself for 700 years and because he could not accept disciples, cultivated at a normal pace. His realm had yet to reach the peak of the Unity realm, and he needed to use elixir pills for a temporary increase in cultivation to just barely approach the prowess of great achievers in the Unity realm. The exquisite immortal pill made from the blood of the ancestral dragon was refined by the taking true qi, and massive spiritual energy surged within the qi sea of Liu Changshen's danshan, providing him with an unceasing flow of true qi. Liu Changshen's face flushed red, the overwhelming power of the 11th grade immortal pill released, causing even him, who cultivated the immortal divine art, considerable discomfort. Liu Changsheng circulated the sacred tier cultivation technique taking heavenly scripture, and a small amount of his purple true qi had already been refined into taking true qi. The true qi formed by practicing the taking wuji technique was purple, while the sacred tier cultivation technique taking heavenly scripture refined the purple energy into an even higher level of taking true qi. The sacred tier cultivation technique was incredibly difficult, and at the Unity realm, one could not fully cultivate the taking heavenly scripture. Liu Changsheng had only managed to cultivate the initial layers. Nevertheless, taking heavenly scripture was already a supreme skill beyond this world. Once the taking true qi was revealed, the earth sank and the colors of the heavens and earth shifted. Liu Changshen's eyes shone brightly. He intended to use the taking true qi as a foundation to empower the demon-suppressing sword, to execute his self-created sacred tier swordsmanship. Since this swordsmanship was a supreme sword skill created by Liu Changsheng himself, no one other than Xiaoningsu had seen this set of sword skills. If it did not thunder, it would pass unnoticed. When it did, it would shock the world. Liu Changshen's black warrior outfit rustled loudly as he was surrounded by the ever-evolving great Dao laws of water, fire, wind, and thunder. They merged with one another to become chaos and formed the mysterious yellow sword qi. Rumbling. The land of the dragon arena could not withstand the terrifying pressure of the taking true qi and the mysterious yellow sword qi, and huge cracks spread rapidly in all directions, looking like an enormous spiderweb of unprecedented scale. Dozens of surrounding mountains collapsed, turning to dust. The barrier formed by the 4-ram square venerable array was violently shaking. Strong cultivators from countless sects were all moved, their faces showing disbelief. How could the swordsmanship that sect leader Liu Changsheng of Mount Shu is using have power that seems no less than the supreme sword skill's selfless sword technique of the Thousand Swords Manor? Impossible. How could Mount Shu possess such high-tier swordsmanship? If Mount Shu had a sacred tier swordsmanship, it would either have long become a powerful sect on equal footing with Thousand Swords Manor, or it would have been destroyed already by other demon sects coveting the supreme sword skills. Could it be that sect leader of Mount Shu can truly defeat the Manor's master of Thousand Swords Manor? The crowd was hysterical. Who would have thought that Lu Changsheng would actually use a set of sacred tier swordsmanship? Besides Thousand Swords Manor, to have another sect possess sword skills surpassing the immortal tier was why everyone was so moved. Sun Jian, today I will use you to test my sword, to help me perfect myself invented heavenly earth mystical yellow swordsmanship. Lu Changsheng looked solemn as the demon-suppressing sword trembled violently. With his realm, using both the taking heavenly scripture and heavenly earth mystical yellow swordsmanship at the same time was extremely strenuous. The enormous true chi provided by the 11th rank immortal pill ancestral dragon multiplying pill was rapidly depleting. The demon-suppressing sword's glow bloomed, illuminating all directions, with the intense white light filled with taking true chi and mysterious yellow sword chi, leaving heaven and earth speechless, space in turmoil. Lu Changsheng and Sun Jian both desperately increased their sword momentum, the sword domains formed by the two divine swords raging, the ground cracked over and over again, and more than 10 meters worth of soil was overturned. Wait, did he say this is his own invention of swordsmanship? No, that can't be possible, right? Creating swordsmanship that surpasses the immortal tier in the Unity realm? What kind of cultivation genius is this? The strong cultivators from various major regions were already immensely shocked, but to hear that Lu Changsheng mentioned this set of sacred tier swordsmanship was his self-invented supreme sword skill left them completely astounded. Being able to create immortal tier cultivation techniques in the Unity realm was already the mark of an unparalleled genius, yet Lu Changsheng had actually created sacred tier swordsmanship. I underestimated him, he is even better than I imagined. Empress of Great Martial Wu Yu's beautiful eyes showed admiration for Lu Changsheng. She had always thought that Lu Changsheng was not so simple, and indeed it was true. How is it that he's not the spirit sword physique, yet his understanding of the sword Dao is far superior to that of the spirit sword physique? Penglai Fairy couldn't help but give a bitter smile amidst her shock. The spirit sword physique was supposedly the most suitable special physique for cultivating the sword Dao, yet Lu Changshen's performance was even more outstanding than a fully accomplished spirit sword physique. The pavilion master of the Star Pavilion frowned deeply. 50 million years ago at the Great Assembly of Zhongzhou, sect leader Elder of Mount Shu emerged and overpowered all contenders, defeating the then pavilion master of the Star Pavilion, winning the championship. After that great assembly of Zhongzhou ended, the shamed pavilion master of the Star Pavilion vacated his position. The performance of Lu Changsheng made him see the second Daoist taking a decisive battle. Without me, without sword, without me, infinity. Sun Jian's sword momentum reached its peak, and he was now in a position where he could not back down. He struck with all his might. The Imperial Shadow Sword, with its dazzling golden light column, slashed towards Lu Changsheng, intending to completely annihilate him. From the origin comes the beginning, boundless as Taishi, the clear and the turbid flow together, mysterious yellow stumbles and fumbles. As Lu Changsheng activated the demon-suppressing sword, this one sword bore the mysterious yellow sword chi and taking true chi from the desolate ancient era, containing the 4 laws of wind, thunder, water, and fire, with endless might. This sword was earth-shattering, causing the spectating sect powerhouses to hold their breath and focus intently, daring not to be distracted. Chapter 304. Two sword intents, elevated to their extremes, collided, and shockwaves of endless sword chi spread in all directions with every blow. The earth shattered, trees snapped, and mountains crumbled. Within 100 miles, everything succumbed to ruin. The pavilion master of Star Pavilion, the sect master of Dragon Tiger Sect, and the Empress of Great Martial, among other powerhouses, all showed signs of deep emotion. The strength Lu Changsheng displayed had reached their level. Many sword cultivators hurriedly took this opportunity to comprehend the supreme sword skills used by Lu Changsheng and Sun Jian. The swordsmanship that Lu Changsheng and Sun Jian wielded surpassed their knowledge, and to them, it was an ultimate treasure. With just a brief glimpse, they had already gained profound insights. Swordsmanship of such caliber should not exist in this realm. How can the sect leader of Mount Shu possess such cultivation? The father and son of the Dragon Tiger sect were greatly shaken. They hadn't expected Lu Changsheng to possess strength that matched Sun Jian's, and in the realm of the sword Dao, he even seemed to have a slight edge over Zhongzhou's top sword cultivator. Damn it! Changsheng clenched his fists. With his master Lu Changsheng showcasing peak Unity realm strength, if he wished to confront Mount Shu, he had to be wary of both Lu Changsheng and Monk Wu Li, two great masters of the Unity realm. With Lu Changsheng as his master, even the pavilion master of Star Pavilion had to regard Shen Xiaoao with new respect. Now, Shen Xiaoao's background was no less impressive than Changsheng's. Everyone held their breath and focused their attention as the two sword intents collided violently. At the peak of their confrontation, the intensity swiftly declined amid a storm of flying sand and rocks. As the dust gradually cleared, Lu Changshen's figure became visible. He was kneeling on the ground, using the demon-suppressing sword to support his body, his complexion pale. Could it be that the sect leader of Mount Shu has been defeated? To be able to clash with Sun Jian in swordsmanship is already an incredible feat. To create his own sacred tier swordsmanship is something extremely rare, seen perhaps once in a million years. Given time, he might become the strongest in this realm. Seeing Lu Changshen's poor complexion, people thought that he had been defeated. Even so, with this battle, Lu Changsheng had made a name for himself and earned everyone's recognition. To create sacred tier swordsmanship in the Unity realm, such talent was sufficient to look down upon the world. Master Lin Qingzi, Lu Qinglian and Mo Huaji planned to rush to the martial arts platform to check on Lu Changshen's condition. Do not come up here, your master is fine. Lu Changsheng stood up, took an elixir pill, and restored his true qi. Thousand Swords Manor truly was worthy of Zhongzhou's title as the #1 sword cultivator sect, with sect master Sun Jian reaching a high realm of sword Dao. Sect master. As the dust entirely settled, the elders and disciples of Thousand Swords Manor were in panic. Surrounding sect master Sun Jian on the ground were innumerable ravines created by formless sword qi. Zhongzhou's top sword cultivator, Sun Jian, had been bested in his most proficient field. The supreme elders of Thousand Swords Manor appeared on the martial arts platform without delay, checking Sun Jian's breath. Finding that he had not been killed by Lu Changsheng, they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Sun Jian, being the one with the spirit sword physique and the greatest talent in Thousand Swords Manor, was the reason he became the manor's master. If Sun Jian were killed, the manor's strength would undoubtedly fall by at least one level. Hiss! Powerful representatives of major sects across all states had not expected this turn of events, with Sun Jian, perceived as the sure victor, defeated, and the underdog sect leader of Mount Shu narrowly triumphant. By this reasoning, with his superior sword skills, Lu Changsheng possessed the combat power of a peak Unity Realm warrior. This is a formidable adversary. The pavilion master of Star Pavilion wore a stern expression. As Lu Changsheng was in the upper half of the competition and he was in the lower half, they might well end up facing each other. This just got interesting. Empress Wu Yu of Great Martial was also in the upper half. She had not expected Lu Changsheng to possibly become a formidable opponent in the upper half. The sect master of Profound Heaven sect, wearing a broad-brimmed hat and cloaked in a black robe, shot a sharp glance at Lu Changsheng. The sect master of Dragon Tiger sect was unsure of what to think. As a part of the lower half, before the sect master of Dragon Tiger sect could confront Lu Changsheng, he needed to vanquish formidable enemies like Xiaoning Xiu, the pavilion master of Star Pavilion, and the sect master of Profound Heaven sect. With the towering figure of the pavilion master of Star Pavilion ahead, he most likely would not have the chance to cross swords with Lu Changsheng. If he wanted to avenge his son, he would have to look for trouble with Mount Shu in private. The people of Thousand Swords Manor left with their sect master, as many of the manor's elders glared fiercely at Lu Changsheng. As Lu Changsheng had defeated their master in front of the powerhouses of major sects from all the states, he had made an enemy with Thousand Swords Manor, and their grudge was set. Lu Changsheng, having slightly recovered his true qi, sheathed the demon-suppressing sword. Cough cough, in the 6th round's first match, the sect leader of Mount Shu, Lu Changsheng, is victorious and advances to the 7th round. The Supreme Elder who was presiding over the Zhongzhou Grand Conference was also shocked by the outcome of the match and after hesitating for a while, still incredulously announced the results. Lu Changsheng smoothly entered the top 16, while Sun Jian, who was thought to at least make it to the top 8, was stopped at the 32. Sect leader Lu, I am the sect master of Mysterious Lady Sect. After the conclusion of the Zhongzhou Grand Conference, I wish to discuss the Sword Dao with you in private. I hope you will be gracious enough to instruct me. A female sect master of the Unity Realm's 7th tier, proactively conveyed her thoughts to Lu Changsheng through a secret message, her beautiful eyes brimming with admiration. In this realm, the only known sacred tier sword techniques are the sect defending skill Selfless Sword Technique of Thousand Swords Manor and the Heavenly Earth Mystical Yellow Swordsmanship created by Lu Changsheng. The selfless sword technique is the sect defending skill of Thousand Swords manner, the signature attraction for talent from all states, and thus will not be disclosed easily. However, the heavenly earth mystical yellow swordsmanship was created by Lu Changsheng himself, and if he were willing, he could possibly teach it to others. Chapter 305. Even a slight guidance from Lu Changsheng would benefit a Unity Realm sword cultivator greatly, and they would be more than capable of handling the ninefold heavenly tribulation in the future. The sect leader of the mysterious Lady Sect, who was at the 7th layer of the Unity Realm, also wanted to gain some sword Dao comprehension from Lu Changsheng. Once the events here conclude, would Sect Master Lu be willing to visit our Ocean Flame Palace as a guest? Our Willing Valley is willing to exchange our sect defending skills for a portion of Sect Master Lu's supreme sword skills. The various sect leaders were sending messages to Lu Changsheng one after another, leaving him overwhelmed with responses. Lu Changsheng could only smile wryly and helplessly. His fame spread far and wide after a single battle, not even sparing the cultivation world. Unity Realm cultivators, in hopes of increasing their chances of ascending to the immortal realm, pursued various high-level cultivation techniques and elixir pills. Lu Changsheng was previously unknown, but after creating a sacred tier sword technique and defeating Sun Jian, he suddenly became a hotshot. With Sun Jian claiming to be the top sword Dao expert, naturally, by defeating him with swordsmanship, Lu Changsheng assumed his place as the number one in sword Dao for this realm. Lu Changsheng declined each offer graciously. Having created a sacred tier sword technique far surpassing this realm's skill set, there were no longer any cultivation techniques here that caught his eye, except for those rewarding his disciples which might enter the sight of Dharma eye of Lu Changsheng. Master is truly amazing to have defeated Thousand Swords manner. Now we from Mount Shu can finally breathe a sigh of relief. The people of Mount Shu were overjoyed. Originally prepared for Lu Changsheng to end at the 32nd rank, they didn't expect him to emerge victorious over the strong opponent Sun Jian after a 7-day seclusion. Following this trend, Lu Changsheng might well advance to the top 4. We still have Fairy Xia and Monk Wu Le from Xia State in the cultivation world, and Monk Wu Le is also in the upper bracket. If he and Lu proceed smoothly into the top 4, they will meet. Li Changjai calculated the order of the matches. Lu Changsheng and Monk Wu Le were both in the upper bracket. Monk Wu Le, who practiced the decay and prosperity divine skill in the immeasurable temple and drew upon the power of faith from billions of beings in Xia State, had divine skills no less powerful than those of Sun Jian from Thousand Swords manner. If Lu Changsheng were to face Monk Wu Le, the outcome would be difficult to predict. Though we cultivators from Xia State may have to face each other, it also means that at least one of us can make it to the final battle. The elders and disciples from various sects in Xia State were thrilled. This Zhongzhou convention could be the most splendid one for the cultivation world of Xia State, teeming with giants of the era. After the match between Lu Changsheng and Sun Jian, the second match began. The second match was between a 9th layer Unity Realm powerhouse and an 8th layer Unity Realm powerhouse. The outcome was as expected, with the 9th layer Unity Realm powerhouse victorious. However, this 9th layer Unity Realm powerhouse was frowning with worry. His opponent in the 7th round was Lu Changsheng, the sect leader of Mount Shu who had just defeated Sun Jian. He stood no chance of winning. Sun Jian was already a formidable enemy, and Lu Changsheng had even managed to defeat him, so what could he do? The third match and the fourth match also determined their victors. Monk Wu Le entered the arena for the fifth match and defeated his opponent, advancing to the top 16. Wu Yu took the stage in the eighth match and, with only 3 moves, defeated her strong opponent, similarly advancing into the top 16. The matches for the upper bracket concluded. In the lower bracket, the first match was Xia Ningxiu against a peak 8th layer Unity Realm powerhouse. It's really lucky to face the weakest cultivator in the lower bracket. The peak 8th layer Unity Realm powerhouse was secretly delighted. The 8 cultivators who entered the top 16 in the upper bracket were either 9th layer Unity Realm powerhouses or had the combat power to match them. The situation was similar in the lower bracket. If you were at the peak of the 8th layer of the Unity Realm and had bad luck facing powerhouses like the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion or the Sect Master of Dragon Tiger Sect, you would have been stopped at the 32nd rank. Among the cultivators in the lower bracket, Xia Ningxiu had the lowest realm. Defeating her meant advancing into the top 16. This guy is truly lucky his opponent is the weakest among us, Xia Ningxiu, while my opponent is the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion. All I can hope for is to lose with some dignity. Chi destiny really is a part of one's strength. The practitioners in the lower half of the tournament couldn't help but envy this person. Don't worry, Fairy Xia, seeing how stunningly beautiful you are, I'll treat you gently and won't be too hard on you, the cultivator said, his hands crossed over his chest, his expression arrogant, as if victory was already in his grasp. The Unity Realm 8th layer peak powerhouse stood confidently, a smug look on his face. No need to hold back, please enlighten me, Xianingshu said coldly, as she circulated her supreme forgetting love art, spreading a chilly aura that froze everything within 1,000 miles. In the 700 years of her secluded cultivation, Xianingshu had perfected the supreme forgetting love art, forcibly elevating a heaven rank superior technique to an immortal tier technique. With a gesture from Xianingshu, the immortal slaying sword unsheathed behind her, its more frigid than ice murderous sword chi spreading, causing an involuntary shiver to those who felt it. What level of treasure is this? At the moment the immortal slaying sword was unsheathed, the color drained from the face of the Unity Realm 8th layer peak powerhouse. He actually couldn't discern the level of the immortal slaying sword. The rank of the immortal slaying sword may well not be lower than that of the imperial shadow sword or the demon suppressing sword. Xianingshu might appear to have a lower realm, but like Lu Changsheng, her strength didn't match her realm. She possessed the power to cross ranks in battle, which only made it easier for her opponents to misjudge her as an easy target. It was not just Xianingshu's opponent who was shocked, but other powerhouses from various sects as well. Xianingshu's aura was clearly not weak, at least on par with the Unity Realm 7th layer. A quarter of an hour later, the Unity Realm 8th layer peak expert was defeated. The immortal slaying sword returned to its sheath on Xianingshu's back. The crowd was rendered completely silent. Everyone had originally thought that Xianingshu was the weakest among the practitioners in the lower half, but unexpectedly, she possessed the strength of the Unity Realm 9th layer. Even the people from Inquiry Immortal Pavilion didn't know Xianingshu's cultivation level was so high that she could defeat a Unity Realm 8th layer peak expert. With this, Xia State had 3 practitioners advancing to the top 16, outnumbering the experts from Zhongzhou. Following Xianingshu, the sect masters of the Dragon Tiger sect, Star Pavilion and Profound Heaven sect also moved into the top 16. The 6th round is over. Next, our Pavilion Master plans to add an additional match, announced a Supreme Elder from Star Pavilion suddenly, causing a stir among the crowd. They didn't expect that there would be an extra match in this Zhongzhou tournament. However, why would Star Pavilion suddenly add an extra match? What was the purpose? This match will only be open to young talents who have cultivated for less than 300 years, are above the void refinement realm, and who have no spouse. The victor will have the chance, will have the chance to become the son-in-law of our Star Pavilion Miss Tang. Even if not chosen by Star Pavilion, they will receive a mid-grade immortal artifact as compensation. During the spar, stop at the slightest sign, it's forbidden to harm each other's life, the Supreme Elder continued. What? The powerhouses from various sects were dumbstruck. They hadn't expected that the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion would use the Zhongzhou tournament to choose a spouse for his daughter. The Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion is really shrewd. The Zhongzhou tournament gathers disciples from sects across all states, many of which are peerless geniuses. By choosing from the best, the Star Pavilion ensures that the next generation will also be exceptionally talented. Grandmaster Chen realized the intentions of the Pavilion Master of Star Pavilion, and couldn't help but admire his strategy. Star Pavilion could maintain its position as the top sect not only because of the Pavilion Master's high cultivation but also due to a measure of cunning and strategy. Compared with Miss Tang of Star Pavilion, what is a mid-grade immortal artifact worth? If one could get Miss Tang, wouldn't the cultivation techniques and treasures of the Star Pavilion be within reach? Young elite talents from major states were all eager to try their luck. Miss Tang of Star Pavilion had both beauty that could topple states and a noble status. Compared with her, what was a mid-grade immortal artifact worth? Even if it meant marrying into Star Pavilion, a group of unparalleled geniuses were willing and anxious. Only young talents with less than 300 years of cultivation and who had reached the void refinement realm met Star Pavilion's strict requirements to compete in the marriage contest, which effectively ruled out the majority of disciples from various sects. Mount Shu indeed had 2 individuals who qualified, one being Lin Qingzi and the other Shen Xiaoao. Of course, Lin Qingzi, the senior disciple, was secretly involved with Chen Yao, the 6th disciple, and would not participate in Star Pavilion's marriage contest. Xiaoao, if you wish to partake in the marriage contest, feel free to give it your all. I will support you from behind. Before the contest, I'll reward you with a few treasures, said his master. Chapter 306. Lu Changsheng, though he had been continuously cultivating recently, had not neglected his disciples. He knew that Shen Xiaoao's biggest opponent in the Star Pavilion's martial arts tournament for marriage was Changsheng, the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, who was at the 7th layer of the Void Refinement Realm. Currently, Shen Xiaoao was at the 5th layer of the Void Refinement Realm, 2 realms behind Changsheng. Shen Xiaoao possessed the pure yang body, while Changsheng also had a special physique. As the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, Changsheng surely lacked neither magical treasures nor cultivation techniques, undoubtedly making him a formidable enemy. Lu Changsheng could lend the treasured Nirvana Flame's Red Lotus to Shen Xiaoao, but with Shen Xiaoao's cultivation level, his true chi was insufficient to activate the Nirvana Flame's Red Lotus, which could instead harm him. The most suitable magical treasure for Shen Xiaoao at the moment was a middle-grade immortal artifact. At present, he could only reward Shen Xiaoao with a lower-grade immortal artifact. Rewarding him with a middle-grade immortal artifact was not possible without repayment from the disciple. However, Lu Changsheng had his own strategies. King Zi, I will give you a few magical treasures to pass on to your junior brother. Lu Changsheng took out the middle-grade immortal artifact Mysterious Fire Mirror. Lu Changsheng had once relied on this magical treasure to kill a demon general whose cultivation was higher than his. The Mysterious Fire Mirror was still not to be underestimated even now, but Lu Changsheng had so many magical treasures that the Mysterious Fire Mirror just gathered dust inside him. Ding! You have rewarded your disciple Lin Qingzi with the middle-grade immortal artifact Mysterious Fire Mirror, obtaining a 100-fold reward return, a high-grade immortal artifact 9 Yang Fire Mirror. A new circular magical mirror appeared within Lu Changsheng, similar in shape to the Mysterious Fire Mirror. What was different was the red, thin plate embedded in the center of the jade ring, with an ancient and simple sun totem carved in its center. Compared to the world-destroying scorching aura of the Mysterious Fire Mirror, the 9 Yang Fire Mirror was much gentler, and the power of the mysterious fire had transformed into pure yang power. And also this opening sun sword. Lu Changsheng bestowed the opening sun sword from the 7-star sword formation. After Lu Changsheng created his own sacred tier swordsmanship, the middle grade immortal of the 7-star sword formation became somewhat unnecessary to him, better to reward it to his disciples and receive a return of higher level sword formations and immortal swords. The opening sun sword was a pure yang sword, suitable for Shen Xiaoao. Ding! You have rewarded your disciple Lin Qingzi with the middle grade immortal artifact Opening Sun Sword, obtaining a 100,000-fold reward return, a human ultimate treasure fragment X1. Oh? Is the system starting to return ultimate treasure fragments again? Lu Changsheng had not seen an ultimate treasure fragment for a while. Even in the immortal realm, such treasures must surely be rare. Lu Changsheng continued collecting ultimate treasure fragments to prepare for ascending to the immortal realm. And this lower-grade defensive immortal artifact Vajra Indestructible Pagoda, which comes with Vajra Indestructible skills. Lu Changsheng took out a pagoda and directly rewarded it to Shen Xiaoao. Having obtained the Heavenly Earth Mystical Yellow Exquisite Pagoda, an ordinary treasure pagoda was not very useful to Lu Changsheng, so he decided to reward the other pagodas to his disciples. Ding! You have rewarded your disciple Shen Xiaoao with the lower-grade immortal artifact Vajra Indestructible Pagoda, obtaining a 100-fold reward return, a middle-grade immortal artifact Golden Relic 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. This magical treasure seemed quite good. Who knew what level of treasure you would end up receiving if you kept rewarding them? The magical treasures Shen Xiaoao now had included the Mysterious Fire Mirror, the Opening Sun Sword, the Vajra Indestructible Pagoda, and the Enlightenment Daoist Robe. While in seclusion at King Yun Peak for 140 years, Lu Changsheng had taught Shen Xiaoao cultivation techniques such as Divine Sword Commanding Wind Art, Free and Easy Wandering Skills, Primordial Sword Scripture, Drunken Fairy Gazing Moon Step, Soul Searching Skills, Pen Glay Sword Song, among others. The cultivation techniques Shen Xiaoao was exposed to were by no means inferior to those Changsheng could access, and were even more diverse in categories. These 8th and 9th tier elixir pills and talismans, give them all to you, just do your best to be victorious, said Lu Changsheng as he took out a batch of high-grade elixirs and talismans. These included Dragon Blood Returning Yuan Pills, Life and Death Reincarnation Pills, Heavenly Fragrance Life Renewal Pills, Golden Crow Divine Fire Talismans, Within Reach, Ends of the Earth Talismans, and Divine Thunder Exorcism Charms. Anyway, during Lu Changsheng's seclusion in King Yun Peak, the system had returned countless high-grade elixirs and talismans, so he casually took out a bag of elixirs and a stack of talismans. Lastly, Lu Changsheng performed a power-infusing initiation for Shen Xiaoao, returning 80,000 days of heavenly cultivation. Shen Xiaoao, before the marriage tournament, deeply moved by Lu Changsheng's substantial support, kowtowed earnestly, "For my master's grace, this disciple will never forget as long as I live. Take this opportunity to spar with geniuses from various regions to increase your experience, which is also good." Lu Changsheng knew that Shen Xiaoao was the son of fortune, and if nurtured well, the day might come where he, as his master, would need to rely on Shen Xiaoao's great fortune. Yes. Shen Xiaoao was rubbing his hands together with eagerness. With his master's support, he felt even more confident in his ability to confront Changsheng and was no longer worried about retaliation from the Dragon Tiger sect. There were only a little over 70 young geniuses participating in the marriage contest. The pavilion master of the Star Pavilion had set rather strict conditions. Only transcendent talents who had reached the void refinement realm within 300 years of cultivation were qualified to take part in the marriage contest. Furthermore, participants could not already have a partner. "My son, you must defeat the geniuses from all the big regions, marry Tang Linger from the Star Pavilion so that our Dragon Tiger sect might have a chance to glimpse the sect defending skills of the Star Pavilion. This is a rare opportunity, and eventually, our Dragon Tiger sect might even replace the Star Pavilion to become the first major sect in Zhongzhou," said Zhang Qinglong, the sect master of the Dragon Tiger sect, to his son Changsheng before the marriage contest began, equipping him with middle-grade immortal artifacts and also preparing various elixir pills and talismans. As the second largest sect in Zhongzhou, the Dragon Tiger sect naturally lacked none of these resources. The marriage contest this time involved an alliance between the two super sects, the Star Pavilion and the Dragon Tiger sect, making failure unacceptable. Chapter 307. Father, rest assured, my Dragon Tiger skill has already achieved a minor level of mastery. I will surely emerge victorious in this martial arts competition for marriage. Changsheng clenched his fists. He was considered the most exceptional and peerless genius of the younger generation in Zhongzhou. With less than 300 years of cultivation, he had already reached the 7th layer of the void refinement realm. The marital arts competition for wedding vows was similar to the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly in that it adopted a lottery system to select opponents before proceeding with one-on-one battles. The Dragon Tiger sect is indeed the second largest sect. Young Master Zhang's formidable strength is truly impressive. I've lost both willingly and convincingly. A peerless genius in the early stages of the void refinement realm lost to Changsheng and had nothing left to say. Changsheng, as the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect, enjoyed not only high status but also genuine cultivation prowess, not the frivolous sort typically found among the children of privilege. However, Changsheng remained indifferent, ignoring the flattery from the other. He anticipated his opponent to be Shen Xiaoao of Mount Shu. With just a few moves, Shen Xiaoao defeated his opponent. Who would have thought that not only does Mount Shu's sect leader possess innate talent, but even his disciples turn out to be peerless geniuses. Within 300 years, they've achieved the 5th layer of the void refinement realm. Mount Shu is indeed full of surprises. This time at the Zhongzhou Grand Assembly, they've shown brilliantly. I believe the ultimate victor of this martial arts competition for marriage will be decided between the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect and the direct disciple of Mount Shu's sect leader. The prowess of Shen Xiaoao astonished the strong competitors from various states. After all, he was a disciple of Lu Changsheng. The pavilion master of Star Pavilion observed the contenders from above, looking down upon the gathering below. Beside the pavilion master of Star Pavilion, there stood not only Tang Linger but also a woman who was in the Unity realm, standing shoulder to shoulder with him. The performance of Shen Xiaoao took the pavilion master and his companions by surprise. Tang Linger from Star Pavilion and Changsheng from the Dragon Tiger sect received power-infusing initiations regularly from Unity Realm Supreme Elders. To achieve such rapid advancement in realm, they would even sacrifice the cultivation of 2 or 3 Unity Realm Supreme Elders. There were no more than 5 Unity Realm experts in Mount Shu, so it was unlikely they would sacrifice their cultivation to offer Shen Xiaoao a power-infusing initiation. Yet, Shen Xiaoao had reached the 5th layer of the void refinement realm. Could it be that the speed of cultivating a pure yang body is truly so astonishing? The pavilion master of Star Pavilion looked at Shen Xiaoao more highly. Paired young talents entered the stage to compete, with only brief rest intervals between matches, until the final round where only Shen Xiaoao from Mount Shu and Changsheng remained. Both consumed elixir pills to quickly restore their true qi, preparing to battle in their best condition. Situ Kong said, unlike Thousand Swords Manor, which pursues the Sword Dao, the Dragon Tiger sect specializes in the talismanic Great Dao. The Dragon Tiger sect can even craft talismans of the 10th and even 11th grade. While Changsheng's cultivation in the void refinement realm may lack sufficient true qi to fully unleash the power of a 10th or 11th grade talisman, he will certainly use 8th or 9th grade talismans in battle, which are notoriously difficult to defend against. Grandmaster Chen continued, that's not all. I have heard that Dragon Tiger skill, the sect defending skill of the Dragon Tiger sect, can not only refine Dragon Tiger true qi but also has a body tempering effect. If Shen Xiaoao's realm were the same as his, maybe the outcome would be hard to predict. But with Shen Xiaoao's realm being lower than his opponent's, the odds are he will fall short. However, Lu Changsheng calmly said, winning or losing isn't important. Shen Xiaoao was a son of fortune, indeed, the result of the contest was not crucial. A son of fortune could do as he pleased. On the martial arts platform, the competition between Changsheng and Shen Xiaoao had already begun. Shen Xiaoao, let me show you the supreme skills of our Dragon Tiger sect. Changsheng's eyes blazed with rage as he channeled the sect defending skills of the Dragon Tiger sect. Before Shen Xiaoao's rise, Changsheng was the number one among the younger generation in Zhongzhou and was likely to marry Tang Linger, the heiress of the Star Pavilion, thereby reaching the pinnacle of his life. But now, with Shen Xiaoao's sudden emergence, who also gained Tang Linger's favor, Changsheng was enraged beyond measure. Tang Linger had never treated him that way. Changsheng took out a talisman, as it burned fiercely in his fingers, issuing forth black flames, his aura soared. His body and face became marked with dragon and tiger tattoos, and the ground quaked. Roar! Behind Changsheng emerged the phantom shadows of a dragon and a tiger, both ancient ferocious beasts roaring towards the sky, causing the ground to crack and mountains to crumble. This is the Dragon Tiger skill, the sect defending skill of the Dragon Tiger sect, combining talismans, body tempering, and breath control in one. It is said that when cultivated to the highest realm, it is a skill that surpasses immortal level techniques. Even if the young sect leader's Dragon Tiger skill has not reached great accomplishment, it should already be within the realm of immortal level techniques, and not just any ordinary immortal level technique can compare. The Dragon Tiger sect has relied on this Dragon Tiger skill for 1,000,000 years. It seems the Disciple of Mount Shu is about to be defeated. With the Dragon Tiger sect being second only to the Star Pavilion, if these two major sects form a marital alliance, they will surely dominate the realm. The strong members of various sects from the major states were not optimistic about Shen Xiaoao's chances. Shen Xiaoao was 2 realms lower than his opponent, which was a significant disadvantage. If there were no disparities in magical weapons, cultivation techniques, or special constitutions, then his chances of victory were slim. Die! A glint of murderous intent flashed through Changsheng's eyes as he threw out a divine fire demon subduing talisman and then transformed into a dark shadow charging at Shen Xiaoao. The divine fire demon subduing talisman burned fiercely, and under Changsheng's control, the blazing divine fire transformed into a roaring fire dragon with bared fangs and claws. The Dragon Tiger sect is truly a powerful sect that specializes in the art of crafting talismans, managing to manipulate the power of the talismans so exquisitely. This time the Disciple of Mount Shu is in big trouble. The spectating strong members of various sects exclaimed in shock. The Dragon Tiger sect, ranked above Thousand Swords Manor, naturally had its own sect defending divine skills. Chapter 308. Even Lu Changsheng was secretly shocked. The talisman division of the Dragon Tiger sect, with their use of talismans, surpassed other sects. Myriad swords returned to origin. With the 10,000 swords art activated, Shen Xiaoao unleashed countless spirit swords like a violent storm, shattering the fire dragon formed by the divine fire demon subduing talisman. However, the divine fire demon subduing talisman was merely a ruse to distract Shen Xiaoao. The moment the fire dragon dispersed, Changsheng's figure appeared from behind the firelight, his fist smashing towards Shen Xiaoao. Blocking with the opening sun sword in his left hand, Shen Xiaoao was struck by Changsheng's fist and pushed back dozens of steps. Before Shen Xiaoao could fully regain his stance, Changsheng's figure, swift as an arrow, reached him again, his fist carrying the whistling wind as he swung. At the same time, several talismans were already flung out. Divine fire blazed furiously, accompanied by lightning and thunder. Changsheng's attacks were like a thunderbolt, merciless. His aggressive approach amazed the onlookers even more. Changsheng is indeed the top contender of Zhongzhou's younger generation. Though only at the 7th layer of the void refinement realm, he could likely emerge victorious even against those in the 8th or 9th layer. With his talent, he's certainly a worthy match for the young mistress of the Star Pavilion. The crowd expressed their admiration. If Changsheng were to reach great accomplishment in the Unity realm, he wouldn't be inferior to the current sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect. Yet Lu Changsheng wasn't all that surprised. His eldest disciple, Lin Qingzi, at the 8th layer of the Void Refinement realm, and his second disciple, Lu Qinglian, at the 7th layer, both possessed the strength to defeat Changsheng. It was just that Shen Xiaoao began his training later, and so, being at a lower realm, he found himself at a disadvantage. Despite this, Lu Changsheng believed that Shen Xiaoao still had the power to fight. Just when everyone thought Shen Xiaoao would suffer a severe blow under Changsheng's preemptive strike, a treasure pagoda appeared above Shen Xiaoao's head. Encased in golden light protecting body and with his sword darting like a dragon, he blocked Changsheng's punching force as well as several talismans. With a hiss, 2 talismans were released. Shen Xiaoao counterattacked using talismans. One was the 9th grade Golden Crow Divine Talisman, and the other was the Divine Fire Demon Subduing Talisman. The Golden Crow Divine Fire exploded. Inside his Daoist robe, Shen Xiaoao's left hand had already channeled True Qi into the 9th grade within reach, ends of the Earth Talisman. Just as the Golden Crow Divine Talisman and the Divine Fire Demon Subduing Talisman were unleashed, he used the within reach, ends of the Earth Talisman to widen the gap. Since Lu Changsheng often bestowed various talismans upon his disciples, the disciples of King Yun Peak were no strangers to them. In fact, each one was an expert in the use of talismans. The third disciple of King Yun Peak, Mo Huaji, could even craft 8th grade talismans. Changsheng didn't anticipate that Shen Xiaoao would also use talismans. Engulfed by the Golden Crow Divine Fire, he quickly used an Earth Escape Divine Talisman to flee from the range of the Divine Fire. However, Changsheng was slightly late, and his Daoist robe got partly burnt by the Golden Crow Divine Fire. Although he wasn't badly injured, he looked quite disheveled. What surprised him even more was the number of rare talismans Mount Shu possessed. And Shen Xiaoao used these talismans without any sign of reluctance. He didn't know that Shen Xiaoao had received too many such talismans from his master, Lu Changsheng, where 8th grade and 9th grade talismans were as common as qi-gathering pills. Shen Xiaoao swallowed a red Emperor Dragon Strength pill, circulated the free and easy wandering skills, and executed the divine sword commanding wind art. 9 heavens Tianqian wind, drawn forth by my sword. The pure yang qi within Shen Xiaoao flooded into the opening sun sword, his dazzling and warm pure yang sword qi soaring skywards, forming a radiant pillar connecting heaven and earth. The 9 heavens gang wind howled, sweeping through clouds. Shen Xiaoao hadn't yet mastered the complete superior immortal grade swordsmanship of the divine sword commanding wind art, but he was still able to use part of it skillfully. At the sight of Shen Xiaoao's swordsmanship, the crowd was stunned. The direct disciple of the sect leader of Mount Shu, his combat prowess was astonishing indeed. Chapter 309 Changsheng was caught in a fierce battle. Shen Xiaoao stood under the Vaitra indestructible pagoda, wielding the opening sun sword, stepping with the drunken fairy gazing moon step, riding the 9 heavens gang wind, with every kind of elixir pill and talisman at his disposal. Changsheng unleashed the dragon tiger skill and secret talisman techniques, but still failed to gain the upper hand. It's unbelievable that Shen Xiaoao, a disciple of Mount Shu, is actually on par with the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect. What status does the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect hold? In the Dragon Tiger sect, he is someone who has received power-infusing initiation and can freely read through the sect's cultivation techniques due to his exceptional talent. For Shen Xiaoao to be able to fight him to a standstill is quite an accomplishment. The sect leader of Mount Shu has managed to teach a disciple who can compete with the young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect. He truly has a way with apprentices. In the future, Mount Shu will once again rise to glory. I believe that after the Zhongzhou conference ends, many talents from the major states will head to Mount Shu to seek mentorship and study. The powerful members of sects from the various states were deeply shocked as Shen Xiaoao and Changsheng were locked in a stalemate, utilizing all manner of cultivation techniques, talismans, and elixir pills. It seemed that the resources Shen Xiaoao obtained from Mount Shu were not inferior to those of Changsheng. And that was attractive enough. I must defeat you. Changsheng pulled out a complex talisman, bit the tip of his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, and a vast amount of dragon tiger true qi surged into the talisman. A 10th grade talisman. Lu Changsheng, who was watching the battle, changed his expression. Lu Changsheng had seen both 10th grade and 11th grade talismans, so he could tell at a glance that this was a 10th grade talisman. However, with the cultivation at the void refinement realm, one could not fully unleash the power of a 10th grade talisman. The Dragon Tiger sect cultivates the great path of talismans. Could it be that they have a secret technique to use even higher level talismans? If so, my disciple is in danger. Lu Changsheng knew the power of a 10th grade talisman. Even for an early Unity Realm expert, being attacked by a 10th grade talisman could easily lead to their demise, let alone Shen Xiaoao, who was only at the 5th level of the void refinement realm. Knowing that Changsheng wanted to make a move, Shen Xiaoao brought out the 8 Fiends Suanhuo formation map. A crimson ancient formation appeared in the sky, slowly rotating and emitting scorching hot flames. Shen Xiaoao then brought out the mysterious fire mirror, a fiery colored Dao mirror the size of half a palm in his hand. The 8 Fiends Suanhuo formation operated, causing space to collapse and crack, forming a crack which slowly grew into a huge void 100 yards wide, with brilliant pillars of fire spraying out, and on the opposite side of the fissure was an endless sea of fire, from which a terrifying dragon's roar accompanied by a fierce aura was heard. The onlookers were secretly astonished. The mysterious fire mirror, a mid-grade immortal artifact, was of a fairly good quality. A massive fire dragon's head crawled out of the 8 Fiends Suanhuo formation, bathing in the blazing flames. The crimson dragon scales glowed red with light and heat waves. Shen Xiaoao swallowed a red emperor dragon strength pill, injected pure yang true qi into the mysterious fire mirror, and controlled the 8 Desolation Fire Dragon. The 8 Desolation Fire Dragon made its second appearance before the crowd, its vermilion eyes tinged with a hint of gold glaring at Shen Xiaoao and his master Lu Changsheng, opening its huge maw to emit a column of fire as bright as the blazing sun, composed entirely of magma and unbearably hot. Dragon Tiger subduing demons. Changsheng infused his copious true qi into the Dragon Tiger sect's unique talisman, and a black demon dragon and a black demon tiger appeared, ferociously baring their claws and teeth. The black demon dragon, upon seeing the 8 Desolation Fire Dragon, confronted it head-on, spewing out a pitch-black column of fire, which collided with the 8 Desolation Fire Dragon's magma fire column. The 2 columns of fire violently collided in the air, with fireballs sprinkling down like fiery meteors, melting even the rocks below. While the Black Demon Dragon and the 8 Desolation Fire Dragon fought, the Black Demon Tiger, under Changsheng's control, pounced towards Shen Xiaoao, its tail, comparable to a low-grade immortal artifact, lashed out like a whip. The Demon Tiger's tail struck the protective Buddha light formed by the Vajra indestructible pagoda, causing the light to tremble. Shen Xiaoao was operating several immortal artifacts at the same time, his true qi being continuously drained, causing his complexion to turn slightly pale. Tang Linger, who was on the spectators' platform, couldn't help exclaiming when she saw the Vajra indestructible pagoda being attacked by the Black Demon Tiger. The pavilion master of the Star Pavilion glanced at his daughter, whose bias was already quite obvious. The Unity Realm woman sitting next to the pavilion master of the Star Pavilion looked at him, and he understood her thoughts. Shen Xiaoao was still persevering, both sides were frantically swallowing elixir pills, to the point that they could hardly refine the overwhelming medicinal power, somewhat like gobbling them down whole. The young sect leader of the Dragon Tiger sect is indeed the foremost among the young generation in Zhongzhou, suppressing Xiaoao by 2 realms and still able to use a 10th grade talisman ahead of time. I'm afraid Xiaoao is heading for defeat. Lu Changsheng saw the strengths and weaknesses of the 2 combatants, with Shen Xiaoao being 2 realms lower, his recovery of true qi not as good as his opponent's. The fact that he had held out until now was already extremely impressive. The 2 continued their fierce fight. Changsheng was hysterical, unleashing 3 more talismans. Die! Changsheng was intent on putting Shen Xiaoao to death. During the grueling fight, Shen Xiaoao's comprehension grew continuously deeper, especially for the divine sword commanding wind art. The 9 heavens gang wind sword qi whirled wildly, Shen Xiaoao fighting desperately, and although he was at a disadvantage, he refused to give an inch. The observing powerful figures from various sects were utterly astounded. Shen Xiaoao had already demonstrated strength comparable to Changsheng's, and even if he were to fail, it would still be a noble defeat. After all, before the contest began, more people were optimistic about Changsheng, not Shen Xiaoao. Shen Xiaoao, with his 5th level void refinement realm cultivation, was able to fight bitterly with Changsheng, who was at the 7th level of the void refinement realm. So if Shen Xiaoao and Changsheng were at the same realm, wouldn't Shen Xiaoao have the strength to suppress Changsheng? By the end of the fight, both were covered in wounds, gasping for breath, having consumed more than a dozen elixir pills and talismans. Chapter 310. Shen Xiaoao held on until the end, exhausting all his true qi, not even leaving enough to refine elixir pills. Darkness overtook Shen Xiaoao's vision, and he completely lost control, falling to the ground alongside the mysterious fire mirror and the opening sun sword. Ha ha ha, I've finally won. Changsheng's strength had also reached its limit. Had Shen Xiaoao continued to fight, Changsheng might have been defeated by him. Fortunately for Changsheng, Shen Xiaoao collapsed first. The Supreme Elders of the Star Pavilion took a deep breath and announced the final victor. The ultimate winner is Changsheng of the Dragon Tiger sect. Just as Lu Changsheng was about to check on his disciple Shen Xiaoao, suddenly someone else reached Shen Xiaoao before him, so Lu Changsheng no longer approached. Shen Xiaoao. Tang Linger appeared beside Shen Xiaoao, her face edged with urgency. She checked his breathing and found that, although weak, Shen Xiaoao was far from critical condition. Inside Shen Xiaoao's body, the remnants of elixir pills were being slowly absorbed by his pure yang body. Tang Linger instantly sighed with relief. Changsheng and the spectators on the viewing platform were astonished. Although Changsheng had ultimately won, why did it seem like Shen Xiaoao was more like the winner in life? Sidu Kong, Grandmaster Chen and others finally understood what Qin Kai meant when he said that winning or losing didn't matter to Shen Xiaoao. As long as Shen Xiaoao gained Tang Linger's favor, the victory or defeat was irrelevant. Since Changsheng has won, then in accordance with the rules, he will receive a medium-grade immortal artifact. We in the Star Pavilion will not break our word. The voice of the Pavilion Master of the Star Pavilion boomed like thunder. Wait, isn't the winner supposed to, with Tang Linger? Changsheng began to panic. He had finally defeated Shen Xiaoao, but from the Pavilion Master's words, it seemed he had no intention of betrothing his daughter to him. So what was the point of him getting first place? A medium-grade immortal artifact was hardly scarce for the Dragon Tiger sect. Changsheng wanted to marry Tang Linger, not a medium-grade immortal artifact. That's right, the Star Pavilion never said that the victor could definitely marry Miss Tang, only that even if not chosen by the Star Pavilion, they would receive a medium-grade immortal artifact as compensation. It seems the Star Pavilion has truly set its sights on Shen Xiaoao. Who would have thought that Shen Xiaoao would lose the match but win at life? His fortune is indeed remarkable. If this lad becomes part of the Star Pavilion, his future will be boundless. With Mount Shu and the Star Pavilion joined in marriage, and with the sect leader of Mount Shu possessing the power of the Unity Realm at great accomplishment, Mount Shu will surely become famous throughout the world, becoming a major sect like the Dragon Tiger sect or the Thousand Swords Manor. All the powerful figures from the great territories couldn't help showing their envy. Once Shen Xiaoao married Tang Linger and became the son-in-law favored by destiny, with the resources of both Mount Shu and the Star Pavilion at his disposal, what difficulty would he have ascending to the immortal realm? Pavilion Master Tang. Changsheng grew increasingly anxious. He had clearly snatched the top spot, so why was the one favored by the other party not him, but Shen Xiaoao? Tang Wanzan, this isn't right, is it? This isn't what we agreed upon before. The sect master of the Dragon Tiger sect, Zhang Qinglong, his face grim, called the Pavilion Master by his name. He had come to the Zhongzhou conference confident that his son would marry Tang Linger and elevate the Dragon Tiger sect to the most powerful sect in Zhongzhou. However, Shen Xiaoao had emerged out of nowhere, stealing away the opportunity. Even though Tang Wanzan was the Pavilion Master, Zhang Qinglong did not hide his displeasure. Such opportunities were exceedingly rare. I've never promised that Linger would definitely marry into your Dragon Tiger sect. Linger and Shen Xiaoao are fond of each other. As an old father, I still have to consider her wishes. I ask Brother Zhang not to take offense. Tang Wanzan stood with his hands behind his back, casually offering Zhang Qinglong an explanation. Tang Wanzan's interest in Shen Xiaoao was far from simple. Shen Xiaoao and Tang Linger, having inherited the pure yang body and pure yin body in the Star Immortal Emperor's Star Tower, complemented each other perfectly in constitution. United, they could exert even greater strength. Next, Shen Xiaoao's cultivation at the 5th level of the Void Refinement Realm allowed him to push Changsheng, at the 7th level, to such a state, an astounding talent indeed. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, Tang Wanzan saw auspicious clouds lingering over Shen Xiaoao's head. The lad possessed great fortune, entrusting his daughter to Shen Xiaoao before ascending to the immortal realm should avert any misfortune. There was one point, however, that Tang Wanzan might not have wanted to explain to Changsheng long. That was the alliance between Star Pavilion and Dragon Tiger sect. It might not necessarily benefit the Star Pavilion in maintaining its dominant position. On the contrary, an unparalleled genius like Shen Xiaoao, who didn't have much of a background, would more likely take into account the position of the Star Pavilion. Zhang Qinglong's gaze was dark and gloomy, clearly dissatisfied with Tang Wanzan's explanation. Still, Zhang Qinglong was ultimately wary of the Star Pavilion's terrifying strength and did not dare to act out, only able to swallow this frustration. I see that this young man is upright and his cultivation technique is of the righteous Dao, he is not bad. The woman of the Unity Realm by Tang Wanzan's side looked at Shen Xiaoao, showing a look of admiration. It is only natural for a mother-in-law to look at her son-in-law and like him more and more. When Shen Xiaoao faintly woke up, he found himself lying on Tang Linger's lap, and she was silently shedding tears. Linger, I lost. I'm sorry to have let you down. Having exhausted all his true qi, Shen Xiaoao felt extremely weak and thought that because he had lost the competition, Tang Linger would be forced to marry Changsheng. Shen Xiaoao's gaze was dull as he reached out to touch Tang Linger's pitiable face. Suddenly, Tang Linger broke into laughter through her tears. Fool, my father has chosen you, not Changsheng. What? Shen Xiaoao was stunned. Was his luck really that good? To lose a contest and still be picked? Tang Linger protested, do you not want that? No, 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 Shen Xiaoao, what merit or ability do I have to be favored by a beauty? Shen Xiaoao's eyes regained their brightness. To think that Tang Linger, of such high status, would actually take an interest in him. Shen Xiaoao felt even more grateful to his master, Lu Changsheng. Without Lu Changsheng, he, Shen Xiaoao, would have been just a descendant of a common merchant in Hiang City. How could he have had the chance to embark on the path of cultivation, let alone the opportunity to meet Tang Linger? Longevity, your disciple indeed has great fortune. Even Situ Kong had to admire the foresight Lu Changsheng had in choosing his disciples. Shen Xiaoao lost the contest yet still managed to marry Tang Linger, henceforth receiving the attention of the Star Pavilion, not to mention having Lu Changsheng as a master. He was truly a winner in life. Lu Changsheng shook his head helplessly. His disciple's qi destiny was the first under the heavens. Initially, Lu Changsheng had also been drawn to Shen Xiaoao's qi destiny, which was why he had chosen him as a disciple. Suddenly, Lu Changsheng felt a chilling gaze upon him. The sect master of the Dragon Tiger sect swept a fierce and malevolent look over Lu Changsheng. Clearly, Zhang Qinglong was very dissatisfied with him. If it weren't for a disciple trained by Lu Changsheng stealing the opportunity from his son, it would have been his son, Changsheng, marrying Tang Linger right now. Then, the Dragon Tiger sect might have fully emerged as the leading sect of Zhongzhou. Now their young sect leader had lost to an obscure disciple from Mount Shu, and the Dragon Tiger sect's prestige was sure to plummet. Lu Changsheng, however, was not afraid of Zhang Qinglong. Lu Changsheng, after a 700-year retreat, who defeated the Manor Lord of Thousand Swords Manor, was confident even when facing the sect master of the Dragon Tiger sect. The only concern Lu Changsheng had was that the overall strength of the Dragon Tiger sect was stronger than Mount Shu's. If the top experts from the Dragon Tiger sect were to attack in full force, Mount Shu would risk being annihilated. Fortunately, Mount Shu had formed alliances with Inquiry Immortal Pavilion, Immeasurable Temple, Hidden Dragon Temple, and Martial Alliance. With several major sects united, the Dragon Tiger sect would likely hesitate to make a move. Disciple, now you have the opportunity to join Star Pavilion through marriage. Do you still wish to practice with your master afterward? Lu Changsheng ignored the murderous look from the Dragon Tiger sect that seemed to want to devour him and instead inquired about Shen Xiaoao's future plans. If Shen Xiaoao were to stay and cultivate in the Star Pavilion in the future, that might also be a good option. Disciple has received much kindness from Master and wishes to follow Master until Master ascends to the immortal realm. Only then will the disciple go to practice in the Star Pavilion. Moreover, the disciple will always retain the identity of a Mount Shu disciple. Shen Xiaoao's eyes were sincere, likely speaking from the heart. Very well. Lu Changsheng had not misjudged him, Shen Xiaoao was indeed not ungrateful. Thereafter, Lu Changsheng turned to look at Pavilion Master Tang Wanzan of the Star Pavilion, realizing that the latter had chosen Shen Xiaoao, probably also considering that Shen Xiaoao would not compete with Tang Linger for power. The pavilion master of the Star Pavilion was indeed not simple and might become the ultimate opponent of this Zhongzhou Grand Assembly.